Hello, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran, and I'm here with River Brown, Andrew Velez, and Joe Dehls. This is now episode 330. In this episode, we're going to debate if the Eagles are by far and away the best team in the NFL, CJ Stroud versus Trevor Lawrence, which teams we are buying to make the playoffs, and much more. First episode back from Thanksgiving, Black Friday. We took the weekend off. Hopefully everybody's rejuvenated and refreshed. How you guys doing today?
Think you know my answer, Mr. Moran. I'm doing as good as it possibly gets. Sports haven't been this fun to watch in such a long time. Lakers playing some really good basketball, but right now, a little bit more importantly, my Denver Broncos are on a 5-game heater, the most wins in a row, the longest active streak in the National Football League. And it comes against Mr. River Brown's Cleveland Browns. LMFAO. Those brothers didn't even show up.
Lock in. I just sent that message. Comments are saying they're surprised you even showed up, Riv.
They know that you like to duck when push
That's
comes to shove. But especially when it comes to those Denver Broncos,
This is his first win all year.
Who again
What are we doing?
weren't anything worth watching. Terrible quarterback, terrible coach, terrible defense. Wouldn't win 6 games. Here we are, 4 weeks later, and we got our 6. I don't need the applause. I don't need no hand me down, no wishy washy backhanded applause, because the truth of the matter is, we're the hottest team in the league, baby. We're the hottest team in the league. And what you going to do right now, you going to open Cash App and you going to run me my motherfucking money, boy.
How much did you guys bet on the game?
A comp 50, nothing crazy.
$50 on the game?
What's
No,
the
no,
game?
6 wins.
6
Oh.
wins. 6 wins that I put my hands behind my head and I relaxed and I watched as the boys did the rest. We don't even have a topic about the Denver Broncos, but I promise you I'm going to find a way to bring them up in multiple situations. I promise you that. Life's good. Talk to me, boys. How was Thanksgiving?
I had a good Thanksgiving. It seems like not as good as you. That's for sure.
No way, no how.
You know, your Broncos have won 5 in a row, is it now?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if the Jets have lost 5 in a row, but it feels like they've lost 30 in a row. So we're full on tankathon. Tim Boyle, take us to the promised land. Top 5 pick. Give me a tackle. Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, something on offense. But good Thanksgiving. We played football over the break. All 4 of us were there.
That was fun.
We had a good time though.
Yo, talk to him, Joel. What'd you do?
Thanksgiving was great. I scored 2 touchdowns.
Who are you looking like out there?
Now I was looking like Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah,
That's what I was looking like.
Dontavian Wicks.
Dontavian Wicks is that man. Unfortunately, he was unable to play for the Packers.
That sucked.
on Thursday.
That was so.
Because, the ass kicking that they gave to the Lions was one that
It was
he should have
real.
been a part of.
It was real.
My weekend was great, though. I ate some good food, spent time with the family, and I
Love
went
to
to
hear
New
that.
York City, and I had a fun time in New York as well. I just want to say something before we get into this Broncos talk. Just want to talk to the fans real quick. Thanksgiving. Hopefully, all you guys had a
Absolutely.
great Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
And also, we got some big news that I want to share that, we've been keeping under wraps for a while, but moving forward, starting in December, we will not be with Mojo.
Correct.
So they will not be sponsoring the Pick a Side podcast, but we want to thank all the guys at Mojo. It was an excellent partnership. We lasted with them for over a year, and that's rare in this industry. And starting December 1st, we will be partnering with another DFS in Prize Picks. So if you guys haven't joined Prize Picks yet, then don't join it yet. Join it after December 1st. Use our code, and then you can join Prize Picks. But that's our big time news. And unfortunately, in December 9th is my flight to Arizona. Most of the show will be.
Bastard.
Most of my show will be.
Bro said, I'm
virtual.
gonna be here. I'm gonna be here for your birthday. What he do?
He capped.
Flight is day of my
The
birthday.
cheapest flights was the 9th. I couldn't. I'm so sorry.
That's
never
insane.
easy. Bro couldn't drop an extra $100 just to have the birthday with me.
At least you're gonna have one of them. Where
Yeah,
I'm not
true,
gonna get
that's true.
either. I'm
Where-
not gonna
where
get
you going?
either.
I'm going to the cruise.
Oh, tough,
December 13th. 16th. I'm out of here.
tough.
Yeah. So I'll be going for a week, no show. On a boat.
I didn't enter your mind when you planned that.
Honestly, I thought your birthday was before. That's really what fucked me. I knew Dehls was the first week or 2 of December. I thought you were right behind Dehls. So I was like,
Not quite.
Gucci gang. But unfortunately, no. You are the few last days of the year.
Relatively.
Tragic.
I'm like pretty middle.
Yeah.
Dehls, I did the best I can,
I'm
but
the
you know,
18th.
happy wife, happy life. You know what I'm
I get
saying?
it, I
Jess
get
was
it.
like, I want to spend more time with my family. Ain't
It's
nothing
the
I could do
holidays.
with
You
that.
had to.
Ain't nothing I could do.
What a cop out.
Yeah, I had a great Thanksgiving though. We played football. That was fun for sure.
You played well.
I was late. I
You
was
were late, but you played well.
You were.
I was late. Yeah, had a nice little debut. 2 interceptions.
Caught a
you know.
pick off me.
2 actually, buddy.
No,
Respect
just
me.
one.
No,
Off
it was
me.
2.
Off me,
It was
I'm
2.
saying. No,
was
you
2.
didn't catch 2 off
It was
me.
2.
You caught 1 off me.
What was the other one again? Oh, Jared.
Yes.
You're right. Yeah.
I
Both.
know.
Yeah, both. It didn't matter which
See, I'm here
quarterback.
being honest about what happened in the situation. He's trying to lie.
Baited both of them. Caught a pick. But
I thought I was like that. I tried to touch pass over him.
I saw you. Bro.
Little too-
I saw
Just
you.
I need a little bit more musty.
But yeah, this weekend was great. Eagles, another W. Unfortunately, my Browns could not get the W. Couple mishaps, but I had a good weekend for sure.
Who remind me? What's the pick'ems looking like, fellas?
You're
Yeah.
up one.
Ah,
Oh, you're up one now?
Yes,
Wins.
sir.
He had
112.
a star-studded weekend. He went crazy.
Sometimes you just gotta trust your gut, man. After the Pick'em
I told you
podcast,
trust your gut, man.
Jessica told me, she was like, "You're not going with the Packers," and that was my chance to redeem myself. You guys even saw the graphic. Like I thought you was going with the Lions, and I was like, "Oh yeah, nah, Jess, you got to change this now." I feel like that was the universe telling me, "Just go with the pack. Go with the pack, because Jordan Love's gonna be historic." Smitty Who sent a super chat. Shout out to Smitty Who. $20 super chat. He says, "Unfortunately, I'll miss the live stream, but wanted to show you fellas some love.
Oh,
Also,
legend.
When are you upping on pick a side gear? I need that." Drew, tell him more
I'll
about
tell you
that.
what, that's pretty insane timing. It's like he's been in the conversations between me and Joel trying to work behind the scenes to get you guys this merch for the upcoming season, but right on time. We're dropping these pick a side hoodies. Not sure when the exact date is. It could be next week. It could be the week after that. But just know it is coming sooner than soon. But insane timing that this message gets dropped to us when we're getting our own hoodies probably within the next few days.
Jamie, this is from Paxson, if you were thinking.
Yeah, for sure. I'm
This
glad
is-
that you acknowledge that because that's one of the flyest.
That is nice.
Don't know what we're calling
It's
it.
hard.
Don't
Jacket?
know. Sure.
Jacket, yeah.
I don't know what. I'll be honest. I saw it. Said it looked nice as shit.
It's awesome.
Bought it.
And then you're wearing the khakis on top.
Yeah. This is from Paxson, my boy. I had a nice one.
I got a uniform to the podcast. So, until the Broncos lose, unfortunately for y'all, I should say, this is what you're going to see out of me. But goodness, you're showing out for all of us.
Vayports goes, Stroud and Co. play the Broncos and Texans next 2 weeks. Generational stretch for agendas.
It's going to be amazing because the turnovers every single week, we keep getting these turnovers against the Browns. And didn't feel as good because we know who they are. They're a fraudulent team, unfortunately. We exposed Myles Garrett.
DTR
That's the
did get
sad
hurt.
truth. DTR
and Myles
prayers.
Garrett got hurt.
Oh,
This guy's
true. That's
sick.
also true. I'm so
He's
sorry.
sick. He's a sick guy.
But I'm just looking at what Garrett Bowles did to Myles Garrett just watching the game back.
A lot
and
of
honestly
turnovers was
brings a tear to my
in
eye.
Cleveland's territory.
And then you know what's also
you know.
funny to me? They're trying to paint us as the villain, which I love. I love that. I've been embracing this villain arc for the Denver Broncos, but now we're dirty. We're going to talk
I heard that
about
Kareem
Bounty
Jackson
Gate.
hit like 2 weeks ago was dirty.
The Kareem Jackson hit, I'm
is
fine with.
under allegations.
He is under
That one was
allegations
definitely
for
under
sure.
allegations.
But you're going to tell me that Baron Browning had a flag on that hit on DTR when it's the definition of a clean tackle? You're going to tell me that Locke is one of those guys that's trying to injure Amari Cooper? Can we stop? When you hit hard and you're just about that action, and what am I supposed to say? You got to look at the film and you know what clean is clean. And that's the Denver Broncos right now, the cleanest team in the league.
Cleanest.
Don't play.
Alex Viveros goes.
Don't play.
We'll get to the cleanest team.
Don't
in the
play.
league, man.
I hate having a coach get fired, but Carolina needs to make a change. Watching the Panthers tape, it was hell.
Yeah, you saw the fourth down play to end the game was a wide
was a
receiver
screen.
screen on 4th and 8.
Yeah,
and
it was
what can you
ridiculous.
do?
It's not tape that you enjoy watching, but you have to do a job and you got to watch it back. But goodness gracious, it's not fun at all. Frank Reich needed to go. He did need to go.
Yes. And Santos goes, I'm getting the Patrick Mahomes jersey next week, Joel. We've been talking about this for a while. And I'm just happy the Mahomes jersey's finally coming.
I'm dead.
excited.
Santos is real. I respect
Santos,
it.
man.
All hate aside to Mr. Mahomes. That's cool.
Listen, and this is what I had a gripe with, Drew, is I knew that Drew was gonna come into the show all giddy, all hyping up the Broncos, saying they're gonna make the playoffs. Last episode, when I was trying to get it out of him, I was like a bully I was like a bully with a student, just upside down trying to get coins out your pocket. I was trying to get you to believe in the Broncos a little bit more
Damn.
because the schedule and the stretch was realistic. Last week you told me You want me to come up here on this podcast and say something stupid? Well, I'm not gonna say it.
I'm saving it for this
One
week,
week
baby.
later,
I'm saving it
the
for this
Broncos
week.
win, and it's the Broncos are making the playoffs.
Listen, we play the Browns. My biggest concern was going to be the offense. How are we going to look going up against statistically the league's best defense? 29 points against the best defense in the league.
A lot of turnovers.
I think we're looking at the new best defense in the league. Talk to me, Mr. Dehls. Talk to me, Mr. Dehls. Let's talk about the new best defense in the league going up against the Chiefs, going up against the Bills, Dobbs sanity, Cleveland's Mickey Mouse. Let's not even put them in that discussion. Your boy, Mr. Jordan Love. We're talking about the best defense in the league.
A lot of turnovers in the Browns territory. You know, they was right there to score.
But what you got to do is execute, and that's exactly what those boys over there in the orange and the blue did.
We wasn't ready.
Prayers for DTR. I'm hoping he's okay, of course.
Back at it. Listen, man, let's get on the top of number one, man.
It's a shame, man. The Broncos.
I'm tired of this
Broncos.
Let's talk about real shit, right? Let's talk about.
You know what, Riff? I would want to talk about real shit because all you're doing is talking that bullshit when you're talking about my Denver Broncos.
Dude, you're excited about being 6-5, 6-6. That's cool. You deserve that.
We're 5-0 in our last 5.
Look, you 100% deserve that, Drew. But there's another team we need to really talk about that's 5-0 in their last 5.
The team that you're a little wishy-washy on too. I'm just gonna
wishy-washy is stupid. I've been saying they're gonna win the Super Bowl since the summer.
Man, maybe I've been a little bit too critical on you when it comes to Riv and his Eagles. Maybe I'm starting to see the light.
I'm a wishy-washy.
Hey,
are we lying now?
Hey man. Hey man,
I'm wishy-washy about the Eagles.
No, you just
he's wishy-washy with the main event of the Philadelphia Eagles.
But am I wishy-washy about my team?
You love your team, you kind of hate your quarterback.
Not hate.
Nah, he don't hate Jalen
I just
Hurts.
don't love him as much as you do because you're a fanatic of Jalen.
Before we get into the first topic of the show, do you think that Jalen Hurts outplayed Josh Allen?
No,
he didn't.
Nobody.
Josh Allen played his ass off. Yeah.
Josh Allen definitely was
ridiculous. Like, nah, for sure. I did think,
but I do.
Hurts had a better second half.
Oh my, that's
I think Hurts played well, especially the way he started. He played
like dog shit. Yeah.
He be trolling. I don't know what some
really
shit be acting funny with him sometimes in the first half. So I don't know, but Josh played amazing. He did what he needed to do.
There's just a lot of clear statements that I can make off of last night's game. That's really how I feel after watching the Eagles game back as well. It's like there are a lot of clear, evident things taken from that game that I feel very confident in.
Santos goes, and did y'all know which belts you guys are getting? We don't know yet.
We're going to figure that out.
Maybe we
get one that spins.
Maybe we get that icy facts. We can get the classic WWE shit. Why not?
1800 Lunatic goes, when are you guys doing another NBA episode? That's going to be the next episode this week. Just wanted to answer that before we go on to the first topic of the show. If you guys are here, make sure you guys are dropping a like on the stream, subscribing to the channel to get into it. And also rating the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Join the Patreon.
Riv, you're so giddy to start this first segment of the show.
Doesn't seem like that.
So this is you're the first one up. You're first one up to bat. Are the Eagles by far and away the best team in the NFL right now?
Riv, you notice what he did too.
The question's a bit of a setup.
You know,
is it a setup?
It's a little bit.
Is it a setup? It shouldn't be a setup.
Here's the thing. I know this man
and his
better than a lot of people in his life.
His slippery, slimy ways,
especially when it comes to the show and the wording of topics. Like I've been trying to call out for the last couple of weeks. I respect him, man. He's got to do a job. Are they by far and away the best team in the league?
Here's the thing. He knows what I'm going to say.
Of course.
And I think we all know what I'm going to say. Yes, we have been by far away the best team in the league all year. We've been trying to put the Ravens at the top. We've been trying to put the Chiefs at the top. At one point, somebody on this program wanted Detroit over the Eagles. Not going to speak on that, but somebody tried to push Detroit over the Eagles. Somebody wanted Dallas over the Eagles. And at every waking moment, the Eagles show you week in, week out, no matter what team you put in front of them, no matter how bad of a performance they show you, they're still going to gut out a W. And you mentioned it, Drew. Y'all been one of the hottest teams in the AFC with respect, 5 in a row. But the Eagles are also on a 5-game heater. They didn't beat the Chiefs. They didn't beat the Bills. They beat Miami. They beat Dallas. Not acknowledging the Commanders, but they beat them too. Like this is a team that does not play well in the first half, have struggled multiple times in games. But something about that second half, that locker room conversation that they come out, defense plays better. Offensively, they start clicking. They find that running game. Then Hurts finishes off drives. Like this team is so resilient and they have so much, like they fight through so much adversity. it's hard to count this team out. I mean, the Niners have been on a great stretch for sure. Dallas has been on a heater. But when you talk about who's the best team, I mean, the Eagles can beat you in every way. They can beat you in an ugly game. They can beat you in an offensive game. They've shown you in a defensive game they can beat you. Like, this is a team that has the ability to beat you anyway. And Jalen Hurts has shown you that in the first half, he can play like shit. In the first half, he can throw turnovers. In the first half, he can have 33 yards to come out of the second half. But then that second half gets going. All they need is one drive. They need one running game. And now they start to click it. And once they start to clicking, there's nothing you can do with this Eagle team. Far away the best team in the league, of course. We've been that for the past 5-6 weeks. Nobody has been able to stop us. We've beat the Chiefs and the Bills. We beat the best of the best in the AFC. Dolphins, Chiefs, and Bills. There is no best of the best until next week or the week after. Well, we have to play the Niners. And that's going to be the one test, in my opinion, that we really, I don't think Dallas is a test. I think Dallas is a great team. But I think
Dallas already.
Yeah, I think Dallas is a great team, but I think in the end we'll beat them for sure. But I think the real test is the Niners, because I think that is the one team talent for talent that can match the Eagles in the NFC. One team that we probably look at, and you saw Hassan Reddick talking his shit.
He
like,
was talking
no excuses.
crazy.
Yeah, coming back to Philly, show us something different. And I feel like they got to show that different. But I think, this Eagles team, just to talk about the game a little bit last night, they struggled in the first quarter, struggled to get things going. They had A.J. Brown pretty much in hell. But just because you have A.J. Brown in hell don't mean Smitty can't wake up. And when Smitty wakes up, it's a whole different game. The run game started to flow. DeAndre Swift started to get going, and that got Jalen Hurts his confidence. He started to go, and he was making dots. He made one dime, the Olamedio, which was a firm ball. Defensively, they called it interception. Bradbury got an interception. Josh Allen, he played amazing. I don't think anybody who watched the game and who knows ball knows he played amazing. The haters will say he threw an interception. Okay, he's thrown an interception every week at this point, but he played amazing. He did everything he needed to do. But even what he did, as superhuman as he is, still wasn't enough. The Eagles were able to come out and get the W. They're the best team in the league. They've been that 10-1, the only team with double digits. If you don't have double digits, please don't speak to me in the NFC. Please, I don't want to talk to you at all. You don't have double digits. But this team is the best team in the league for sure. Mm-hmm. They've been that. And like I said before, when you did your little TikTok, you wanted that for TikTok, I'll say it again on the show. They're going to walk through the NFC again. Like, this is going to be another year where they're going to get the first round bye. They're going to walk through the second round. If they play the Niners, it's going to be a good game, but you know who's going to win. And they're going to go back to the Super Bowl. This time they're going to win it.
The energy is everything that I needed out of you, Riv, because really the test was this string of games. You mentioned it.
Undefeated.
The Cowboys, Miami, the Chiefs, the Bills. You got San Fran this upcoming week. Right now, they've answered every single question on the test correctly. Now, maybe they had to erase a little bit because the defense hasn't been the most consistent. But again, timely plays, resiliency. That's the perfect word. When we're on the fantasy reaction, that might have been the theme of yesterday's show, because when you're talking about the Eagles, when you're talking about Jalen Hurts, the word resiliency needs to be at the forefront. 4 touchdowns in the second half in overtime for Jalen Hurts after a half where he didn't even have over 100 passing yards. He was struggling tremendously, just that offense as a whole. Now, these statements that I feel very clear on is why he is the MVP, or why he will win MVP of the league, is you see the level of offense that is the Philadelphia Eagles when he's not on. But when he is on, you can go and you can score 4 touchdowns with ease at a blink of an eye, and you can go and you can win yourself a ball game. Now, you got to have, of course, on the opposite side, you need timely plays, especially when your defense gives up 17 points in the first half. You need to come in. You need to come in with a good game plan in that second half to of course, give yourself an opportunity to win ball games. But when he's not on, this team obviously looks pedestrian. But when he is on, Riv, you mentioned it. We're talking about the best team in the National Football League. Is it by far and away? That would be mightily disrespectful to the San Francisco 49ers, whose defense have been playing out of their mind, especially since the acquisition of Chase Young. That defensive line has been menacing, just sacks out the ass. They've been incredible. But you also can't disrespect what's going on over there with Baltimore. Listen, I, of course, will never, ever, ever root for this team, but I'd be a fool not to acknowledge the Kansas City Chiefs.
Beat them.
And the defense that they have over there, which is what scares me the most about Kansas City. Because you're telling me that you're giving Patrick Mahomes one of the best defense in the league, and he just has to make a play. You trust that he can do so. And we saw versus the Raiders, they finally got it going. We'll talk about that a little bit later in this show. Got to respect Dallas, even if you may not want to. Deron Bland is having an unbelievable, historic season. Most pick sixes in a single season, and we're at the end of week 12. He's doing something crazy. People are mentioning defensive player of the year. The conversation is understandable. Wouldn't be my defensive player of the year.
He's doing some
but I
historical
understand
shit,
it because
Yeah.
it's historic. Now, by far and away the best team, I wouldn't say so. But right now, where it stands, we're talking about the best team in the league. The defense definitely is a concern, but they make timely plays. They get pressure on the quarterback. And when you look at that offense, even when AJ's not clicking, you have Smitty, and this is what Goddard out. You know that Smitty's going to get his. DeAndre Swift. If you're talking fantasy football, maybe not the most eye-popping numbers, but when you break it down, having 80 rushing yards, being a factor in the passing game, not this game, but of course we've seen it throughout the season. This offense is so versatile. It really makes it seemingly impossible to guard them. But specifically, while it's raining too, which is why I feel like it made yesterday's game so much more fun to watch, because it's a downpour and these two quarterbacks are just dueling back and forth nonstop. To me, this was the game of the year. I feel like we say this after every week, but it'll be hard to top this one with situation taken into account. Two of the best quarterbacks in the game going at it, but the Philadelphia Eagles just reign supreme right now.
How many game of the years are the Bills going to be in until they finally win one of these game of the
years?
years?
Such a good statement, Joel.
But no, Josh Allen played his ass off. We're going to talk about the Eagles a lot, but there's not much more you could ask for if you're a Buffalo Bills fan from Josh Allen. He went out there and he willed his team to victory. That touchdown rolling to the left to Stephon Diggs, where he put it in a place that we really realistically would have just handed Stephon Diggs the ball. That's how perfect that ball was. Gabe Davis, if he goes the right way, that's probably game. James Cook doesn't drop a wide open touchdown, that's probably game. So you look at the Buffalo Bills, and this is a game yet again. It feels like week in and week out they have these opportunities that if it's just a simple play gets executed, you end up winning the game, but they did lose this one. But talk about Philly and the Eagles. Jalen Hurts in the second half this year when trailing, or second half or overtime when trailing, 67% completion percentage, 10 total touchdowns to 0 picks, and a passer rating of 138.6. This season and last season, although the records are the same, both at 10-1, it hasn't been the same season. Last season, they were dominating teams, right? I think, had this discussion coming into the season saying we're expecting Jalen Hurts and really this whole offense put up better numbers because after the first half, they were up on most teams by multiple scores and didn't have to go into the third and fourth quarters passing the ball and were really pressing to get yards and touchdowns. This year, that's been the case. Through 12 weeks of the NFL season, they've been in 8 one-score games. Last season, they were in 7, not including that Week 18 game when they set everyone against the Giants. So when you specifically look at these last 2 weeks as well, they're both down 10 points at halftime against the Kansas City Chiefs and against the Buffalo Bills. We didn't see a lot of those situations last year. That's why I think there were some questions going into the playoffs and even questions around Jalen Hurts, because every single week they get up to this insane lead and they could have just coasted the second half. This year, it hasn't been this case. Jalen Hurts really had to put on a couple games, specifically these last 2 weeks, put the team on his back and get some victories. But to call them the best team far and away in the league, I can't. I think their offense, without a doubt, is in that conversation of being the best offense in football.
No doubt.
But when I look at their defense, there's a ton to be desired. They have the 20th scoring defense. They're one of the worst passing defenses in the league, allowing the second most passing touchdowns, the third most passing yards, the third worst third down defense, the fourth worst red zone defense. The one area they do succeed in is stopping the run. They're top 10 in that regard, but they just lost Fletcher Cox, who I don't know the severity of his injury, but got banged up in the second half of that game. Of course, they have a ton of depth on the interior defensive line, so that's probably the one area they can, be able to sustain an injury to. But their offense is just so potent and so explosive, where they're top 3 in scoring offense. And in those situations where the defense is one of the worst in the NFL, they're probably the best situational offense in football. We know they have the brotherly shove, but still on third down, they're the third best in the league. They're the best fourth down offense, and they're the 5th best red zone offense. So when they get these gotta have it situations, third, fourth, and red zone, there's not many teams better in the NFL that does it like the Philadelphia Eagles. The only other 2 teams I would have right now is the San Francisco 49ers, because their offense is extremely efficient and their defense is playing out of their mind these last 2 weeks since the bye, plus getting Chase Young. And then the Baltimore Ravens, who didn't have the most convincing performance last week or last night on Monday Night Football against the Chargers, but their defense has still been so great. And Lamar Jackson can backpack an offense himself that I trust them enough. Those are the only 2 teams I would have in the realm of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think San Francisco and them are
Chiefs?
probably The Chiefs are right there too. They'd be fourth on this list, but I need to see another week not going up against the Raiders of this offense get going. We're going to talk about more about the Chiefs later. I like some of the stuff they did in this game because their defense has been phenomenal. They have Patrick Mahomes, so they should probably be in this discussion too. But to call the Eagles far and away the best team, their defense has been way too vulnerable for me to say that.
Something has to be said for the way this team can win games. Last year they dominated. This year they're winning a lot of close ones, and that speaks to the resiliency being down double digits going into the second half and still finding a way to win these football games. With that being said, not everybody can do this. So I think that you have to credit that. And I know a lot of people are making a fuss out of the refs. I think the Bills had so many opportunities that didn't involve the officiating to come away with this victory. There are a lot of teams in the NFL that get into these situations and they don't come out on top.
I'm with you.
No, the Eagles, this gauntlet of a schedule, they've managed to be 5-0 so far. And, you can't say the same for his counterpart that he was benched for back in Alabama, was placed with the Dolphins. When he gets to his toughest schedule, he doesn't win games. You look at Brock Purdy, my biggest knock on him still is how is he going to look when he plays from behind? Jalen Hurts has answered that question this year. But given the nature that they've won these games, and it's kind of an oxymoron given how last year they've dominated opponents so much, versus the Dolphins, they beat them 31-17. You can say that was a pretty dominant win, but I think the score showcased a different game than what the game actually was. The Dolphins had 10 penalties for 70 yards. The Eagles had 0. And there was a lot of penalties in that game that could have gave Dolphins positions to score and make the game much closer. Versus the Commanders, they beat them 38-31. Their defense allowed Howell to go for 397 and 4 touchdowns. Versus the Cowboys, they beat them 28-23. They got a red zone stop on defense, but Jalen Carter late in that game hit Dak Prescott in the head, and that did not get called. If that gets called, it's probably the Cowboys scoring and walking off that victory on the road.
That was definitely a close call, Riv.
It was a close call. Versus the Chiefs, they beat them 21-17. Chiefs had more total yards. They had more passing yards, more rushing yards, more first downs. They were better on third down. And had it not been for an MVS drop, the Chiefs would have been on top in that game, and the Eagles still had a chance.
I think the drop was the only thing because they had multiple opportunities.
But I think that's the biggest play you look to in the game, where the Chiefs could have
fumbling in the red zone too.
The Chiefs could have had the lead late in the game with under 2 minutes left, and the Eagles could have definitely answered back. I'm not saying that they couldn't, but that drop was crucial in that game and would have put the Chiefs up 24-21. And versus the Bills, they beat them 37-34 in overtime. The Bills became the 4th team in NFL history to win the turnover battle, have 500 total yards, and outgain the opponent by 127 plus yards and lose the game. I look at how the Bills lost this game, and I just a bunch of question marks come into my head about Sean McDermott, and he's already on the hot seat. So it just got even hotter. To end the game, Jake Elliott is about to attempt a 59-yard field goal. The clock is stopped.
He's so good.
The Bills have 2 timeouts left. Sean McDermott opts to ice Jake Elliott. Not the worst decision in the world, but if it's me, I'm saying the clock is stopped right now. I have 2 timeouts left with 20 seconds. I'm going to give Josh Allen a chance.
I got one of the best
to try to drive down the field and get a field goal for Tyler Bass. I'm going to do that. Of anybody that should know that you can score in a short amount of time, it should be Sean McDermott.
Didn't he do that against Detroit?
In a divisional round.
Not just that. What he's about to say.
And when the Bills faced the Chiefs in a divisional round in 2021, there were 13 seconds left on the clock. The Chiefs had 3 timeouts. They only used 2 of them, and they were able to get into field goal range. Given how Josh Allen was playing in that game, you give him a chance at the end of regulation to make a play, and you live with whatever negative outcome happens from that. Then we go into overtime, and the Josh Allen and Gabe Davis miscommunication happens where Josh Allen thinks Gabe Davis is running straight. He cuts it outside because he sees Darius Slay has inside leverage, and the ball just goes into nowhere. It's not caught. The Bills have to offer a field goal, and the Eagles drive down the field and score a touchdown. Sean McDermott's defenses in these situations are way too soft, and sometimes they're a tad bit too aggressive, like we saw versus the Broncos. He never has a healthy balance. But I look at all these games that the Eagles have won, and while it's impressive that they're able to win these close games, I feel like in 4 of the 5 of them, they were outplayed in them, but they managed to win. And I think something has to be said for managing to win, even if you are outplayed.
Did Dallas outplay him?
I think Dallas did not outplay them.
Did Miami
Miami
outplay
outplayed us.
I think the Bills outplayed them. I think the Chiefs outplayed them. You can make a case for the Commanders, even though that was a pretty even matchup, but you can also make a case for the Cowboys. I think the Eagles.
You knew he
won.
wasn't going to say Miami.
They didn't outplay them. They didn't. The Eagles
I was not ready to hear Commanders.
I actually wasn't either. I thought it's just funny to me how all these teams seem to outplay us, but yet the end result is us winning.
Situationally, the Eagles are the best in football.
It seems like all these teams are choking.
And I think it speaks to the Eagles being great situations.
Are they the Vikings of this year?
No.
No.
But
I'm just wondering.
When we talk about being by far and away the best team, and like Riv said, coasting through the conference.
The semantics really get come and get you.
He told me he was going to. They are going to coast through the conference. There are instances where I've seen teams dominate in the regular season, and I did not have a doubt in my mind that they would be winning the conference. I'm going back far in history, not that far, but pretty far. 2010, when the Colts and the Saints went to the Super Bowl, there was no question in anybody's mind that these two teams were the best teams in football.
That's tough because that Vikings game, the Vikings easily could have came away
They
with
were,
that one.
but the Saints that year, they were blowing out teams.
They were great.
I mean, I remember they faced the Jets, who went to the AFC Championship that year. They scored 40 on us on our defense. So the Carolina Panthers in 2015 with Cam Newton being 15-1, even though the offensive personnel wasn't the greatest, but the defense was top of the top. The Broncos, when Peyton Manning had 55 touchdowns. There are teams where I say there's not a shadow of a doubt that I think these teams are going to make it to the Super Bowl. With the Eagles, I still think you have to respect the 49ers, and I still think versus the Cowboys, if the Eagles and the Cowboys match up, it's going to be a close game.
It's going to be a good game, Riv. You got to at least respect that.
The Eagles' offense is elite, but the defense is susceptible and it's vulnerable. And I can't call you by far and away the best team in the NFL if you have one group that's elite, but your other group is very vulnerable. And the Eagles defense in any game this year have not shown that they can stop the pass consistently. And I think that's a major issue.
Riv, before you say anything else, because I know you're ready to go crazy.
Yeah,
I understand. Is there a team that's by far and away the best?
No.
This is the most parity I think we've
I
had
just
in the league.
think it's funny how he set me up with the question.
did.
He set me.
We
and I'm-
tried telling you.
No,
you
but
can get
I'm
set up.
fine with the setup because we're 10-1. We're 5-0 in our last 5. We beaten.
Y'all are like that.
We beaten the Chiefs. We've been his darling boy Bills that he all of a sudden found this love for and think they're going to get back in the
Darling boy?
playoffs.
Oh, God.
Then we beat Miami. You're Miami, and then we beat the Commanders. So it's
Can't beat the Jets.
and that Mickey Mouse Jets loss, which we really
Get
should
good.
be undefeated, but whatever. So
The Tua played better against the Jets than Jalen Hurts. Just saying.
he set me up with the question. I'm fine with the question. He goes on. He doesn't think we're far and away the best team in the league because apparently 4 out of these 5 teams keep outperforming us. Okay, but if they keep outperforming us, but in the fourth quarter when shit gets tight, the crowd gets loud, it's time to bring out your situational football. It's time for your players to step up. If these teams continue to not outperform us when it matters,
That's a them problem.
That's going to be your biggest question because you've had a lot of questions
and the only
about
team
Brock
that
Purdy.
can match us is the Niners. Dallas can to a degree, but a lot of people here don't trust Dak. And you've mentioned you don't trust Brock Purdy.
Board.
So if you don't trust Brock Purdy and the Niners and the Eagles go at it and it's that situational football, you're going to trust the Eagles 9 times out of 10 more than you trust the Niners in those situations, which is why I think I'm not saying you're wrong in how you think. I'm saying this is why I think we're the best team. We have the best quarterback in the NFC. If we go up against the Niners, we have the quarterback situation. We have the better offense. Defensively, they're amazing. I understand that. But our offense is so we can run the ball, we can pass the ball, we can do play action. We could do so many things within our offense. There's not many teams, especially in the NFC. There's only, like you mentioned, 2 teams really that we have to really worry about. We don't have to worry about Detroit, Seattle, and none of these teams. It's really just Dallas and the Niners. But I don't know. All these other teams you mentioned, every team we've talked about it. Every team has a weakness, but the Eagles have shown that one weakness that you keep talking about, which is the defense, regardless of that weakness, we are 10-1. We have lost 1 game, and that's because Hurts fucked up at the end.
Is there a team in the league that doesn't have a weakness? You could argue yes.
Who?
The San Francisco 49ers.
San Fran's the only one. Their weakness,
yes.
their
You
weakness,
could argue.
Their weakness is Brock Purdy,
Right.
NFC Championship game going up against Jalen Hurts in
Correct.
Philly. What does that look like?
That's
gonna
technically
be
their weakness.
That's going to be their weakness.
Technically,
But
their
you don't-
weakness.
you
And
believe
someone
someone
who's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league so far.
You believe in Brock Purdy.
For sure, 100%.
So he should be able to play well against the Eagles.
I think so. I think he'll play well.
He should play well.
I think he should play well.
I think we're
against them.
better than them, though.
But I think that's going to be a close game because I think San Francisco is going to be the toughest opponent you'll face.
I don't think we'll destroy
rest of the season.
the Niners. But I think when I say
you
we're going
won't destroy the Cowboys.
No, I think. But when I say let me
And I trust Dak against Philadelphia. I don't trust him against the Niners. That's the only team I don't trust Dak against.
When I say I think we're going to walk through the East, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind we're going to lose any of those games. I think we're going into Dallas, no matter how close it is, I think we'll win. I won't sweat at all. Against the Niners, I'm not going to sweat. I just trust my team so much. And what we have shown, yo, bro, I don't think y'all understand
I get it.
what we've shown. And last year, the talk was schedule was easy. We're blowing teams out. Fine, whatever. Okay, we have a tough schedule this week. Let's see how it looks. Now we are 10-1 again. We are still beating teams, and it might not be the same because we're playing better teams, but now we're beating them in close games, situational games where we have to clutch up. But it's like, what more?
The difference is these last two games. If one thing just goes a little bit differently, that 9 times out of 10 probably goes, you lose the game.
If Jake Elliott misses that kick, you guys lose.
And it's hypothetical.
But Jake Elliott was before that was 8 for 8.
I know that
he was.
But last year they were
more
more dominant. That's what I'm saying. Last year, if you want to have this
more
conversation,
dominant, we just played worse teams.
I think that's fair.
Statement,
I think that's fair. But you're also like MVS dropped a touchdown. Gabe Davis had a wide open touchdown, ran the wrong way. Jake Elliott, he's a GOAT. I'll give it to you.
8 for 8 in those
60-yard field goal in the pouring rain.
60-yard field goal in those conditions.
I love the Eagles.
Let's be semantics. What did I tell you?
You said
59, I feel better than 60. 59, I feel better than 60.
It's not our fault that we got one of the few
I don't disagree.
Travis Kelce fumbled. Is that
But
us?
would you feel the same way if these last two games you lost?
Of course not.
Okay.
No.
How could you feel that way?
Because I'm saying it's one play. In both games, it's really one play that could change the entire outcome.
Because the thing is, like, you can go through every single game and you can nitpick. Well, if this one goes this way, if this way goes this way, of course. Like the Miami, they had 10 penalties. We all watched that game. It was very odd in the ref department. I'm not going to disagree with you. I remember that game. It was very odd. But in that game also, Miami discipline wasn't there. They also were dropping some really good passes that they should. So the penalties, yes, but Miami was fucking up too on their side of the ball. You can't expect me to just be like, well, damn, if Miami catches. Well, that's their fault they didn't catch it.
I'm looking at San Fran. That's a 50-50 game to me. We're gonna play next week. We'll probably play again the NFC Championship game. That's the most 50-50 game.
Let me ask you a question, Dehls. If we go out there and we beat San Fran, then what are you gonna say?
Wrap it up. If you go out there and dominate, because San Francisco is the second best,
and we're in Philly, so if we go out there, let's throw this hypothetical in the air. If we go out there and dominate San Fran, like not like the way they did the Cowboys, but if we go out there and we convincingly from quarter to quarter are beating them, then what are you going to say?
This conversation becomes so much easier.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, then we're far away
but you guys haven't dominated these last few. You've been winning, but you haven't been dominating. You're saying this is something you haven't done in a while. Dominating in another elite team.
Another truth that may be hard to swallow for some is when you're playing the Philadelphia Eagles, the truth of the matter is you have to play perfect football. The Bills played as good as you can against the Philadelphia Eagles, and it still was not enough. A matter of inches where Gabe goes left and Josh throws right. That's the game right there because you're giving Jalen Hurts an opportunity to go down the field and score, which he's already shown you multiple times that's food for him. He can easily get that done. To get into overtime, he did it. To win the ball game, he was able to do it. You have to be perfect when you're playing the Eagles, and if you're not going to do that, they beat you, and you just have to live with that.
Listen, I think you should have faith in your team. I'm not saying you shouldn't have faith in your team. From these games that I've seen, when we talk about are the Eagles by far and away the best team in football, I think the Chiefs are on the level of the Eagles. I think the Ravens are on the level of the Eagles. I think the Niners are on the level of the Eagles.
Maybe a statement that may not be a popular one. I don't know about the Ravens, dude.
I don't completely disagree, but I trust their defense.
Let me ask you a question about the Ravens, because I'm very interested on the Ravens conversation. They are they love to run, but they can also pass. We are a top 10 run defense in the league. Is that not a bad matchup for them as opposed to our defense versus their offense?
Just in the grand
I'm saying
we got a long ways to go before we see.
I also think it's a bad matchup for Jalen Hurts going up against that defense.
Great defense.
Mike McDonald is the best disguiser defenses in the NFL.
Right. But we have but we have so many we don't even got a Goddard right now.
You were doing Goddard without
do you like the Ravens defense more than the Chiefs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
Understand.
tough for me.
If you say that, then I understand.
That's
Okay.
tough for me.
I think the Chiefs are right there, but what the Ravens are doing defensively, like
The
Mike
scheme,
McDonald
I
is
got
going to
you.
get a head coaching job
should.
because of this, because of what he's doing. Roquan Smith, what he's able to do, the corners
Kyle
on the
Hamilton's
outside.
been unreal.
Kyle
Patrick
Hamilton's an
Queen had himself
all-pro.
a
Yeah.
ball game against the
I mean,
Chargers too.
you only not have Marlon Humphrey, but somebody who's really stepped up is Brandon Stevens. He's one of the better corners in the league right now. You have Rockison.
So that's a
They
game
have a lot of depth.
that would come down to the wire. And who you take?
And
I don't-
There's the thing. When it comes to the
With all due
Eagles,
respect,
the
I'm not
Eagles,
going Lamar.
the Eagles in the second half, while they have been a great football team and Jalen Hurts tends to catch life in the second half, I do think that this year has been a struggle for him when he's been under pressure and when he's faced zone defenses. What really opened up the passing game for the Eagles in the second half was the running game. DeAndre Swift breaking runs on the outside. It made safeties come up more to the line, and that opened up the passing game. But I look at these zone-heavy defenses versus the Chiefs. Jalen Hurts did not play a great game. Versus the Bills, he struggled against those zone looks in versus obvious passing situations. Yes, he makes big-time plays, and I'm not knocking him, but against these elite tier defenses that play heavy zone, I think his performance is very much in question to this point. I don't know what I'm going to
The
get.
counter to that, though, is if these teams are going to sit back and zone, the Eagles are going to be able to run on them.
And then running opens up the game, and then it's
Exactly.
over.
For some teams,
I will never doubt Jalen Hurts. I can't do it. He
For-
can't be the question mark. If you're talking about
the
Philadelphia,
question mark will only
the
really
question
be the
mark
secondary.
should be secondary. If your argument against them, which it has been for a majority of this conversation, is the defense, I shake your hand right now. When we start to talk about Jalen being the question, this is where I have to completely disagree.
Oh, he doesn't have to be the main question mark of the team, but he can have question marks individually himself and how he handles certain coverages.
But that's unfair because then at that point you have question marks about every single quarterback in the league outside of one, and that's not right.
Every single player has a weakness, and it just so happens that Jalen Hurts' weakness is this thing that a lot of defenses, the top defenses, play.
But again, for essentially every single game outside of the Chiefs, you look at and think, wow. And the first game of the season against the Patriots, which was obviously an underwhelming one that seems so long ago, he's played high-level football every single week, and it's a tale of two halves. In the first half, he could struggle, but then he can bring it back to life in the second half. I say this every single week we have a show. Jalen Hurts just knows how to execute. To finish this game with 5 touchdowns is insane. They were getting dominated. It was raining, and he was able to execute not only as a rusher, but as a passer and make some very high-level throws on top of it.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm looking at the other teams in the NFL. I'm not saying these quarterbacks are on the same tier of Jalen Hurts, but I think Jalen Hurts is still kind of like a tier below the Josh Allens and the Mahomes of the world as well. When you look at these other
Fair.
quarterbacks, Jared Goff,
It's crazy for someone to say Jalen Hurts is a top 3 quarterback right now.
I still wouldn't have him over Herbert, Allen, or Mahomes.
Herbert,
You didn't say Burrow.
I unfortunately am
Well,
seeing
Burrow's
the
hurt
light.
right now,
Yeah.
so
I'm saying,
Burrow,
but
we
like,
don't. Yeah, but I think those three are clear right now in terms of how they execute their offenses and what they're able to do. But like, for example,
Even I who really
Used
thinks
to be.
the world,
Woo!
I think the world
You
of
fell
this
off
man.
when you Herbert left. You did.
What Jalen's doing this season is insane.
scored him top 10 in the
Jalen
league.
has by far a better team.
But I don't disagree.
No, for
But
sure.
you have to go out there and execute, which is always supreme. It's always supreme.
I look at the Lions. Jared Goff is not the main question mark with the Lions, but it's a major question mark how he performs under pressure because he's somebody that cannot extend the play at all. So if you have a pass rush that can get after him, the Lions are pretty much going to get
Hurts
beat.
is also banged up right now. too.
So there are question marks with every single player. With the 49ers, I think they could stop the run without allocating a ton of bodies towards the line of scrimmage. Like, I think their defensive line is that dominant when you have Hargrave, Armstead, Nick Bosa, and now Chase Young.
Amazing.
They're a team that they can still have bodies in the secondary and they can still stop the run. And that's going to be a matchup.
Their offensive
for
line
the
is shaky,
Eagles.
though.
Their offensive line is
And our
shaky.
defensive line could wreck
Yes.
insane havoc on them.
Yes, there's no doubt. So
Not
I think,
getting a sack on Josh Allen last night also was surprising.
yeah, and I think that just speaks to Josh Allen, how he's able to navigate the
Superhero.
pressure. But yeah, for me, listen, Jalen Hurts is a phenomenal quarterback, but he does still struggle against zone looks. And against these teams, he has not quite passed the test with flying colors. The 5 touchdowns stands out, and I'm not discrediting that in any way. But
Against
you
Dallas,
look at against Dallas, what?
he didn't play a great game.
Against Alex played a great game,
That was
no doubt.
off the bad foot.
And
Don't
that's
forget that.
That's a high level. That's a high level defense.
No doubt. He played a great game. But I'm talking about the Bills game right now. The 5 touchdowns, he had 4 in the second half. The throw to Zacchaeus was amazing.
It was.
Also feel like this had nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. I felt like the defenders really misplayed the ball there. You know, that's a pass. 2 defenders
I'm not laughing
there.
at you. I'm laughing at Riz.
We're talking about 2 of the better safeties in that area. I feel like they misplayed the ball. And also Zacchaeus, he's one of those guys that whenever you see him, he's making a great play. He's kind of like the Jawan Jennings of the Eagles. He just always finds a way to make a play, and he's a great role player. But that play, it was a 3rd and 17, I believe.
Yeah, it was the long one.
So that drive stalled out, and you made a superhero play.
He was in the red
I
zone.
understand it.
That's what happens.
Yeah, but the drive stalled out. You got.
I'm surprised you're not more vocal on this.
I've been trying to find Jalen Hurts stats for his zone coverage for the last 5 minutes. I can't find it.
You make that throw, and then the quarterback draw at the end of the game. The Bills just totally unprepared for that look. And then the Devontae Smith touchdown, one of the touchdowns he had in the second half, it was a fake screen, and all of the Bills defenders bid on it, and Devontae Smith wide open for the touchdown. It's not a discredit to Jalen Hurts, but a lot of the Eagles scores in the second half also came off of mistakes from the Bills. Tyler Bass missing
because of a future Hall of Famer, Kelsey, which would never happen in a regular situation.
A lot of our drives, though, was Swift opening up the game for us, and then Hurts just ending it. And that's nothing wrong with it.
And it's no doubt.
I'm not with the stream. I got it. I'm getting a loading screen right now. Or are we back? Are we back?
Are we good?
I think we're good. It says it's lagging, but I don't know. I'm seeing us live here.
Are we good? Are you guys good now?
We back. Okay.
We're back. Lock in. Continue on your hit.
When I look at that, you know, how many drives did it really drive the length of the field? I still think that it's fair to have question marks about Jalen Hurts versus zone coverage because his numbers against zone are not the best. So that's where, to me, I can't say the Eagles are by far and away the best team.
Even though he did it in the 2 most important drives of the game that the Eagles had.
Yeah, I think, you know, you get credit for that.
Do you think we're the best team in the league?
I think right now, if I'm putting it a tier of all the top,
you don't have to call them by far and away.
I think you
don't have to call them by far and away.
Do you just think we're the best in the league? Are we number 1?
I think right now, yes, I would put the Eagles number 1.
That's fine.
You know, they have the best record.
Far and away is just me being a fan.
They have the best resume of teams they've beaten. So yeah, no doubt. But I still think that right now, to me, there are 4 clear contenders in the NFL. It's the Eagles, 49ers, Chiefs, Ravens. I think all the other teams are kind of a tick below. Those are the favorites right now. Okay. And I don't have any doubt in my mind about that.
You don't have to say far and away. Far and away is me being a fan. I'm going to stand on my team, and we're 10-1.
I will say Jalen Hurts has improved under pressure this year. His pass rate's up by about 20 points. You know, turnover-worthy plays. It's about the same as last year. Big time throws is up. So he has improved there. I'm very eager to see what these zone coverage splits are because I don't know where to find them. Look at next gen stats, but they don't really have a great website.
Listen, because the Niners are favorites. If we go out there and we beat the Niners, I don't want to hear nothing else about none of these teams. I want us in a tier of our own. I want us up here by ourselves, and then the rest of these other teams. We already beat the Chiefs.
Or wants us to.
We didn't play the Ravens.
The power rankings.
Yeah, for sure. I do. I want to have a separate Eagles,
and then everybody else.
We beat the cream of the crop of the AFC outside the Ravens. We beat the Dolphins, the Bills, the Chiefs. We beat Dallas already. Now we beat the Niners. That's the cream of the crop of the NFC.
It's kind of crazy that
it's like
NFL official, whatever the hell, attitude when he won the game yesterday. He comes off the field. He has an interview. He's upset. Do you feel like his attitude where nothing's good enough for me until I win the big one, where, you know me, I'm a big, you're not having a successful season unless you win the Lombardi. I was having this conversation with Joel on the way here. Is it going to get a time where, let's say, if you're an Eagles fan, God forbid, you don't win the championship, is that going to be somewhat of a blemish on Jalen Hurts? Is it going to kind of make him go in a route where he doesn't want to go necessarily for a career? Because look at the way that people talk about Lamar Jackson, an MVP in the league. There was a time period where he was banged up. He wasn't able to show up during the playoffs. And now conversations on his name got dirty. Is it one of those where if the Eagles fall short, someone who should be getting an insane amount of credit in Jalen Hurts, is it going to be one of those that we just look and think, man, are we just not giving him the respect that he deserves? I just don't want to see him have that same kind of career arc that we've seen Lamar Jackson so far, where the only way you're vindicated is a championship. And I know that comes with greatness, but I do wonder your guys' thoughts.
I think fortunately and unfortunately, he was put in a situation where his team became the best team in the league by his year 2 starting.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now their expectation is always Super Bowl or bust, Super Bowl or bust. So him being the quarterback, being the leader, as a quarterback, you get 80% of the credit, and then most of the time you get 80% of the blame. So I think, and last year people had conversations, then he played well in the Super Bowl, so they kind of like, all right, whatever. You nip that in the bug. He didn't have to do much in the NFC Championship game and all that, but he played fucking amazing in the Super Bowl, and it wasn't his fault that they lost. Now, coming into this year, another year with Super Bowl or bust, Super Bowl or bust, if he doesn't win, of course, just off natural human emotion, he's going to get that feedback on the fact that he had a super team. He was put in great positions to win a Super Bowl. He couldn't get it done. Of course, they're going to blame him first. But I think once you really scale it down and you look at it, if it's not his fault, you can kind of give him that pass. But because of the fact that he's in a great situation, the team is amazing, that conversation is always going to be around.
It's like off yesterday. You had a game-winning touchdown. You were in the dumps. You guys were playing horrendous football.
But he also
turned it around.
He expects perfection.
I respect expectations.
When he fucks up one time, he does, like
you saw
I
the
kid you
quote we had. I think it was last week. I just saw it on the NFL's, I don't know, whatever video they put out. But he said, "Rain, sleet, or snow, the Eagles are ready to go." I was like, "Oh, that's so hard."
He could throw like he can go 20 for 21. He's coming off the court. He coming off the field mad.
But you understand what I mean? Like,
he's always
like you're one of the best in the game. You're
when
playing
we win the
high
Super Bowl,
level
he'll
football.
smile.
I think that Super Bowl loss hurt him last year. I think
that's true, bro.
I think he saw that you go, damn near perfect season last year, and it was all for nothing. Like they were 10-1 last season, right? They had the number 1 seed. They kind of more or less the first 2 games in that playoffs handled business with no real type of pushback from the other teams for either, quarterback play from Brock Purdy and just dominating some other games. But I think he's saying that, for one, it's kind of always been his personality. I feel like even at Alabama draft process, when you see old interviews of him, he's kind of always been this very like buttoned up political type guy. So I don't think that's going to change. But I do think the Lamar situation, his is going to be different because Jalen Hurts already been to a Super Bowl. He already performed at the highest level in the Super Bowl. And Lamar's issue has been that, one, he hasn't played up to his regular season standard in the playoffs, and he hasn't been able to win enough in the playoffs. So Jalen Hurts has, like Riv said, snipped that in the butt by going out to the Super Bowl and putting up a fantastic performance, albeit in a loss. Lamar Jackson hasn't really had that moment yet, even though he's won MVPs, and we all acknowledge him as one of the best quarterbacks in the league, because in the playoffs, he hasn't been able to replicate that.
At the end of the day, I think that football is a team sport, but people love to individualize it. Teams win Super Bowls. Tom Brady wasn't always the best quarterback in the NFL statistically in the regular season nor in the playoffs. He won because he had the best teams. And Tom Brady, of course, gets credit because he had a ton of game-winning drives and he performed in the biggest moments. But ultimately, you go as far as your team takes you, and some players can elevate their team a little bit further than others. We see case studies where quarterbacks hold back certain teams, like Jared Goff with the Rams. They go get a Matthew Stafford. But Matthew Stafford went to a team in the Rams that, yes, he played out of his mind in the playoffs, but who had the game-winning play for them on the defensive side? It was Aaron Donald. I think the teams win Super Bowls, and a lot of times we like to individualize this stuff. And while Lamar Jackson has not been perfect in the playoffs, his first playoff game when they were upset as a heavy favorite, I think he had 400 plus total yards of offense. I think 400 or 500. He had a ton of total yards of offense. He wasn't the biggest culprit. The Titans were able to run on that team. And I think a lot of the times we like to make it just a win-loss thing, but I don't think wins and losses are on a quarterback.
I don't disagree.
And that's the biggest reason why people call Justin Herbert overrated. And I think it's stupid because his defense has let up more points than the offense has scored. And it's not because the offense isn't good enough. He's led top 10 offenses. It's because the defense has been that bad. So ultimately, Jalen Hurts is in a great situation because the Eagles have by far the most talent. And Brock Purdy as well. He's in a great situation as well. More so in the case of Brock Purdy, if they happen to win it all, could it be because he's so great? I guess it could. He could go on that type of run. Or would it be because the surrounding parts around him are just so great? And there are a lot of quarterbacks that could be in a similar situation and have similar success. I think that's fair too. And I just don't get into the conversations about trying to individualize everything when it's such a team sport. We're talking like this whole conversation, Jalen Hurts having 5 total touchdowns, willing the Eagles to victory. They got into overtime because of Jake Elliott. They got into overtime because of a great kick. He's a part of the team. It's a team game.
People don't mention kickers enough, man. They really impact the game.
You look at Joe Burrow's playoff run. Evan McPherson having a ton of kicks to walk off the Bengals for them to get victory.
Insane growth.
I never said that players on the outskirts don't matter for the team.
You just never bring up Evan McPherson.
No, it's just that you guys like to discredit Burrow on his run. That's what
we don't discredit.
We don't
do that. What we do is we tell the whole story. That's it. No discredit.
Full picture.
Yeah, but the biggest part of the story is that Burrow was like the best player. That's the thing.
He was pretty good.
That's the biggest part of the story. Like when it comes to the Bengals, that Burrow was the best player. That's ultimately what it comes down to.
Like Riff said, when you win, you're the quarterback. You get 80% credit. When you lose, you get 80% blame. I think that was well said, Riff.
We're gonna have to just continue to do what we do, man. It's gonna be haters.
It's funny now that Hurts is having success. People like to look back on history and act like he is the reason for the Eagles turnaround, and I think he is one of the bigger reasons. But I seen a comment in the comment section right now that said Jalen Hurts took a rebuilding team to the playoffs in his first year starting. That team was not a bad team. Jalen Hurts in his first year starting, Dallas Goedert, top tight end. They drafted Devontae Smith, who was a rookie, but still a great player. The offensive line was top 10. The defensive line was top 10. Nick Sirianni happened to turn out to be a great head coach. Like that team, I had them making the playoffs that year because they were great. And I didn't expect a Jalen Hurts MVP leap. I just thought he'd play solid. If Jalen Hurts gives you solid play, this team will make the playoffs. But now that the Eagles are on this run, it's like, he was the reason why this team was so great. But the team was already trending that way.
And Howard Roseman just can't miss. So
he
goes and trade for A.J. Brown and drafts Jalen Carter. And it's hard to find a move that Howard Roseman made the last couple of years that is like that's a blatant mistake.
But it also goes, you're right. You say he's a big reason. It's like they turned into a super team where Howie Roseman nails every single draft pick. But on top of it, you draft Jalen Hurts in the second round. He turns into at worst, top 5 quarterback in the league right now. Nobody envisioned that, but Howie Roseman saw the vision.
Who's better, Lamar or Hurts? Don't answer. You don't answer. I want Dehls the answer.
I can, man.
Yes,
those are my 2 favorite players in the league.
Answer, bro. You can be honest.
This is the one moment you can be. I would have maybe Hurts one spot higher. I think I would maybe.
You think both of them are top 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're Burrow out, right? I'm doing a little, scapegoating here. I would have for sure.
Yeah.
I would have Mahomes 1, Josh Allen 2. He's been OD this year, and Hurts 3.
And the 4 is Lamar. Who's 5?
Herbert
over Stroud. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, over Stroud.
Stroud over Herbie.
We'll get there soon.
Interesting.
I have
so close.
Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Herbert, Hurts. That's my 5.
Mahomes, Allen. Oh, okay. I'm with
Lamar better than Hurts.
I'm here for.
I gotta ask. Oh boy, over there.
Not insane. Lamar's been amazing. He's been awesome.
Yeah,
he's a unanimous MVP.
Yes,
he is.
Hurts is the favorite right now.
That I've heard some slander on his name on the show before. Is all I'm gonna say.
MVP in the Super Bowl. Don't forget that part.
Who?
Hurts. This year.
Hurts. Yeah. MVP. Okay.
Yeah, Lamar's no.
Like Josh Allen, Michael Jordan. Similar.
This might be the real Michael Jordan year. This might be
only if he was there from the start.
I'm taking the Niners next week after this.
Relax. What
you said it last year and it didn't come true, so I don't want to hear it again.
What with
about Josh?
But I did say the Eagles would go to the Super Bowl.
You did.
Listen, man, we can always go every year, bro. We all have bad takes at the table, Some people picked Will Levis over Brock, shit like that, Other people.
Levis been playing fine.
Really?
Playing bad.
Brock's been playing like MVP.
Yeah,
Tennessee's
top supporting cast in the league.
You in this top supporting cast stuff. Somebody has to throw the ball.
Someone does need to throw the ball.
If you look at
the funny thing about it is, bro, I see you tweet, be like, "Yo, this throw was impressive.
It was
that throw to Ayuk, that throw to George Kittle."
I see Dehls been getting on his Brock Purdy love lately.
I've been here with Brock Purdy. This ain't nothing new.
I don't mean this in a negative way either. I just think it's genuinely funny that you'll praise Purdy, but you'll come up here and then still be.
I be seeing him on Twitter doing it.
Brock Purdy is not a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback.
Well, he's got to have tweets for everything.
There are people that overrate him still, and I think that.
But again, when we talk about you're a big tweet about what we discussed.
Oh, you
think Purdy's been a top 10 quarterback this year?
Statistically, sure, like top 10 in terms of.
What do you mean sure? I don't like that answer.
Jared Goff, Brock Purdy.
I think Jared Goff has been a bit better. I think Dak Prescott has been a bit better.
No,
Dak's been
Dak-
eating.
Dak's been
Dak's
better.
Dak's
He's
better,
been
for
better,
sure, undoubtedly.
I think Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Hurts, Herbert, Dak, Tua.
Shit gets shaky after that, huh?
I think Trevor Lawrence has been
Trev,
better.
Okay. Gino hasn't been better.
No, he
no
hasn't.
way.
Gino's been dealing with a knee injury since.
Would
week
you be
5.
willing to say Trev and Brock's a conversation? I would lean Trev slightly,
I would still
but the
lean Trev.
numbers, I mean, they're pretty obvious.
The numbers, the numbers don't paint.
But they don't paint them.
them.
They don't.
Yeah,
They don't.
they don't.
So many drop touchdowns.
We're gonna talk about Trevor Lawrence.
We are.
Oh, yeah,
Not talking about that
Yeah.
guy. I've been here with Brock though, Riv.
No, but
I've
I
been
just
here.
what I've been saying is I wanted to give you props because I've been seeing your tweets and you've been doing a lot of Brock
I appreciate
propaganda, and I
He-
love that.
He
about
has.
you.
I think he's a great processor. I think he has like probably elite touch with the ball. He's
Great
able
man,
to
bro.
layer the ball. I think
Who do
he
you
has
think is better,
some really good
Tua or
strengths.
Brock Purdy?
They're kind of mirrors of each other. Like it's just Tua's a
He's upset.
left-handed Brock Purdy.
He set
Like
you
I
up.
think they're both really good processors. I think they're both really accurate. They could throw the ball with some great touch. And they're both in phenomenal systems that are elevating them.
You didn't even answer the fucking question.
He sure did it. He
That's
sure
you know,
took the.
That's what
I
that's
do
what Dell's
think-
be doing. Dell's on the show. Don't be giving a take.
You know
Then on
what's-
Twitter,
you know
he'll
what's
say,
hilarious?
"Yo, Brock Purdy, he's moving me," but people on the show wasn't moved. How can you not be
That's
moved?
what I do. I'm not here for hot takes.
Man, we about to before you
okay,
go,
so we'll
Dell.
have to give up an
We're about to get Niko up on here to talk about
Let's go.
CM Punk's return. Niko, how you doing, man? Glad to have you on the show.
How we doing, fellas? How you doing?
What's up,
bro?
Niko? How you doing, bro?
Nico,
What up?
are you the one that just followed me on Instagram?
Yeah, I was watching the show. I was like, I need to follow these dudes on IG before I get started.
That's real.
All right, followed you back. I had to know.
So yeah,
Appreciate
man,
it,
we're excited to
appreciate it.
have you on the show today, Drew. I mean, you talked about when you were messaging me how you're a fan of Drew. Drew's a fan of you right now.
No doubt. No doubt.
Huge fan of Drew, man. I was
appreciate
watching the pod a couple weeks ago, and I seen him wearing the Broncos jersey over the Broncos hoodie and with the Broncos bucket hat. That shit had me laughing hard as hell.
Listen, I said it. Until the Broncos lose, I got a uniform for the podcast. I can't get as fresh as Riv, but I'm going to have my Broncos gear on. That's for sure. But let me give you your flowers, bro. Let me tell you, I got back into WWE because of Santi and because of you, bro. I really got to give you that acknowledgement. Your storytelling on things that happen in the WWE is cream of the crop. You really are excellent at your craft. And then recently, your reactions to Survivor Series, your reaction when Rhea came out to cash in or fake cashed in, Randy Orton coming out, CM Punk. Dude, you just have everything figured out, and I want to give you your flowers too, bro. Keep doing you in that regard.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You got it.
Speaking about CM Punk, he returned to the WWE and on Survivor Series. And man, I feel like the child in me came out when CM Punk came back. I've been waiting on CM Punk to come back, not just in AEW, but we needed it in WWE someday. And for all of us that have been trying to keep up with wrestling, I mean, we thought this day would never come. We thought CM Punk, Triple H, they could not ever put the bygones aside. Niko, tell me about your reaction to CM Punk returning in Survivor Series, and what do you think this means for the WWE going forward?
So for those that don't know, I was born and raised in Chicago, and I live in LA now, so I don't get to see that many shows out there. But once I heard that Survivor Series was going to be in Chicago and Punk had the possibility of coming back, I had to book my flight, get my tickets. So I went out there. Just got back yesterday. I'm back in LA now. But the whole night and the whole, past couple months, we've been getting these rumors. Is Punk going to come back? Is he not? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? So the rumors going up to the show was we got reports that there was going to be no CM Punk at all. So we start the show off. WWE does a little package, no Punk. So we get throughout the entire show. There's only 5 matches, so there was little time for Punk to show up. By the time the match ended, Randy Orton had already come back. We were like, okay, if we get Orton, that means we're probably not going to get CM Punk. So I was kind of hurt by that. So I'm sitting there with my phone, filming a reaction, doing a little sign off for the TikTok that I was going to post. And all of a sudden, as I'm, glazing the WWE, Punk's music hits, and I just go nuts. The entire arena just went crazy. It was a smaller arena. It was only 17,000 in Allstate Arena in Chicago. Everyone just went nuts. And I think, we did see CM Punk come back in AEW, but the WWE return just really hit different for us. For those that are actually wrestling fans and have been watching it or watching throughout his career, it was just a real feel-good moment, and to be there live was great. And I think at the end of the day, WWE is a business, and they realize that CM Punk puts people in seats, and he put me in a seat this week. By the rumors of him appearing, put me in a seat for the first time in a long time, in a couple months, and I think they realize, hey, this guy is going to get us some more viewers, get us some older viewers back that left after he left the company as well. And I think WWE just knows that CM Punk is a big draw, and we saw that at Survivor Series.
Perfectly said. Because you look at the most liked posts on Twitter, CM Punk on WWE, CM Punk on AEW, both of his returns. How crazy is that? You talk about you booked a flight from Cali to Chicago just because of CM Punk. That's the impact that he has. Whether you love him, whether you hate him, you know he is box office. You're talking about it. I got goosebumps. The stadium was shaking. The crowd was going nuts. The guy that has his arm over CM Punk just screaming, Chicago, Chicago. It could only be that he returned that Survivor Series in Chicago, his hometown. It was one of the better moments that WWE has had in some time.
I won't even cap. I'm not a big CM Punk guy, but Randy's my guy. So I definitely
Randy
went on YouTube
was fire.
and I looked it up, and it was definitely giving me goosebumps. I was like, yeah, way back. He's crazy.
When they all showed love to him, they all did vintage Orton, the 5 of them. Yo, the shape that Randy came back in,
he looks good,
bro. He looks
great. I'm telling you, I was there live. The video of Randy on TV did not do him any justice from what he looked like in person. He looked like a goddamn Greek god. He looked phenomenal. He looked pause. He looked phenomenal, but you know what I mean. He looked good.
And he was saying probably he's got like 10 more years locked up.
10 is crazy.
But he was gone. He was gone for. He's definitely over 40 at this point in time.
He's probably early 40s,
I
though.
think.
43.
Yeah.
10 more years. I mean, that's what the legends have done. We saw, of course, Undertaker. We saw Triple H. We've seen Shawn Michaels. They last a while in WWE, but we know how grueling that it is. 10 more years is crazy, especially a year and a half away after having back fusion surgery. That's not no
HBK took like 4 or 5 years off because his back.
For sure.
Yeah.
What do you think this leads into now? Randy Orton is back. I'm not sure who he's going to feud with, but given CM Punk coming back and given the reaction Seth Rollins had to CM Punk coming back, that has to be the next feud up, and hopefully trying to plan that feud up for WrestleMania. I have to assume.
Absolutely, yes. So WWE right now, we're in November. We don't have any pay-per-views until January. So they have 2 months of build-up, and then after January, a couple months after that, it's WrestleMania. So I think with Seth's reaction, the two of them do have beef in real life, but I do think that this is going to be a planned storyline between the two that will eventually lead up to their match at WrestleMania. If I'm WWE, I have Punk face Roman at the Royal Rumble. Get that over with. We'll have Punk lose that match. That's fine. Give him a couple of matches before that. But I do think WWE is planning something big with Punk. For those that actually watch every week, if you watch Monday Night Raw, it's a 3-hour-long show. Most of it is filler. Most of it is kind of boring. So, and you're only watching maybe 30, 45 minutes of it, which is the actual action. So I think now that WWE has a Randy Orton back, has a CM Punk back, they can fill out a lot more of Monday Night Raw and get people to actually tune in and watch the full 3 hours. Because if you're actually watching it right now, you're not really watching the full 3 hours. And with the announcement tonight that Randy Orton is going to be opening the show and CM Punk is going to be closing the show, you actually get the fans and, older fans who stopped watching Raw because it was so long and boring to stay from start to finish.
And then they said today, sorry, Joel, they said today, first hour, commercial free.
Commercial free, yeah.
But one thing I will say that I kind of worry about, Cody Rhodes came back. We saw him have 3 matches with Seth Rollins. They kind of prolonged that one a little bit too long. Now, the fear that I have is that they do something similar again with Seth, but now with the CM Punk. Now, where do we see Cody and his storyline now go? Looking at a Jey Uso and a Randy Orton, the two, they had some issue in War Games where you saw Jey kind of put that aside, hit him with a super kick, was able to, of course, win the match, end of the day. But again, interested to see how Randy also incorporates himself into this. And then, of course, the Tribal Chief, the Bloodline. There's just so much that the WWE can do. It'll be hard to mess it up. But that would be the one thing that I do worry about is if they repeat history by having CM Punk and Seth Rollins feud just a little bit too long.
I'm jealous of Niko right now because he's about to go watch.
I was about to say, in 13 minutes, he's got work to do.
But I'm glad that CM Punk is closing out the show.
Yeah, I was texting. I said, can you get me out by 5? Because Raw starts at 5, and I got to record a reaction, or else people are going to be on my ass. Like, where's your reaction at? I'm like, come on, man.
Before we get you out of here, Niko, you're a fan of the Chicago Bears. You guys are not
unfortunately
looking too good. But I got a question I want to pose for you.
Respect Justin Fields.
When it comes to the Chicago Bears, are you an advocate for drafting a quarterback, or do you want to keep Justin Fields?
Before you answer, this is going to be the moment where you decide if you're going to ever come back or not. I would answer wisely.
I am fully 100% behind Justin Fields
Real.
to the day I die. That is
Real.
my
We
guy.
here.
It's not Justin's fault. It is our coaching. Matt Eberflus gotta go. That dude is ass. He is a horrendous coach. He is 6-22 in 2 years as our head coach. The worst winning record as a Bears head coach in history. And he's just messing up Justin Fields' entire game. Last year, we let him cook. He was 63 yards away last year from having the all-time rushing record for a quarterback. Design runs, RPOs, moving pockets is what we were doing with him last year. Now this year, he turned him into a drop-back quarterback, and he's just messing up Justin's game. Our offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, got to go. And as Riv said earlier in the show, 80% of the blame when the team is losing goes on the quarterback. And I think it's just unfair for Justin. And with, Caleb Williams being that generational quarterback up in the draft now, the first one in a couple years, I think that's, those rumors are swirling saying, hey, get Justin out of here, bring in Caleb Williams and do a fresh start. Any quarterback under Matt Eberflus is playing like garbage. But our O-line is garbage. Our O-lineman, Braxton Jones, Hall of Fame holder, that dude is ass. He is garbage. And I just watching this team every week, man, it's disgraceful. It really is. So I think our coaching needs to be out. The Panthers today clean house. The Bears should do the same. New offensive coordinator. New head coach, preferably offensive minded. That guy from Detroit. What is his name? Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson. Bring in Ben Johnson. Even with Jared Goff, who's not the best quarterback, still got them to a top 5 offense last year. They're top 10 this year. I think he'd be a great coach for Justin Fields. And the Bears ownership is garbage, so they probably won't do it. And I'm stuck here every week, screaming and yelling. If you guys see me on Instagram or TikTok, you'll see me posting those screaming videos last couple of weeks ago when we were up 26-14 in the fourth quarter and people give up 17 points and lose the damn game. I know Drew a couple of weeks ago, week 4, we were playing his Broncos. We're up. What were we up? We were up
28-7.
21
right?
points.
That was the
21 points. 21 points at home. Give up 17 points in the fourth quarter and lose 31-20. I was like, oh damn, this is some bullshit.
That was back when I was upset when the Broncos won.
I know.
But I tell you,
that
I think that game made or break whether or not we were going to fully embrace the tank.
Oh no, if you lost, you'd been like 0-4.
We would have been 0-4.
Yeah.
That was a great comeback.
Yeah,
that was a great comeback, especially after
Fields was on a heater that day.
he was tweaking
awesome.
on us.
Yeah.
And think about that. Week 6, Broncos, Vikings, and Bears all entered at 1-4. My fucking light just went out. At 1-4, Sean Payton brought the Saints back to 5-6 in a winnable division. And then Kevin O'Connell, without Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins, brought the Vikings back to 6-5. With a quarterback who's been on their roster for less than a month. So if you don't think coaching matters, it does. And the Bears coaching obviously has showed that it is the coaching's fault.
He fried up right there. He fried
I
up.
didn't even realize
there.
that. Like, he cooked for sure.
Now, before we get you out of here, is there anything that you want to shout out before you go?
If you haven't followed me or not, if you're a wrestling fan, follow me on TikTok at TGQ Chairman for those that like wrestling, on IG as well. Follow your boys on Pick a Side Podcast. Been watching you guys for a while now. Love the show and I appreciate you guys for having me.
Hey,
Appreciate
Niko,
it,
appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, bro. Be good, all right? Enjoy Monday Night Raw.
My pleasure, boys. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
I like him.
Cool ass
Cool
dude, man.
Cool dude.
Headphones off.
That's time.
It's only time to show you guys wear headphones. Oh man, thank God he came because we were about to get into a whole Brock Purdy debate and shit.
Who needed that?
No one needed
It's
that.
been a while.
We don't need it.
Because
He has nothing to say anymore. We don't need any of that.
He's been hooping.
We were due for a Brock Purdy.
You know what's funny? The Eagles game could make or break whether he shits on Hurts completely or shits on Brock Purdy.
Unless they both have a good game.
Oh, if they both have, he's
You
fine.
think I'm shitting on Hurts?
No, I think
he's accepted Hurts.
I think
he's accepted.
I
Hurts.
think you'll find a way.
Bringing him in as a potential weakness, though, I didn't love that statement.
Everybody got a weakness. He hasn't played well against zone, bro.
Again, like I said, every
What's Joe
quarterback
Burrow's
but one
weakness?
does.
I'm actually curious. What's Joe Burrow's weakness?
Taking sacks.
Okay.
Yeah. But in terms of Joe Burrow's the best zone coverage quarterback in the NFL. He can dissect zone better than any quarterback in the NFL. Really, the weakness he has is that he can't make the throws of the superhuman quarterbacks in the league,
60-yard bombs,
like the Mahomes and Allen. And then he does take too many sacks at times, but that was an issue that he cleaned up severely. When they made the Super Bowl, that was a really major knock on his game. But the very next year, he cleaned that up to the point that he doesn't do that anymore. And on top of that, he struggled against 2-man high coverages, and then he was the best quarterback against those coverages that very year. So the two biggest weaknesses he cleaned up. Jalen Hurts going back to last year versus blitzes and versus zone was not very good. He was bottom of the league. This year, like Dehls mentioned, the pressure numbers have cleaned up, but the zone stuff he still struggles with. And I think if you watch the games, those zone looks still give him some issues. It's not an issue that is he can't deal with, but it's something that he's definitely not top of the line of when he faces that.
Type shit. No, yeah, I understand.
Here we go. Second topic.
The Chiefs scored 17 points.
Third. Oh, yeah.
And because that was
Thank God. I was like, it's over.
The Chiefs scored 17 points in the second half versus the Las Vegas Raiders. And that begs the question, did they fix their second half offensive woes? Because coming into this game, they had 0 points, I think, in the last 3 games in the second half. You had Drew tweeting after the first half. The Chiefs were frauds. Then they managed to score 17 points in the second half.
Chiefs fans should be thanking me.
And it's like,
it's the Raiders, bro.
The way that they got versus the Raiders, they only held the Dolphins to 20 points. One of the most explosive offenses in the league.
It's not my Dolphins.
They got a guy out there that fumbled and threw an interception in that.
Who's that guy?
game.
What's his name?
I think it rhymes with Wua.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so you're saying W.
That's a good one.
It's not about the opponent. It's about what they did in this game. I think they finally capitalized on what works for them. Andy Reid is one of the best coaches at getting his wide receivers out in space. And I think Rashee Rice's big day was made because he was out in space. The 30-plus yard touchdown that he had on the crosser, Travis Kelce took attention away from 2 defenders that led to Rashee being that wide open. The Chiefs are at their best when they're manufacturing plays to get the ball in their playmakers' hands. Pacheco didn't have the most efficient day, but they made it a point of emphasis not to only run the ball, but to involve him in the screen game. And Pacheco, you can argue, is their second best offensive playmaker right now. It's Kelce, it's Pacheco.
No argument.
Well, between him and Rashee Rice.
I think Rashee.
I think Rashee Rice deserves some recognition.
Pacheco has been doing it essentially all season, where we're seeing Rashee kind of just do it in spurts. Although
they don't really but they don't let him. They don't give him the full range.
They're winning differently.
The reason for that is because he's a rookie, and we had conversations early on that Andy Reid hasn't really supplied a rookie wide receiver to really have that type of real dominant.
Kelsey's also been banged up. Who would take most of the lower?
Sure.
But you look at the box score: Rashee 8 receptions, 107 yards, a touchdown. First Chiefs wide receiver to go over 100 yards since week 7 of last year. Kelce had 91 yards on 6 receptions. Important numbers: 0 turnovers and only 1 wide receiver drop.
Yep.
Even with them going scoreless in the second half, I feel like if you paid attention to how that was happening, it was a lot of mistakes. In the second half, Kelce fumbling in red zone territory against the Eagles, the MVS drop. There were places where they could have scored, but a mistake cost them from scoring, and I think they cleaned those up. And that's why the Chiefs offense, to me, I'm not very worried, because I know they have Mahomes, and as long as they clean up fixable mistakes, they will be fine, because Andy Reid is still scheming up these receivers open and at least giving them a chance, especially when Travis Kelce is getting so much attention. So as long as these receivers that are very much unproven can just do their job, I think the Chiefs offense is fine. And Dehls, you mentioned that you saw some interesting things, so I'm curious to see what you saw.
Yeah, it's the points you hit on, that these last few weeks, and I don't want to say like injuries made this a good thing for them, but without having Hardman, who got placed on IR, Kadarius Toney missed this game, I think Andy Reid was kind of forced to design plays for his best players. And it seems so intuitive and it seems so obvious, but we've seen this Chiefs offense over the years really spread the ball around, especially last year and this year once Tyreek Hill left. But the fact that they were down a couple of receivers, I think put more of a priority on getting Rashee Rice the ball. He had his best game of his career. Travis Kelce had 90 yards, his best game since week 7 when he played the Chargers. Isaiah Pacheco had 5 receptions. That was the second highest of the season so far. So I do think the fact that they were down a couple of guys kind of reprioritizing and saying, we need to get our best players the ball because the depth behind them now we're getting to kind of practice squad players, 5th, 6th stringers instead of our normal 3rd and 4th stringers. I think that was a big help for this Chiefs offense. And I do think that the Chiefs offense we're seeing now, we get so just normalized with Patrick Mahomes' greatness, Andy Reid's greatness, and their own right, they still are great. I don't think it's the same offense that we've been accustomed to for the first few years of Patrick Mahomes' career, when you have the insane blow-up games, when you have these crazy comebacks, when you have 13 seconds being able to drive down the field and kick a field goal. I don't know if the Chiefs' offense is explosive enough to do that week in and week out. I don't trust them as much as some of these other offenses like San Francisco, like Philadelphia on a week-by-week basis, because they just have so many different ways to attack you. With the Chiefs right now, it's Travis Kelce you were terrified of, but he has an ankle injury. He's a bit banged up.
He's frustrated about it too.
If he's not going to be 100%, it doesn't matter how great Patrick Mahomes is. He can't by himself be able to get guys open down the field, especially when some of these guys that do get open have some drop problems like MVS and Kadarius Toney in their own right. But I think the biggest thing is what Joel mentioned was the self-inflicted wounds that we had seen these past couple of weeks did not present itself in this game. They had 1 drop pass, 0 interceptions, 0 fumbles, and just 4 penalties all game. The Raiders had 0 penalties, so credit to them. But that was really their biggest issue these last couple of weeks, where the problems they were putting on themselves, where if they were just playing clean football, they probably win that game against the Eagles, right? MBS catches that pass, Travis Kelce doesn't fumble. We're looking at a different outcome. And you look at the rest of season schedule, they got the Packers this upcoming week, the Bills, who are going to be fighting tooth and nail to get that last playoff spot, then the Pats, Raiders, Bengals, and Chargers to finish out the year. So we're probably still going to be looking at this team as, one of the top seeds in the AFC. Sorry, what'd you say?
Huh?
I didn't hear what you said.
I didn't say anything.
I don't know. Everyone's
He
giving
mentioned
The Bills went out.
He mentioned a comment early in the show how the Bills became my darling, and he kind of totally acted like he's not the Bills guy on the show.
You are the Bills guy, undoubtedly.
Josh guy, for sure.
You are a Josh guy.
I'm not the one here who thinks they can make the playoffs now.
You don't think they're making the
Douglas was getting
playoffs?
fried.
You don't think they're
Rasul
making the
Douglas
playoffs?
was indeed getting picked on.
He was getting fried.
Well, I mean, fuck do we expect? It's
He's not a bad ball
He was
player.
good.
he's not, but I don't think he's like a number one.
No, you traded a 3rd round pick for him. You're expecting him to be playing number 2.
They'll do some shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's been playing well though. So
Rasul, yeah, he did.
he's
I
been
thought
playing
played
well.
well.
Like
He
he's
didn't
been
play
playing
well against the Eagles in the second half.
He was still good though. He played well
He
before
had a
that.
near interception in the second half.
He had
Word,
a damn near great, could have been player of the week moment. I think was it last week or 2 weeks ago? He had who did he play against the Jets? He played well against the Jets.
Everyone plays well against the Jets.
So
But
would
yeah,
you, would,
I
are
am
you,
sorry.
would you
Chiefs
all
Chiefs are
pick
good.
the Chiefs to beat the Bills in 2 weeks?
That's gonna be
Where's
that's
it
gonna be
at?
a close game. I'll check.
They've done it before.
The issue becomes is the
I
Chiefs.
think it's an Arrowhead.
The Chiefs' defense is
It's
amazing.
indeed an Arrowhead.
I don't worry, even though I could have my reservations about this Chiefs offense going up against the Raiders, who have been playing some solid football. Got to give credit where credit is due. We're talking about 2 division rivals here, so my bias really can't be put too at a forefront. But
They both own you.
we just beat one. Week 18, we'll handle business again. But when you look at this, the Chiefs and going up against the Bills, before I get into the conversation that we are discussing, ultimately going up against the Bills defense still isn't great. We saw that against the Eagles where they looked great for a half, but in a situation where it is raining in the second half, Eagles were still able to do whatever they wanted essentially. Now, when you're looking at the Chiefs defense is far better than the Philadelphia Eagles. And where the Bills' strength is their offense, primarily Josh Allen, they're going to have to be put in a position where they need to score. The offense,
Yeah,
awesome.
Bills offense
Looks
look
awesome,
much
but
better.
really it's Josh Allen just elevating and taking it to that level. Stephon finally got involved in the game. We kind of seen him be quiet, but we're seeing Dalton get involved. We're seeing James Cook get involved in the
Knox is
passing
back
Gabe
this
Davis
week,
had a
too.
big game.
Finally.
It's about fucking time.
It did take some
Those
time.
primetime games, he shows up, man.
He's a weird guy,
Khalil
bro.
Shakir's good for a big player to a game as well. But you look at that Chiefs offense, I don't worry about it going up against a Bills defense. It's going up primarily against the cream of the crop defense right now there are limited number of them. So going up against the Buffalo Bills, especially when the Chiefs do own the Buffalo Bills, come playoff time, they did win in the regular season last year.
Yeah.
I think that I would lean Chiefs.
This is another kind of semi-rivalry. You know, Buffalo and Kansas City have seen each other a good amount of times over the past couple of years. And Kansas City kind of seems like the big brother, like the Golden State to the Memphis Grizzly type vibe, like the big brother and little brother trying to get over. But defensively, Sean McDermott, yeah, he has to put on a masterclass against the Chiefs. I think that's just as simple as that. He has to.
Do you think it'll happen?
Huh? What?
Do you think it'll happen?
I think Josh will play amazing.
Do you think it'll happen?
Yeah,
I think the Bills, if they don't beat the Chiefs, which I think that's a toss-up game still, it's weird with the Bills.
60-40.
What did you say?
The Bills,
Bills, what?
His darling, his darling voice. That's his new.
It's funny.
Second half.
It's funny.
Pickup.
It's funny when it comes to the Bills because the Bills, despite their record, I think they are still one of the better teams in the NFL.
I agree.
Like I think they're a top 10 team in the NFL.
No,
you know what? I take that back.
Yeah.
They're not your darling boys. My fault. They're your darling boys.
I mean, week in and week out, they're playing some top level competition and just coming up short.
They've shot themselves in the foot too much this season to maybe
the Patriots
come back from it. But you look at I think the three biggest instances this season that's really cost them. Losing to the Jets week 1 off the punt return
Patriots game
touchdown.
for sure.
The Patriots game.
Denver.
The Broncos game was a game that was very winnable. Those are 3 wins right there. But
And the Eagles game, that's the game you should
4.
win.
yes, but even if they win 2 of those games, the
They'll be
Jets and the
fine.
Patriots game, they're in great position right now.
Even the Jaguars game, they fucked up a lot in that game too.
I think they lose to the Chiefs. I think they run the table after that. I think they beat the Cowboys, the Chargers, the Patriots, and they beat the Dolphins.
The Cowboys is in Buffalo. That's why I would side with Buffalo.
That's
You know who else went to Buffalo and won the game?
Who?
Russell Wilson.
Oh, for sure. That was right. That
I'm
was
just
the
saying
first
that home field advantage isn't where you ultimately just have to
they're
lean
5-2
Dallas.
at home.
But Dallas is just playing better ball than the Bills.
They're 5-2 at home.
I understand, but one of those losses, I'm just saying they're beatable.
Barely. This is 5-2
Yeah,
is
but it's just difficult.
You lost to the
because-
Broncos, who aren't good.
yeah, but 5-2 is come on.
But the
we
Bron-
just ignore the way they lost that stupid ass game.
That's on them.
It
It's
is.
a
No,
terrible
I'm
way.
glad you said it. That's 100% on them that game.
They,
Yeah.
they played.
They were on bullshit.
They played stupid defense that last drive.
Stupid offense
They're
too.
very
They were trolling.
undisciplined, and you turn the ball over a ton.
Sure.
Them problem.
So I think the Bills, they're going to put themselves in a position where they'll be 10-7. I don't think that gets you into the playoffs in the AFC. I don't. If you look at the Colts remaining schedule,
Easy.
the Colts, Steelers, and even the Browns remaining schedule, their schedule's light. And I think those
You're
teams
forgetting a team.
will
baby.
have 10 wins. The Broncos schedule is not the most
Let's
difficult
get
either.
delusional.
What do you
I'm
6
all
and
in.
5?
They got
6
the
and 5.
Texans though.
When's
You
your-
have one on
when's
the
your
tough
bye?
opponent,
We're right
right?
behind. We already had it.
Oh, okay.
You have Miami. No, you play Miami. Texans. Who you have another tough opponent. You have at least one more. I know.
Texans is 50-50.
Texans, yeah, but
We
they're
And
play
order-
Houston, Los Angeles twice, but it's
Chargers
Houston,
twice,
LA, Detroit.
Detroit.
Winnable game.
Yeah.
Winnable game.
At this
I'm
point,
sure,
yes.
for sure.
Winnable game. New England, Los Angeles again, and Las Vegas.
At this
Believe it or
point-
not, you want to know the toughest game on this slate?
Raiders.
Detroit.
Fucking Raiders.
Oh.
Fucking Raiders.
Really?
Yes.
They give
We
them
have
hell.
lost
They've been,
8
the
in
Raiders
a
been
row
playing
to
well.
them.
Raiders
Hey,
have
listen,
played well.
Like everything in my life. Streaks end this year,
I
baby.
think that game against Houston, Mr. Don't turn the ball over, and you guys, it's gonna be interesting.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
chatting for
That's gonna be
comedy
a tough game
purposes.
to pick.
Houston's home?
Texans game
Houston's
is tough.
home.
They are home.
That's a tough game.
I'm worried.
They're 4-2 at home this year. I
And they-
believe.
That boy in the fourth,
Listen, at
he
the end
in
of the
that
day,
mode.
like the Bills is not looking good, but until they're down and out and shot, I'm not going to count them out.
I have a question.
So the same reason why I had them beating the Eagles is the same reason I think they'll beat the Chiefs. I just think that off the bye week back against the wall, they have to win a game. I'm going to pick them to win that game. Until
Damn.
they're totally out, I'm not going
You know what's
to.
serious when he's picking against the
against
Chiefs?
But you're Chiefs.
I have a question.
I am the Chiefs, but I
unbiased.
think
Don't
the
forget that.
Bills. Yes, I am the most unbiased analyst in the world. I think the Chiefs.
You should throw that shit away.
The Chiefs-
immediately.
The Chiefs and Bills going to be a close game. You know, the
It
Bills
usually
this
always
year,
is.
They have not been all the close games the Bills have been in. I think they're 2-7 in one-score games this year. Or that's a wrong stat.
Yeah, they don't.
I know that they have 6 losses currently.
They haven't got
All
blown
those
out.
6 losses have come in one-score games, though.
Mhm.
So
How loud were you ready to get if the Bills beat the Eagles yesterday?
not loud. I mean, they still are not.
They're not
They're not
buttoned
in a
up
great
enough.
position.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, like me picking the Bills.
No,
was
I
just
only
off
mean
of
it
my
just
trust in
off the
Josh Allen.
Eagles. Like that's
Because
what
we
I
were
mean.
talking a lot of shit about that pick.
That's what I mean.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm coming to the show with the same energy. You know, everything that happened yesterday was a great game. And
was.
I'm
Oh my
coming into
God,
the
it
show
was
like
so good.
the game was such a toss up that I don't have a takeaway really for either team. The biggest takeaway is that the Bills are really in danger of missing the playoffs. That's really the biggest takeaway.
Bring them M8.
The real new, baby.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
What the fuck?
Let's not get. You're not getting Marvin Harrison.
You know who's really
Malik
has
Neighbors.
you know who has a real chance of
I don't
getting
think
Marvin?
either.
Our brothers
Facts.
over here.
He won't get past Chicago, buddy. You're cooked.
Chicago.
They're gonna take him 1-1.
They're gonna. Chicago
four.
is gonna. How many wins Chicago have now?
2 or 3. They have. You have more than them.
They have 3.
They have 3.
I'll be
So
honest,
if-
bro. The Jets are in another game all season.
But if the Bears don't, they have what, 1 and 4 or 5.
Yeah, but
They'll
one
be
they're
in front of
taking
you.
quarterback.
Yeah, but one of them will be
We're
Marvin
gonna
Harris.
have to
But I
investigate.
don't
that.
And
think-
Arizona's not. Marvin Harris doesn't get past Arizona.
Maybe.
You're
No, he
fucked,
doesn't.
bro.
He
You're not
doesn't.
getting Marvin Harris.
No, I think 1 and 2. I think it's gonna be Chicago because of the Panthers and New England. So I think it'll be.
But then Arizona will be 3.
Yeah, possibly. I'm cool with the tackle too.
Yeah,
Cool
no,
with
you
tackle.
should
Bro.
be good.
Marvin Harrison going to the Jets wouldn't be that bad.
I would love.
No, I
Marvin,
just
but
don't
I'd
think
love
they'll get him.
tackle
Would love K1 to get Marvin. I would
I'd
love
also be-
that.
I'm actually.
We're not-
way
we're not
happy
gonna
to
get him.
I'm
We're not
like,
gonna
I
get
would
Let's
love
manif-
that.
Can we manifest?
We're not gonna
No,
get
Y'all
him.
are terrible
no,
manifestors.
manifest Marvin with K1.
I know,
That's
but
what
I'm
we
just
should
talking to
do.
my brothers over here.
Fuck him.
The other day I was playing Madden and
No
I
offense.
was,
Love you,
I was
bro.
talking to JC. JC is telling me he thinks it's realistic we get Marvin. I just, even if we don't win out, even if we
JC
lose
was
out,
not happy on Twitter. the other
JC's
day.
was
talking
not-
about fire
Yeah,
Salah. He
Salah.
was
nah,
going
he hates
nuts.
Salah, but I don't disagree. I
He's
mean,
not
listen,
the only person I've heard shit on Salah, honestly.
we are one of the more undisciplined teams in football. That's on Robert Saleh.
Mhm.
I think he lost the locker room when we didn't trade for a quarterback. That's on Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. And I don't like how Robert Saleh handled the press conference when asked about Zach Wilson in terms of
Pleading the fifth.
him and Joe Douglas weren't on the same, like basically saying that he had his thoughts about the pick, and that's between him and Joe Douglas and shit. I think that was kind of a cop out for him. I think both of them wanted Zach Wilson, and I think while Zach right now he has not been good,
Here we go.
It's the Chiefs topic, by the way.
we failed Zach Wilson.
I have a question about the Chiefs.
Okay, what's
And
the question about the
unironically,
Chiefs?
versus the Chiefs, that's when Zach had his best games.
Yeah.
Enough.
Mahomes
Enough.
and one of the
Enough.
greatest defensive players of our generation, Chris Jones, is a Zach Wilson fan.
He is.
They understand the talent, man. And if he was in a, sometimes I dream about a scenario that
You dream about another
the
man's scenario?
Jets
Come on,
passed
you know who
up
you're
on Zach
talking to?
and the 49ers drafted him, man. Just give him a chance. Give him a chance with a good
He-
situation. Maybe he ends up like Trey Lance. Maybe he doesn't. You never know, but just give him a
See,
freaking
that's why
chance.
the whole Niners shit never sits right with me. It's like Trey
All
Lance
that
got
draft-
drafted there, played 2 games,
he got hurt though. That's
All
what
that
really
draft
messed him
told
up.
then
me
never
was-
was able to win it back. That's on him.
Brock Purdy took the job more than Trey Lance lost the job, in my opinion.
Brock Purdy was in that same draft, right?
He was.
Trey
all
Lance
that told
definitely
me is
lost
he-
the job.
Zach and him should have switched
Brock took
spots.
him to-
Zach
Brock
should have
was
been the last
amazing.
pick in the
No,
draft.
no, Brock won the job, but Trey Lance not beating out Sam Darnold.
No,
he
I
most
don't.
definitely
it's
lost
QB2.
it.
They were the same draft.
So regardless,
That
I
was
mean,
2 years ago.
Yeah,
he
it
was after?
2021.
if your
was the
number
year
3
after.
pick is
He was
So
the
who
year after.
draft was
Straight, it's
Brock?
not a big difference.
Brock
He was a
Stroud-
rookie
Kenny
last
Pickett.
year.
Kenny
Oh yeah,
Pickett.
facts.
Oh, he's better than all of them.
Wait, no,
oh
It's
my
not even
God.
close.
He might be better than the class before.
Well, Trevor Lawrence is in the class.
Oh fuck. All right, fine. Other than that, though, Zach, he's better. Justin, unfortunately, late twin, he's better. Trey Lance, bust.
Mac Jones.
Clears.
Shout out to Theo Ash, said he's as close to a regular person being in the NFL as it gets. That shit had me crying.
Riv, what was your question about the Chiefs?
I did have a question because we were talking about the Eagles before, and we were talking about how they've been in all these close games and they've been winning, but we don't know if that's a recipe for success down the road. If there's one team that can do it, though, it's them, right?
Mhm.
So the question flips on the Chiefs because they did kind of fix their second half woes against the Raiders,
They
but
did one game.
in other primetime games, I think they were averaging like 5.3 points a game in the second half or in the fourth or some shit like that. In other games that are much more important than this Raiders game, they haven't been able to solve it in the fourth quarter, in the second half, in the fourth quarter. So I want to hear a solution outside of it's just Mahomes and Andy Reid. They'll figure it out. I would love to hear actually more, realistic.
I think it's what they did in this Raiders game, and
But do you think they continue with it?
they should. It worked, and the Raiders, I know we kind of think of them as just this
They play
laughing
better.
stock, but I think Antonio Pierce. We're going to talk about this week in the NFL. We're going to talk about some head coaches in a little bit, but Antonio Pierce, if I'm the Raiders, is the head coach next year. He's changed around the locker room. They had 0 penalties. Everyone's bought
They
in.
just
So
released Marcus Peters too.
yeah, it's not like this Raiders team is just a laughing stock and just walk right over them. Like you mentioned, they held Miami to 20 points, right? That goes to show how good this Raiders defense
And
really
O'Connell
has
had
been.
3 interceptions.
Facts, and you have Max Crosby who is banged up too. But I do think it seems so obvious. But the fact that they could get cute at times, I feel like when you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Travis Kelce and a great offensive mind, you could be like, we could screw around for a bit, and eventually we'll just figure it out. The last couple of drives, we'll get Kelce, we'll run around for 10 yards, and Mahomes just find Kelce and everything will be good. But the fact that they've seen over this last month or so that they can't always go to that, because I think more than anything, Travis Kelce is banged up. He doesn't have the same sort of quickness and explosiveness in and out of routes that we've seen even earlier this season or in previous years, that they have to get a bit more buttoned up and play within structure. Mahomes can do it. He's much better out of structure. That's when you get the amazing out of these world plays. But if Mahomes is able to play in structure and get the ball to Rashee Rice, get the ball to Travis Kelce, and use Isaiah Pacheco, who had a great game, I think that's the recipe, rather than let's take this MVS shot. Let's do a jet sweep to McCole Hartman. Let's get Kadarius Toney on the screen pass. Get the ball to your best players as often as you can.
Now, Mahomes had a dot to Kelce. I don't even know how the fuck he fit that ball.
It was on a trick. Oh, wait. Oh, no. It's on the left side.
Yes, bro.
There was a dot Trevor Lawrence had to, I want to say it was Kirk.
Yeah,
It
Kirk.
was
Yeah, that was OD.
crazy,
He had
OD,
one to
bro.
Kirk and to Ridley.
It was like the shit. It should have been a pick.
Trevor was OD.
He was otherworldly.
He
That was an
was.
awesome duel. Him and CJ.
He's
I
one.
was-
He's on your list.
Jets
I
legend
like
Matt
Trevor. I
Amendola
like
came up
CJ.
short.
Listen, man, those guys are great
AR guy.
quarterbacks. I like watching them play.
Nothing wrong with being an AR guy.
Yeah, just remember the AR guy.
Anthony Richardson, he's also phenomenal.
He was,
It's
he
a
was
shame he got
amazing.
hurt.
Minshew might be better.
Respect,
No,
it,
he's
bro.
not.
Stop it.
No.
Don't.
Just trolling.
Thank God.
They are 6-5.
To answer your
Imagine if
question,
they are.
Shane Steichen.
We don't know.
Great coach.
Reed is at his best when he's giving the defense eye candy. What I mean by that is the defense plays where they're not supposed to play.
Mhm.
Rashee Rice touchdown was an example of that, where you have Kelce in motion and that drew the defender in the box towards him, and that was his assignment was Rashee,
Mhm.
but him having that sleight of motion and following Kelce for that split second opened up the lane for Rashee Rice. So I think it's about the Chiefs just running more motion and tricking defenders into spots they're not supposed to be in to open up the field for these other guys, because you're not going to trust any of them one-on-one to win on routes. So that's how you have to use them. You have to manufacture plays for them. Like versus the Eagles in the Super Bowl, the 2 touchdowns they scored on you guys were off of two of the many touchdowns they scored were off of motion plays. It's about that. It's about utilizing more of that. And I think Andy Reid, he's not going to get deep into his bag until the playoffs start. I mean, this is the team that they've been to the playoffs. They know that's what matters the most. So I think in the regular season, they're still going to cruise by. But the real plays are really going to come in the postseason where we go, wow. And it's just going to be on the receivers to catch the ball. If the receivers catch the ball, the Chiefs they have one loss right now.
Yeah.
If they catch the ball, they have one loss. So really it's on them just to catch the ball.
Who they beat?
They have 2 losses, correct? Or 3 right now. They lost to the Lions. The Brian Branch pick 6 was off a drop pass. If the receivers catch the ball in that game,
Also,
a lot
no
of
Kelce,
shit
no
there.
Kelce, no Chris
I give
Jones.
you that.
Yes.
Detroit, you can
they
walk
should have
past
beat
that.
Detroit. What's the second loss?
The loss they just had
the
to Philly.
Broncos. The Broncos.
Yeah,
The Broncos, that was just the
You play like
Denver's
shit,
defense,
bro. I don't
yeah.
think you
Yeah.
can
No,
go
it's
in
the
there.
worst game of Patrick Mahomes'
Yeah.
career.
You can't go in there with ifs.
I'll
Quite
give
simply.
that. There was a lot of drops in that game.
It was
Too.
an ass
But
kicking.
no, come on, bro.
It was not.
It was a bad game.
No, it was an absolute slaughter.
The Chiefs couldn't do shit on offense.
yeah,
It was
like
a massacre.
It was low key.
It got ugly.
It was not.
The score
It was
didn't
not.
tell it, but the way they would like
No,
it was
the
bad.
score told it, and the watching it,
Yeah,
it
watch
was
it.
a
It was-
What was it?
slaughter.
Was it like 9-21?
23-9,
The
yeah.
score was ugly as shit, bro.
They had a ton of mistakes. They shot themselves in the foot, but whatever. That's the game that I'll be like the Broncos
Eat it,
won
bitch.
that. And then versus the Eagles, I think if the
Thanks.
receivers catch the ball,
The
they
better
don't make
team won.
mistakes. Yeah.
That's
Kelsey
it.
doesn't
better
fumble.
10-1.
Oh, these, okay.
Listen, I'm glad you're embracing this Broncos thing. Really. I was hoping that last week you would have said they made the playoffs. You're a
I
week
needed
late.
to see.
but
I
it's
needed
good.
to see just one more week against the league's best defense. That's all I needed. See 29 points on the league's best defense. Here we go again. Another segment in the show where I'm talking about the Broncos. 29
I'm
points.
excited.
It's a
to see
fraudulent
Chiefs
number.
team.
29 points.
It's a fraudulent
No,
number.
talk to me.
Am I still
Are
a
you
Browns
kidding
hater,
me?
or do
For
I
sure.
just
Browns
snowball?
hater or is he a truther?
Snowball.
Browns hater or is he a truther?
Hater. We'll make the playoffs.
The offense was
Make the
always
playoffs.
Was always going to
Are
be.
y'all better
teetering.
than the Steelers?
We beat them.
And they beat y'all.
We beat better
The
competition.
offense is just you're
Hey,
playing.
you
a
guys are
slippery
supposedly
slope.
better than us.
You're playing a
Y'all
slippery
didn't even
slope
look
with
like
the
you deserve
offense.
to be on the same field as us.
What's our record?
6-5.
7-4.
Oh, interesting. Are you guys on a 5-game heater?
7-4.
You the hottest team in football?
7-4.
Who has a better defense since week 8?
7-4.
Who's got the better quarterback?
7-4.
Who's got the better team as a whole, baby?
7-4.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
You're doing all this and you're
Don't
still
forget
under
it.
in the standings. I
Don't
just want you
forget
to
it.
know that.
Don't forget it. Hey, and when we beat Twin next week, What are you
Now,
gonna
if
say?
they go
then?
back to back, being the Browns and Texans, it's a tough
You're gonna
look.
have to
It's a
eat
tough look
that.
for the brand.
Does this week do anything for you in terms of
Yes.
if Riv
Oh my God, so true.
had asked you, let's make a bet, Broncos make the playoffs, you're taking it.
Is it time? Are we here?
No, listen. I don't give a fuck. We're making the fucking
You
playoffs.
cash that
That being said,
He did cash out
I'm not
them
making no
already.
more bets. Taking my money and I'm running.
Can't lose making a profit.
Can't lose. Can't lose. I'm gonna take my money and I'm gonna go to the Baja.
Brother has one win.
That
He has
being said,
one win.
do I have one win?
Yeah.
Do I have one win? I remember when the Lions were
They're
not even
fraudulent as fuck.
they weren't a top 20 team in your power rankings.
What are they,
That's an
top
L.
15, top 10 now?
I remember you telling me that the Dolphins wouldn't win the division. That's looking like a W as well. Here we are with my Denver Broncos. This is a W, clear as day. The Cash App's the proof in the pudding. I mean, we're here, brother.
Detroit's a win. Are they that good?
They're not. They're most
Detroit-
definitely a top 20 team.
Oh yeah,
They're
They're
top
top
10.
20. They're top, but they're.
It's
they-
not more so my W, more so your L.
Yeah, but it's not really your W. They're fraudulent as fuck.
They
That's
could be
fuck.
fraudulent, but still win the division, like I said they would.
Okay, who do I have? Green Bay.
If they,
Knock
make the
on the
if they
door.
make the Packers in the playoffs, that's not good for the Lions.
Hey, they just got to
If
win
they
the
meet-
division. That's all I give a
If they
fuck
meet-
about.
If they meet the Cowboys,
They'll
they'll
get
lose. If they
destroyed.
meet the 49ers,
Eagles,
they'll lose.
Niners.
If they meet the
they're
Eagles, they'll
fraudulent.
lose.
That secondary is horrible.
Yeah.
And fans try to call me stupid for that. They're like, oh, you're just not watching the game. This, that, and the third. Sutton's awesome. Brian Branch is really good. Bro, they've been terrible.
It's just they don't get pressure. That's what
They've
it
been
is.
getting gashed.
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson is the only pass rusher.
That is it.
And they get no pressure to the quarterback. James Houston went out and
Yep.
he's a premier pass rusher. That's going to do it for you, you know? And even if I think Aiden Hutchinson was playing great, but all the hype with him being a tier 1 guy, he's not a tier 1 guy. He can't win like the other guys consistently. And their pass rush is they don't have a pass rush.
I'm not going to slander Aiden, not even a little bit. Because like he said, he's the only one on the team that's really getting pressure on them. But in the grand scheme of things, the real issue is this secondary can't defend a nosebleed.
But the Lions pass rush win rate has been towards the bottom of the league for a while now.
Over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Not even to begin the season, even when their defense was playing well, they weren't getting much pressure.
They're beating up
Like,
on bad teams, bro.
I'm looking at their pass rush win rate this year. They're 26. They win on 37% of their pass rushes.
Who's below them? Curious.
They do
So
such
the
a
Bron-
poor
the
job
Broncos-
organizing this.
Yeah, they did. The Broncos are 32nd. The Cardinals are 27th. The
that
Falcons are
70-point game
29.
holds y'all back that much?
Bro, damn. We are 30th in the league right now in total yards given up per game.
Eh.
The Chiefs are 28. Surprised.
Well, interesting.
The Chargers, 30th.
We don't talk about that.
The Rams
Jones, right?
20th. The Patriots
Right, Chris Jones on the
22nd.
team. We don't talk about that.
Their defensive line is
Oh,
a little different.
Run stop win rate. The Lions are 30th, so they don't stop the run and they don't.
So what do they do on
Rest of
defense?
the
No, the
passes.
thing
Go out
no,
there and
the-
stand?
The thing about the rush stopping the run, they are one of the better run defenses in the game.
They had
They
a
got
ton
great
of
corners too.
yeah.
They're
This defensive line,
well-coached.
like the linebackers are good, but Jack Campbell is not good. He's the first round pick.
Excuse
He's
me.
a liability in coverage. But yeah, the Lions, yeah, they're pretty fraudulent. Yeah.
As long as they win the division, don't care.
I had Green Bay. They're close. But
There's
they
Jordan
won.
Love and Sam Howell bet. Jordan Love's
It's gonna
gonna
be
win.
awesome.
Like Jordan Love's gonna win. that
Really
game
close.
easily. It's-
Easily.
but
He's
by
not going
the-
to play the line secondary every week.
By the end of the year, it's not going to be really close.
So let me ask you a question. When Jordan Love throws goose against the Chiefs, how are you going to feel?
He'll play well against them.
But
Ooh, you
the thing,
think so?
our thing
Yeah.
is
You gonna stand on that?
touchdowns.
Yeah. They won't win, but he'll play well against
Play
them.
this week, right? Yeah.
Well, touchdowns, Jordan Love is. I
Uh-huh.
think they're tied, or he might be on
He,
top.
he
by
has
one.
one, correct.
Completion percentage. Sam Howell has passing yards. Jordan Love has.
No, passing yards, it's Sam Howell. He's number one
He's
in the
number
league.
one.
Oh no, a passer rating is Jordan Love, and he has less interceptions than Sam Howell.
But again, our bet wasn't.
Feel like
Total.
they take sacks.
No,
Our bet
our-
was just touchdown.
No, our bet.
You're
looked at-
confusing Justin Fields and Jordan
I
Love.
looked at the video Sunday. The bet was we bet 5
He's
categories.
lying.
We bet 5 categories. We bet yards, touchdown, interceptions, pass rating.
Here's the
completion
thing: I
percentage.
can't believe anything he says until I watch it myself. So you can just send me the video.
I will send you.
All right.
The Commanders' next games. This is why I'm saying, the Packers, Jordan Love will win this easily. They face the Dolphins defense, which you're very high on.
They've
The
been
Rams,
awesome,
the
bro.
Rams defense been playing pretty well, but whatever. Maybe he does great against them. The Jets defense, the Niners defense, and the Cowboys defense.
Cowboys,
Ah.
Cowboys, he just played horrendously against. He still had over 300. He's still
And also
305.
week 18, who knows who's playing that game?
It's true.
What happens if a player sits a game?
What do you mean?
I guess now the team's going to be in like playoff contention 2 weeks. Yeah, so never mind.
Missing one game.
I was thinking if one of them
shouldn't affect it that much.
Packers locked up the 7th seed in the wild card week 18, Jordan Love only plays a half or some shit.
All right,
Them bottom 3 seeds in the NFC are gonna suck.
All right, I got it. I got the.
Oh, he's locked in already. Damn,
I'm happy.
That TikTok search really puts a pack on that shit.
I'm good with my fingers, Dehls.
Because here's the thing with the TikTok clip, you could edit shit.
That's the goal.
No, but again, I know the full clip.
He laughed at you. Was sick.
Whoever wins more categories, I like that. Completion percentage, passing yards, touchdowns, passer rating. Less interceptions. We can add less interceptions. We can do all those categories. I like total touchdowns.
All right, I'm a man. I'll take that.
That's categories. We did total. I forgot. We did total touchdowns with somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know if it
Oh
was.
no, you don't remember who it was?
Ritter and Howard.
Oh, got it. Glad
Okay.
you remember.
But the love will like offset that, and the Giants one, you definitely owe me like half of that. At least. The Giants.
No,
one,
it makes up for the Cardinals last year when I paid you a full whatever 150, 200.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad.
CJ Stroud or Trevor Lawrence. Both of them dueled this past weekend.
Strong. This is one of the hotter topics we're gonna have.
Both of them had outstanding games. I don't know who you guys favor and who had a better game. Maybe you can give that take first, and then take who you go for. Who would you take going forward? CJ or Trevor Lawrence? Who are you taking going forward if you were to start a team today?
Who was more impressive? Believe it or not, the answer is still CJ Stroud.
I thought they were both equally just as impressive.
I say a little bit more impressive because, again, you come into this game, Jacksonville already losing to the Texans. But still, on paper, in theory, from what you guys tell me, this Jaguars defense is better than the Texans. That's not a question. So for Stroud to still go into this game, throw for over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, not turn the ball over. I mean, this is essentially what he's been doing for weeks at this point. But I'm sorry, Riv. It seems like you want to talk, so go ahead.
No, because I think like
Can't get a fucking word off of this guy.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I do.
I'm
apologize.
fucking with
It's
you.
just, it's twin. I get
That's why I'll shut up.
Bro can't help himself. He's got to get it out.
I waited for you to talk. You didn't talk, so I was like, all right, time for me to
No, because I
answer.
think this game honestly was definitely winnable in the Texans' favor. I thought a lot of the play calling they did towards the end, their 4th down, 3rd down conversion, like some of the plays were questionable. Like Niko and CJ, like they ran. There was this one drive. They had 3rd and 1, and they went 2 big plays back to back. And it was like, why not just rely on your run game? Why not just run the ball, get first down? You got 1 yard. I don't know. I think sometimes the Texans rely too much on the big play. And I think that's in credit because they, are kind of like, we have CJ Stroud. He's a big play machine. We're just going to rely on this guy. There was a couple ones where he overthrew. But I think both of them equally played great. I think Trevor Lawrence was great. I think Calvin Ridley was great. He got it going after that drop. He started to figure things out. He started to get in the groove. Kirk was as good as he's been all year. I think, ETN was great also. And then on the Texans side, Tank is going to be Tank. Tank's been that. For me, who I would rather have, for me personally, I would go CJ Stroud. I think, once again, and I said this before, Trevor Lawrence was a generational prospect coming out of college. But I think when you get him into the NFL, you kind of have to tamper your expectations. You gotta have to tamper what you think of it. He might not be that generational player as a quarterback, but that's fine. He's still, in my eyes, top 8, top 7 quarterback in the NFL. I think CJ Stroud, though, aside from, because I think sometimes he doesn't run the ball when he should. He likes to sit back there, kind of play freelance, and nobody sacks him, to give him credit. Like, he does get back there. It's hard to sack him, but sometimes he has opportunities where he runs, but I think that's where Trevor is better at, where Trevor sees a lane, nobody's open, he makes the run, and CJ is kind of like, I'll just rely on my receivers, wait for them to get open, rely on my arm. But I think in terms of
presence,
of pocket presence, his reads, his progression is amazing. CJ is one-on-one in terms of, like, he's so quick with it, his big arm play. I think Trevor, the difference between them two is, Trevor plays a little bit too safe in terms of his game plan. I think Trevor's a little bit too safe in the form of CJ makes more big plays. He takes more shots than the field, just from what I've seen. And I like CJ's arm more. I like his progression. So I would probably lean him. I think it's going to be close going down the stretch. I think both of them are extremely young in the same division. We also can't forget about AR next year when he comes in. That's going to be a tight race between them 3.
It's going to be a fun division.
Yeah, but I like CJ's talent more. I like his arm more. And I like the fact that his pocket presence already at this point is up there with some of the best in the league.
I've loved what the Jags offense, how they've looked these last couple of weeks. To start off the year, they were winning games, but it didn't feel like I had them in my top 10 in the power rankings, but I never felt very confident about them being a great team. But they've been a lot more aggressive. I mentioned last week how Trevor Lawrence's ADOT was the third or fourth highest of his career under Doug Peterson. And this past week, it was about the same. It was 9.7 ADOT last week, 9.3 this week. CJ Stroud is right up there too. Both these quarterbacks are great, and I'm happy they're both in the same division with AR, because this division, it feels like, has been bad for so many years. Jacksonville it was basically a laughingstock for a while before Trevor Lawrence got there. The Texans, when they had a couple years in between Deshaun Watson, and now they got CJ Stroud. The Colts have been in quarterback limbo what feels like forever since Andrew Luck and AR in his limited time look great. So happy the division is all getting back to some of the top quarterbacks that we've seen in the NFL this season. Both quarterbacks win in different ways. I feel like I think Stroud is a better processor. I think he has better touch on the ball, but I do think Trevor Lawrence has more zip and velocity when he's trying to make when he needs to make a throw in a tight window. CJ Stroud can do it, but I do feel like I see Trevor Lawrence do it with more consistency, specifically when it comes to arm strength. It's so hard picking between both of these guys, because what we've seen so far with CJ Stroud, and remember that Trevor Lawrence coming out of college was generational, and he had the biggest flop of a rookie year, given that was Urban Meyer more than anybody else. And CJ Stroud, with even the question marks he had coming into this year, even though he played great in his final game against Georgia, and kind of those question marks got thrown out the window, nobody was expecting him to be this good, this fast.
No way.
He's putting up historical numbers. It's going to go down as probably the best rookie season we have ever seen from a quarterback. And that's why I slightly lean CJ Stroud, because he's so good so early. And this Texans team still has years of rebuilding, realistically. I think coming into the season, we would have all agreed that the Texans were probably still multiple years away from being a legitimate playoff team. But what they've been able to do between Bobby Slowick, Niko Ryans, even though the defense still needs some work, Will Anderson has looked phenomenal so far in his rookie season. I love what I see from CJ Stroud. That's nothing to take away from Trevor Lawrence, because he's been great in his own right. But I really value how great CJ Stroud has been so early on, and the way he's elevating everybody offensively, from rookies to, third, fourth year guys with Nico Collins, and you get a competent back there in Devin Singletary, who looked good for a couple of games there too. Offensive line injuries in and out, shuffling the offensive line, and it doesn't matter. The production is still there. And the fact that they even have a chance to make the wild card, let alone the division, it feels like a bit of a long shot now, 2 games back. You have a division loss now against Jacksonville. I'm slightly leaning CJ Stroud, but this feels like a conversation we're going to have year after year, since both these teams in the same division.
So let's go by the numbers. Completion percentage, Trevor Lawrence. Passing yards, touchdowns, CJ Stroud. Now, to me, if we're going by the numbers, if I'm a stat merchant, it's CJ Stroud. We shouldn't have this conversation if we're going by stats, especially if you want to compare rookie seasons.
It's not close.
It's not even a conversation. But again, you see how Trevor Lawrence ended the year last year, did have a playoff win on top of it, coming back from 27 points down, showed resiliency, second year in his career. And this year, where you could feel that the Jacksonville offense has been underwhelming, specifically their pass offense, last 2 weeks going up against the Titans, going up against the Houston Texans, it was to be expected. He was going to have himself a ball game. Now, it's pretty funny that this isn't a prolific passing offense without a Zay Jones. Zay Jones, who you can respect, is a how you described Olamide Zaccheaus, you can describe as Zay Jones, really high-level role player. He's a role player. That's his role with the Jacksonville offense, and it allows the field to open up for Calvin Ridley, allows the field to, consistently, you're going to see Christian Kirk win regardless, but you saw him have another really good game against the Houston Texans. The stats here are misleading. Now, you want to talk about drops. CJ's had his fair share of drops himself, too, has more drops for his team than Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence's drops are a little bit heavier to me because they're touchdowns. Calvin Ridley had a drop touchdown this past week against the Texans. Calvin Ridley has 2 touchdowns, has 2 touchdowns earlier this season where he gets one foot in, just can't get the other one in. So if we're going by stats, again, it's CJ pretty comfortably. But when you watch every single week and you understand Trevor Lawrence is hitting in tight windows, where I'm going to have to disagree with you, brother. I don't think that he's a safe quarterback. I think you could say he's safe when it comes to pocket presence, which is why I'll lean CJ Stroud in that regard, because CJ's calm as a cucumber in that. I asked you, who do you think is his best comp for pocket presence? Because it's not a Mahomes. It's not a Josh Allen. You gave me the perfect answer. It's a Joe Burrow. I think that's so perfect where Joe Burrow will sit in that pocket. He'll let the play develop. He feels like he doesn't have it. He'll get outside. CJ does the exact same thing, but is still looking to push the ball downfield. To have that type of trait puts you in a special conversation. With Trevor, it's more so he doesn't love what's happening in the pocket because his offensive line hasn't been that great.
It's been bad.
For sure, but he gets outside the pocket maybe sometimes a little bit too soon, but has that athletic ability to extend the plays as well, where he has a little bit more rushing aspect to his game. Not saying that CJ doesn't, just saying the facts. Trevor does have that in his back pocket too. It's a tough one. I'll lean Trevor, but it is very, very close. To do this in year one, what CJ's doing, we may never see again. I feel like we say that pretty often. Mahomes, for his first year starting in the league, 50 touchdowns. We'll never see that. I feel pretty confident in saying that. But to have the best rookie season that we've seen, to be in a conversation with a Trevor Lawrence, who is at the upper echelon of quarterbacks, it is extremely impressive in its own right. I slightly lean Trev for the arm talent, but that doesn't mean that CJ Stroud doesn't have it either. I just would lean Trevor Lawrence at this current moment in time.
I would have never imagined that I would get up in the morning and look forward to a Jaguars and Texans matchup.
Insane how 2023 gives us that.
These Thursday night games are going to hit like crack in the future because they've been ass every time it's Jags Texans.
And an AFC South, I grew up on an AFC South that the Colts had Peyton Manning. They also had Andrew Luck. The Texans had Matt Schaub. They could never really get the quarterback right when J.J. Watt was in his prime years. The Titans always had a bridge quarterback, and the Jaguars never had a quarterback. So
Titans did have McNair for some time.
Yes,
RIP
that's
legend.
like early 2000s,
yeah, for sure.
But talking about like the 2010s era, never really had a quarterback that was a staple for that team for a long time. Ron Tannehill was their best one in a long time.
For sure.
And even him, I look at as a system quarterback. So for this division now to have two superior talents, and I think Anthony Richardson is also that.
Yep.
And when he gets healthy, I think he'll make a big impact on the Colts. It's surprising to me. Now, the Jaguars' offensive line has been bad, but the way they've been playing these last 2 weeks has really allowed them to take off. This past weekend, Trevor Lawrence was pressure on 18% of his dropbacks. Zay Jones being in the lineup, it now gives free will for Calvin Ridley to move along the line of scrimmage, because Christian Kirk, as great of a slot guy as he is, he cannot play on the outside and win on the outside. Defenses will not respect him out there. So oftentimes Ridley is solely the X guy who cannot move, and they use him to stretch the field, and he's basically used as a decoy. But with Zay Jones in the lineup, they can now open up the field. Zay Jones can be that deep threat, and Ridley can be that guy that moves along and wins with his route running. And I think that's what's really expanded this offense to the point that we've seen Ridley past couple of weeks. He's having some great games since Zay Jones has been back. Trevor Lawrence doesn't have quite the touchdown numbers yet. He had one touchdown versus the Texans, but the yardage is there.
Had a rushing too.
He did. There's just something about CJ Stroud that's a little bit different. When the Texans were down in that game, I never felt once that they were going to lose that game. I never felt like they were out of it. CJ consistently made plays towards the end of the football game. And the reason why they didn't go into overtime was because Matt Amendola he missed a kick. CJ put them in position to get a field goal and to potentially go into overtime. And if they went into overtime, 100%, I think the Texans win that game. I think they had the momentum. I think they had the flow going. But it's that kick from Amendola, who had missed one earlier as well. And I know about Matt Amendola. He used to be a Jet, and he used to miss a shit ton of kicks. So I know about him.
Anything past 50.
As soon as he was going out to kick that football, he looked scared. He looked timid. I knew he was going to miss.
Don't do that. He almost made it.
No.
He almost made it.
It was dead down the middle. It needed like another 2 yards.
Like, come on.
Not everybody.
He shot it right down the middle.
I had a feeling he was going to miss it, though. I did have a feeling. It was closer than I expected. I thought it was going to go wide right.
That
But
shit was
he-
close.
it was closer than I expected.
I was heartbroken, actually.
Me too.
I was sad.
The Texans had a big time play taken off. The big time play to Tank Dell when Tank Dell
Yep.
was in
Oh
motion.
my
Yeah,
god!
and they called it illegal motion.
And they had another one on the left sideline that he just barely misses.
I didn't think that was an illegal motion. I see the Dolphins run that play every single week. Maybe I'm missing something. I think CJ Stroud was more impressive in this game. And that's not to take anything away from Trevor Lawrence, because I think Trevor Lawrence made throws in this game, made
goodness.
a couple, made more than 3 that there are only a few players in this world that can make. But CJ, how comfortable he is in year one, and I'm not somebody that's going to compare the rookie years, because I think the situation Trevor was in
Agreed.
is a bit unfair. I just do think that with the Jaguars' offensive line not being good, early in Lawrence's career last year and in his rookie year, his pocket presence really stood out. He didn't take sacks and he didn't make mistakes within the pocket. He knew how to navigate that. But I think at this point in his career, because of that bad offensive line, it's kind of forced him to build up some bad habits where he's getting the ball out a little bit too quick, where he's not allowing things to progress because he doesn't trust the offensive line. Where CJ Stroud, because he's the rookie, he's still not experiencing those things, so he's not in that position. But there's just something about CJ Stroud. I think Lawrence has him beat in the categories of talent, but CJ looks more of an athlete to me. He looks faster. He looks like he processes defenses a bit better. And I feel like when the moment is at its highest and when you need a play, he's somebody that I trust more than a lot of guys in the league. And
That's hard to argue against.
him so early on, for me to have that faith in him, that I know that if it's the final drive, I got 100% trust that I think he's going to make a play. He's going to get something with these group of receivers that Niko Collins broke out with CJ. Tank Dell was a rookie playing great with CJ.
He's about to break their franchise rookie record.
He is. Dalton Schultz has always been a solid tight end.
Another good year.
The fact
Noah
that
Brown
CJ
having a career year too.
The fact that CJ Stroud is succeeding, and with this supporting cast, I understand that it's better than we think. I think that people don't give the supporting cast enough credit.
Niko is
And
like that. Niko is
yes.
very good.
And the coaching also is better than we think. I think Bobby Slovic is proving to be one of the better play callers. I'm just very thoroughly impressed with what CJ Stroud is doing. And not an exact comparison, but what I kind of would compare it to is kind of like Dak Prescott versus a Carson Wentz, where, you know, I always kind of favor Dak a little bit, you know, and there's not a knock on Wentz because Wentz used to be a really great quarterback. And I don't think Lawrence will have the same trajectory, but right now at their peaks, I kind of favor CJ just a little bit more.
Neither of them are.
I was going to say they're so far from their peak.
Yeah, there's CJ Stroud. We got year 1 and Trevor year 3. By the way, Fields is cooking right now. It's 12 for 1,200 yards. He's cooking.
Don't get
He don't got much
Caleb.
rushing though.
Fuck Caleb. Fuck Drake May. Stay with Fields, man. Come on.
That's
12
what's
for
up.
12.
Because I put up
Let's go.
I just put up a
Parlay.
10,000 odds parlay
10,000 odds
on this game. Yeah,
Something
$2 to make like 10,000.
calm. Bro's
No,
got
I
like
gotta
6
try to-
anytime touchdowns in
Fucking
there.
100 yards, 12 for 12, and DJ Moore has 9 yards. I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, at the start of the game, Cole Kmet had 4 catches for like 2 yards. I don't know how the fuck it happened. He just had a big play though.
How do you guys feel about us negatively attributing to the hate that Caleb Williams is now receiving?
I
It's
don't
not
want to be
me.
part of this.
It's not me.
I'm
It's y'all,
standing on it.
sadly.
I think Caleb's gonna be fucking great.
But the thing is, why is that? Your statement's not wrong, but my answer to that is, why is it that we're feeding into this Caleb hate? What it is, and I've had conversations about this, is we're comparing someone who hasn't touched an NFL field to guys that have had success at a high level in the NFL, the hardest league
Let me look
that
at some
there
of these
is.
comments from the TikTok.
So that's really what it is. So I understand where they're coming from. They're yeah, that's OD. They're living in a world of what's happening right now. They're not living in a projection world, because when you're talking about Victor Wembanyama, and ESPN has him over a lot of guys that probably normally,
Shout out Quinn Cook, man.
Shout out to Quinn Cook.
Shout out
That's a
Quinn
fact. You're seeing him, Zion or Victor Wembanyama, these generational guys that are coming in before they played a game in the NBA, but ESPN has them over a bunch of guys. Similarly here, you guys are doing the same thing. You trust what you're seeing at the collegiate level, that he can do it at an NFL level, whether I agree with it or not. You're projecting the same way they did that with Trevor Lawrence and Andrew Luck.
So, question: would you rather Victor Wembanyama or Domantas Sabonis?
I am fucking crying.
I would rather long term a Victor Wembanyama, right?
Well,
But
sure,
the
but
answer-
Sabonis-
but the
Sabonis
answer
is an all-star.
Sabonis.
Sabonis
Exactly.
is an all-NBA
But right
player.
now, the
Why
answer
does
is Sabonis.
Sabonis
Why is
that?
right now the answer?
Because Sabonis has been hooping.
It's Wemby though.
But
I'll be honest, I am completely
you
taking Wemby.
you take Wemby, but again, you acknowledge that
Sabonis is a hooper.
Sabonis is a baller.
And that's why I think people get
I'm
lost in it
crying.
because
Why does Sabonis
Marvin
fan?
Harrison Jr., I think you would comfortably take him over
A ton of
90%
receivers.
of wide receivers in the NFL right now. That's a projection, but you are projecting these players to be good. I say we're negatively feeding into it because, one, I do think there is already hate that exists around Caleb Williams before us.
You called it.
There
You
is
called it perfectly.
there is hate that exists around how masculine he is because he paints his nails, him crying after an important loss. People are making fun of that, at
Bro's
least
like
trying
20
to
years
make
old, man.
fun of that. Him not having a winning record against top level
See,
teams
that's
in college.
the most real statement to me.
But the real reason why that is because Lincoln Riley has a trash defense every year
Mhm.
that he's been
definitely.
a
They're
head
ranked
coach.
like
That's been
107th.
that's
Yeah,
been
the defense is horrendous.
yes, the defense they cannot stop anything, and that's
Yeah,
why
they're
they
bad.
lose those games against those top teams. Because a team like Oregon, they got both. They got Bo Nix, who's a Heisman candidate, and they got a defense that locks down. That's the real reason why USC is not up there with those teams. So when we talk about Caleb Williams, we made that would you rather, then you made that video like who is he starting over? Caleb Williams, if the Lions had the chance to move off from Jared Goff next year and have Caleb Williams, they would do it in a heartbeat.
They were going to do it for AR.
Yeah.
You're telling me they wouldn't have done it for Caleb
Telling me
too?
the Browns are moving off Deshaun Watson tomorrow for Caleb Williams.
The
bro?
Shit, I
Browns,
would.
the Browns are
release him.
forced. The Browns are forced to stick with Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
But if they had the option, they'd move on from him
Because he's a
Absolutely.
contract burden.
because he's not good.
even remove the contract.
I can't say he's not good.
He's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the league since he got back.
the last 2 years.
He's had some moments.
The last 2 years is like
The
EPA
moments
per
are
play is
so
with Zach
small.
Wilson.
but the
bro.
moments are lit going up against
The
the
moments
Ravens.
are when I tell you the moments are so small. They're
It's
so
few
small.
The
and far
Ravens
between.
isn't small.
That's one game out of what 7?
That was arguably the biggest game of the season for them.
The Steelers game was just as big.
Week 2?
Yeah, that's a rivalry game.
Come on.
Brown Steelers,
Stop.
very intense game.
That was a big game.
All right.
And
All right.
he
He
led in
outplayed
that.
Burrow, right?
Sure.
Well,
Week
Sure,
1.
but
He
Nick
outplayed
Chubb-
Burrow.
Nick Chubb also
Why isn't
played
that
great.
a big game?
Nick
Why
Chubb played great.
Deshaun
But
outplayed
that's not what
Burrow
I'm trying to
because
say. But
Burrow
that's
was
not
like
what
the
no,
worst
that
worst
was
he
a
ever
big
was.
game for
Like
Cleveland. though.
Deshaun was not good in that game by any stretch of the
he was
imagination.
a solid rusher, but as a passer,
No, no,
That was
he
a
was
big
like-
game
he
for
was
Cleveland too, though.
Huh?
That was a big game for Cleveland too.
But I'm just saying how early it was in the season. But we acknowledge that he did play better than a Burrow. But it's week 1.
He
It's
played
week
like
2.
shit against the. He played like shit like 2 weeks before the Ravens game.
He played like shit majority of the year.
He has. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. For sure.
I'm telling you,
when
the
it comes
moments
to
are
Caleb
really
Williams,
small.
yes, we are projecting to a heavy degree, but Caleb Williams has been labeled as an Andrew Luck level prospect. When Andrew Luck was coming out of college and you would have taken Andrew Luck over the top quarterbacks at that time, it would have been like Andrew Luck over Donovan McNabb or Michael Vick at the time, and you would have been proven right as history went on. Really, the only way that this is really such a big deal is if Caleb Williams, if you think Caleb is going to be a bust,
Mhm.
that's really the only thing. But if we don't think Caleb's going to be a bust, then I think a lot of the names that we would take Caleb over is very fair.
What do you think, bro? If we spoke about Drake May, comments would be different.
Crying.
100%. Wait, what do you mean? Like
I think you
in
know
a
what I
negative
mean.
direction?
you know.
No, not in a negative direction.
Positive.
No, I think we'd get mad backlash for taking Drake May over those guys.
I agree.
Like, because Drake May is not the same level of hype.
There's been
prospect.
some conversations.
There
People
has
feel like
He has been
Drake
getting
May
hyped
But
lately.
is
Drake,
better
but
than.
Drake May is like the
I
avid
like both
college,
of them as prospects, honestly.
the avid college football watcher, and I guess NFL fan that follows prospects knows about. But
Yes,
Caleb
sir.
Williams is kind of like a household name that
Well, he won the
almost
Heisman.
yes, almost everybody knows who a Caleb Williams is. Drake May is kind of the under the radar guy that,
The only thing I
Is
didn't
Drake
like.
May under the radar?
yeah, I think so.
Really?
In terms of like the Caleb Williams prospect,
Caleb
Well,
is definitely.
he
well
won the
known.
Heisman. So understandably, he's going to be
The
one of
only
most
off the
famous
field
college
stuff
players
I
there
didn't
is.
like from Caleb was it was after his last game he didn't talk to the media. That was really the only thing. The painting of the nails, the crying at the game. I don't like. Why should I care if you paint your nails? And I'm happy you're showing
He
emotion.
doesn't he
She's-
do it for like his mom or something like that?
Nah, because he puts like fuck Notre Dame and shit like
Yeah,
that
fuck
on it.
Utah.
Yeah.
I thought he did. I thought he had his significant moment.
Nah, but like that was the only thing I didn't like. If you're the quarterback, you're the leader of the team, win, lose, or draw, you go to the media, you talk about it. But outside of that, like Bro, you're really gonna be upset that he paints his nails?
Yeah, his nails are a way to represent his mother.
They are. That's why I don't think it's a big deal.
Figures. Yeah, I've not seen
And I'd
this.
rather my quarterback be upset that he lost than just stand and be like, we'll get him next time. Like, no, show some passion and emotion.
Ultimately, we're comparing a person that should be a great quarterback in the NFL, kind of like when Zion was coming out. Would you rather Zion or like an established all-star?
Mhm.
Zion hasn't had injury luck on his side to start his career.
Yeah, but when he's on the fucking court, he's
Yes,
different.
but like in 2019, if you're like, would you rather
was a running
Zion
back.
or would you rather Chris Middleton?
What's wrong with that?
Huh?
What's wrong with that?
Being a running back,
Yeah.
that's his fault. In certain matchups. That's all I'm saying.
Are you calling Shaq a running back?
Shaq is the greatest running back ever.
But right? What's wrong with that?
Not everybody Shaq.
No, but there's a Giannis, there's a
He's not
Zion.
Shaq.
No one will ever be Shaq. He's
Yeah,
one of
Shaq had
one.
actually a post game.
He did, but so does
He had a passing game. So does what?
Giannis. He has a
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Zion.
Oh, come on, please
No,
respect me.
Giannis
So,
is getting there.
I'm
And
looking,
Giannis is a good passer.
Yeah,
I'm
not
looking
Shaq.
at a
Shaq had
list.
an elite. Shaq was there.
Again, when you're that size and that
They're the
athletic,
same height.
no, they're not.
We're both 7 feet.
Is Giannis 7 feet tall?
6'11". It's
Yeah, he's right
he's
there.
borderline 7
Uh-huh.
feet, but he's not exactly 7 feet.
He's longer.
Oh, his arms are insane.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this list from CBS Sports. They go top 100 players for the 2019-2020 NBA season. LeBron edges Kawhi for the number 1 spot. Zion, the only rookie to make the cut.
Where was he?
I don't know where he was.
Like a quick
Let
control
me-
F.
Let me see.
Control left.
Let me see where he.
He's right. Just control F.
No, it's
Hit
just funny.
Control F and
Nobody-
type Zion.
Nobody would say it out loud.
Hit control F.
Command
Yeah,
F.
command. And then type Zion.
Press enter.
And then go.
There
Yeah.
we go.
Okay, thank you, Dehls. He's 67th on the list.
Between Robert Covington and Joe Ingles.
He was below
better than
Ingles,
Robert
Mark Gasol, Buddy Hield.
No, like
Walking
no
in, he was
film.
better.
He's,
Yeah.
he's better than.
So
Robert
these were the
Covington.
top 30 players at the time. I'm not going to name everybody. So 30 was Chris Middleton. 28 was Pascal Siakam. 27 was Donovan Mitchell. 26 was Klay Thompson. 25 was Victor Oladipo. 24 was Mike Conley. 23 was
fuck was
CJ
this?
McCollum. This was the
29
2019-2020
Oh,
NBA
it's been so
season.
long since Clay's been.
Yeah.
top
Number
30,
five.
It's
yeah.
funny because year two, he was better than every single player you've named so far.
22 was Luca.
Okay.
21 was Ben Simmons.
Yeah, clears him.
Miss you
Drew
every
Holiday
day.
was 20. Number
Please
19
do.
was Russell Westbrook. Number 18
the
was
fall
Blake
off.
Griffin on
Ooh,
the
the fall
Pistons.
off. Blake was so good.
Number
Blake on the
17 was
Pistons
Rudy.
viral.
Number
Backpack.
16 was Kemba on the
Oh,
Celtics.
fall off for Kemba.
16.
16 is nuts.
That might have been like 25 a game, Kemba.
And then 15 to 10 was Kyrie, Jimmy Butler, Bradley Beal, Draymond.
Dumpster
The
pick.
talent
Cat.
stinked. Ew.
So, like, imagine if Zion was coming into the league as a rookie and we're like, yeah, we take him over Bradley Beal. That would be like,
Imagine
oh,
somebody
that's such
said
a hot
Kemba
take.
over Zion.
Job sanity's over, man.
Why? Wait, he's
Field
playing
stop.
bad?
Do a pick. There's the flag, but I think it was after the play.
Somebody's Alexis Rendero said, once they start looking into the tape and over analyzing players, they're going to make May and Caleb will be a debate.
Yeah, I know.
You think
Sports
that's
my
fair,
comment.
Dehls?
I think Drake May's a great prospect. I'm not mad at anyone who has May over Caleb. I think in structure, he's a better quarterback. You've mentioned that too. But what Caleb is able to do with his legs out of structure, he just makes some special throws that Drake May, the arm strength is there. He's mobile too. He has more size than Caleb, but I don't know. There's something about Caleb that speaks to me, man.
You like Caleb.
I like Caleb.
get it.
You Riv knows.
One of the
We
more
know you're tight.
one of the more, really bright spots of week 12 was that the Steelers for the first time in 45 games cracked 400 yards of
Shout out to
offense.
Pittsburgh, man.
And the reason why this is a big deal is because Matt Canada, their previous OC, they fired him. And in 44 games with him, they were unable to crack this mark. And now without him, first game, Kenny Pickett looks better. The receivers look better. The running game looks better. So what do you think about the Steelers cracking this 400-yard mark?
It is one of the most, and I'm sorry, Joel, if you had
No, no.
something to say. It is one of the most funny things I've seen in sports in such a long time. We've all been calling for it. Shout out to my Steeler fans, of course. Shout out Pally. Shout out Joey. We've all been calling for. Oh, of course. How can I disrespect John Tortorelli?
Oh.
Pegarside legend.
Oh,
How could I
yes.
disrespect him? We've all known the obvious. Matt Canada is not a good offensive coordinator. When we were talking about the Steelers prior to the season starting, we said, hey, Steelers, if you fire Matt Canada, we're all in. What week is it going to be? So they fire him in week 11. The offense is horrendous. like unwatchable, honestly, that level bad. How is it that 1 week removed from moving off from him, you're seeing Kenny Pickett throw over the middle of the field? You're seeing Kenny Pickett go throw and just dot up all over the place. That was shocking to me because we haven't seen Kenny Pickett really be unleashed in that regard. Throwing for over 300 yards, I never thought I'd see the day of Kenny Pickett do such a thing. And to be as in control as he was. The points weren't there. They only put up 16. The red zone, something they got to clean up, no doubt about it. But this was the best Najee I've seen all season long. It's not just a halfback dive, hope for the best from a Najee Harris. No, they're actually running him in between the tackles on the outside, getting them going, getting Jalen Warren the ball in ways that we've seen Jalen Warren get the ball. But the true star in the backfield this week was Najee Harris. That's a great sign. You use a first-round pick on him. You want to see him succeed. And if I'm a Steeler fan, and my main takeaway from the Cincinnati game is Najee Harris is not washed. It's due to situation that he is failing. And so now you finally see it against a poor rush defense in and of itself in Cincinnati. But nevertheless, you saw execution. Almost go for 100 yards for Najee Harris. Get into the end zone. Throwing over the middle of the field, which to me is the hugest thing. Because I think you had a tweet about it showing the charts about it. It is hilarious. He only throws to the left and right sides of the field. Not a throw. Not a throw to the middle of the field. What did they do in the first drive of the game, Riv? A tight end seam to Pat Freiermuth.
He killed.
And Pat Freiermuth had the best tight end game of the week. So that's why it's funny to me because Najee, under Matt Canada, we're talking about him like he's one of the worst backs in the league, one of the least explosive backs in the league, one of the more disappointing backs in the league. We're talking about Kenny Pickett being replaceable next season.
Still might be.
Possible. We're having conversations around George Pickens and Deontay Johnson, which I never thought were fair. And Pat Freiermuth, who we've known can be a really good tight end in this league, all getting slander on their name, and 1 game removed. 59-game streak is ended, and they go for over 400 yards.
Did I see the Deontay thing where he walked past?
He's losing me. He's losing me.
Yeah, that looked bad.
losing
That's your guy, though. Yeah, never forget.
Fell off.
I like Deontay Johnson too. Let's not just leave Joel alone in that.
He had a drop touchdown too.
Yeah.
I charted these myself.
And that was a dime. That was a dime from KP.
I charted these myself. Completions to the middle of the field in weeks 1 to 11 for Kenny Pickett. He had 12 total completions to the middle of the field with Matt Canada. In week 12, when Canada was fired, the game after Canada was fired, he had 4 completions to the middle of the field. So basically, in 1 game, he matched a third of his total that he's had all season under Matt Canada. And I feel like that is going to open up their offense that much more. You mentioned the rushing offense being much more explosive this game. I think that's a great thing. That's a great sign to come for the Steelers. The Steelers defense, that they're able to win football games with the strength of their defense and just being opportunistic. If this offense can catch up slightly, I might have to be changing my tune on what I think this team can be, because I still think they're like a first-round exit, but they're not like a pretender that I think they were, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I feel like you can still say that they're not a legit contender.
They aren't.
They'll give somebody some hell in the first round.
By still not being rude by any means. We can understand that the Pittsburgh Steelers just know how to win games, but there are teams that are better. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh is one of those teams where you see them in the first round. It's not going to be easy. Like, you're not going to be able to, like, that's a game where you got to go in like, there's a chance we can lose this game if we, have a turnover here or a mistake here, or if we played 2 lackadaisical here. But to talk about Matt Canada, dog.
Jesus Christ.
You're going
I don't know if the mic picked it up. I hope it didn't pick it up.
I definitely. Drew said, "What if the Broncos win the Super Bowl?" Yeah, I'm gonna put that out there.
What if?
That's so far. Like, you will have to go to Eli Manning run.
I think I would happily.
It's a Steelers topic.
Day. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about would
you rather bring this week in the NBA? Bring it up for sure.
I appreciate that.
In the NFL.
This week in the I always say NBA. This week in the NFL. Bring it up.
I'm sorry, bro. I just get emotional thinking.
No,
about
listen.
it.
Then listen. Bring it up this week in the NFL. We'll talk about it.
Is anybody going on the Eli Manning run?
It's Russell Wilson.
Jordan Love.
It's Dak Prescott.
Dak. No. But the thing is, Dak and Eli. That's kind of disrespectful to Dak a little bit. At that point in Eli's career, at that point to where Dak is now, it is a little disrespectful.
Eli always needed an offensive line, though.
But Eli really solidified himself.
So you think Dallas is going to the Super Bowl?
No, I don't think. No, I just said
he's saying if there is anyone. He's saying if there is anyone.
Are you
banking it? Well, right now you're talking about the reputation around these quarterbacks.
No, I thought we were talking about they're a low seed going.
No, I'm talking about Cinderella run.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson.
No, I understand, but the Cowboys will be a wild card.
But they'll be a
but like I don't want to say
like a fifth.
I know what you're saying.
I forgot
not
that's how they
Mickey
do it.
Mouse because they're
Shit.
obviously one of the best teams, but if they were in their conference,
I'm
not
so-
in a
I
division,
understand
not
what you're saying
yeah.
about Eli and the reputation he had. I don't think Dak's reputation is any better. Like I
But
think
no, this year though he's having his best season of his career.
Dak
That's
is
why
having- Dak is having the
turning
best season of
around.
his career, but I'm not discounting it. But the negative reputation and stigma around who he is as a quarterback is still very much there.
And to do it for the Cowboys too, who it's almost a joke at this point. The playoff wins, the lack of Super Bowls, it would be big for them.
I'm all the way in.
I'm so hateful of the fact that you can be 8-9 and get a home game in the playoffs. Like,
It is
you can make it, but do they have to get a home game? Like, that's a little insane.
That's gonna be the Falcons.
Or
Yeah,
the
it's
Saints.
fair.
That
Yeah,
was
it's
the
gonna be
Bucks
gross.
last
The
year.
Saints are not making it, bro.
They may not, but one of them teams are going
Who's
to make it.
making
I'm
it?
going to be
The
aggravated.
Falcons. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. The Saints, I don't trust them. They're the most
You trust the
untrustworthy.
Falcons?
I don't trust them either. But the Saints are the most untrustworthy
Weapon big.
team in football.
They're cooked.
They're just losing too many
Yeah,
games.
look,
They should have beat the
Somebody
Colts.
told
this
me, I
past
bet
weekend.
$100. Somebody told me Buccaneers would get to 10 wins. So I have a $100
10?
bet.
Oh, that's,
well, you
that's
cash.
free cash.
Yeah.
For sure.
They need to win 6 in a row. for that
Yeah,
to
he's
happen.
an idiot. So,
And he will at least lose one to Jordan Love on his way there. So, because J Love, baby.
Hey, it doesn't lose. You got to go about Matt Canada. What are you going to say?
Oh yeah, he sucked. Yeah, he was probably one of the worst OCs in NFL history. But definitely, and I was talking to my buddy because he's a big time Steelers fan. He was just like, I was like, yo, bro, how you feel? Jesus Christ, how you feel about firing Mike Canada? Kenny Pickett looked great. He was like, yeah, no, Kenny still sucks, but yeah, he was like, the offense did look better. We can make a push because, like you mentioned, Joel, Steelers are still very much in it. I think they have a playoff spot as of today, so they are very much still in it.
7-4.
Yeah, they're seventh or sixth, one like that. I think they have the tiebreaker over the Browns because they have more division wins, so I think they might be like 6 or something like that. But the Steelers, if they can get hot at the right moment, if they can generate this new offense, hit throws through the middle of the field, get Warren and Najee involved. Now you have Pickens, Deontay Jones, Pat. If you can get this all, because this offense, it never lacked talent.
Yep.
It just lacked creativity. It lacked a good scheme, looked good play calling, and then Kenny, of course, had some duds. But at the same time, if you can have him play game managing football, and then you can have these talented guys kind of carry him, which is okay. This Steelers team could catch fire at the right moment, could maybe upset a team in the first round. This team's goal is to get to the playoffs.
What do you think will happen if they run into a team like the Dolphins?
I knew you were going to do that. I did 100% knew you were going to do that. I have no comment on that.
The Dolphins are not losing.
The Dolphins would win that game.
You think so comfortably?
Easy.
I think they should be the favorites.
I'm not ready to
Probably
go.
should.
I'm not ready to jump all in on the Steelers. Not,
What do you
not
think,
that far to
Joel?
beat the
Yeah,
I mean,
Dolphins.
like
a playoff
Miami's defense has been very good. And I'm not going to even talk about the Jets because, again, like you say, any team can look good against the Jets offense for sure. But since week 8, the stat that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, they've been the best defense in football, statistically, EPA wise.
They face like nobody.
You could say that,
It
but
was the Raiders, was the Pats, Jets,
the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
That's the one that's a good one. But then the other 3 diluted a lot.
The,
If
the
they are
Raiders put up, let's
13
see.
points.
Yeah, no, against the Dolphins, that's not even the one I'm talking about.
Oh.
But against the Chiefs, they gave up their first 100-yard rusher in a ridiculous amount of games. And the Chiefs defense has been money all season long. Division game, of course, different conversations. But it's not like we're talking
No,
about.
listen. I think the Dolphins defense it should be great because Jalen Ramsey's back. But they need to do it against like better competition for me to buy in on the defense being truly elite.
They
Listen,
still
they
got a
got
few more
the.
weeks,
I was
so
going
you
to
gotta
say
play
they
elite
got the
teams.
Bills, they got the Cowboys, they got the Ravens.
Yeah.
You
That's
want
the
to see
test.
it?
Those
There
are
it
the
is.
tests.
That's the
right
big
there.
test. Yeah,
That's
that's your
a
play.
3-game
That's your
stretch.
playoff
I'll tell
test.
you what I
That's
don't
your
love.
quiz before the exam.
Having Dak and having him go up against Miami, I don't love it.
No?
I don't love it.
Why not?
Listen, Dak's been able to do
Because for fantasy
against damn near
purposes,
everybody. He struggled against Carolina, and that's really it.
well, it struggled. Script
For
said,
fantasy, I'm
yeah.
saying,
Script said you don't need to pass the ball anymore.
I'm happy for Steelers fans. Definitely happy that Matt Canada is gone. He's been terrible. I don't think there's a more hated man in Pittsburgh than Matt Canada has been these last 2 years or however long he's been the offensive coordinator there, because like Riv said, the talent was never in question. It was just the lack of creativity. And it also felt like at some point, whether it was last year or this year, that the players just kind of, it did seem like there was some sort of detachment between them. You have the clip where Pickens makes that big play down the sideline and Matt Canada looks pissed off that this big play just happened that basically won them the game. You have that clip too, which was last season, I believe,
Boswell.
of Chris Boswell in the tunnel. Matt Canada celebrating. Chris Boswell's like, this isn't because of you. Just two things that I'm picking up. Who knows? Everyone could have loved Matt Canada, but just a couple things that the outside looking in, and then the on the field product was just so bland, so ugly, and you had some limitations with Kenny Pickett because we know he's not this Superman type quarterback that can change arm ankles and get out of the pocket and do some things that we've seen guys like Josh Allen, Mahomes do. I think that's understood, but undoubtedly you'd be able to do more than what Kenny Pickett has showed at least this season and last season. I do think Pat Freiermuth, funny enough, because we were shitting on him for the first month of the season, was a big help to this team. You know, he's been hurt he came back last year. Before that, though, he was out multiple weeks with an injury, and he came in, had the best game of his career. You know, career high in receptions, career high in receiving yards, 120 yards, and the middle of the field, like you mentioned, when you see those next gen stat graphics, it just pops out to you how the middle of the field, they do not attempt a pass under Matt Canada. First game with the new offensive coordinator, Pat Freiermuth goes crazy. So happy for Steelers fans. I still don't see them as like this contender type team, but they're 7-4. They're off to such a great start, such a strong start 12 weeks into the season that they're going to make the playoffs. Matchup wise, though, they're going to have to go up against one of those division winners, whether it's Jacksonville, Kansas City, Baltimore, or Miami. I don't like their matchups against any of those opponents, but the fact they're getting to the playoffs, unfortunately, I think means it's probably gonna be another year of Kenny Pickett, and ultimately I think that's what's gonna hold them back in the long run. But it goes to show, if you have a well-coached team, you're gonna have probably defensive player of the year, and you have some talent on offense, they're gonna be able to win games.
Yo, KP had some dots. Those throws to Freiermuth over middle of the field, that throw to Pickens, that throw to Deontay, the drop touchdown by Deontay. He had some dots.
I take him for the Jets quarterback. You know,
that's not insane.
I would take basically 90% of NFL quarterbacks over just quarterbacks, including the backups.
Now, it's crazy that the Steelers are 3-1 in the division. They've beaten the Browns, Ravens, and
Cincinnati.
The
Browns, Ravens, and the Bengals.
Yes.
They beat them all.
That's crazy because the Ravens game, they were down. They came back.
Just sold.
The Browns did the same thing, so it's not really.
Versus the Browns.
They beat all of them, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how this team is 3-1 in the best division in football. Granted, that one game Joe Burrow did not play in, and he's injured for the season.
Facts, yeah.
Still, you know, they're just finding ways to win.
Yeah, you're right. He did. Joe Burrow did not play.
Can you guys guess the top 10 leading rushers since week 9?
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs is number 2.
Christian McCaffrey.
McCaffrey's number 3.
Raheem Mostert.
Raheem Mostert is number 6.
Kyron? Off this one
no.
Imagine. Total yards he might be in there. Jonathan Taylor?
Jonathan Taylor's number 8.
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields is not here.
What'd you say? What number? Week what?
Week 9. So the past 4 games.
Bijan. Risky.
Bijan Robinson is number 9.
I like that.
Clutched.
So we're still missing number 1, right?
You're missing number 1. You're missing number 4, number 5, 7, and 10.
It's Pacheco here.
Isaiah Pacheco's not here.
I didn't feel good in that.
Travis Etienne?
Travis Etienne is not here.
I didn't think so. He's been iffy. Yeah. He has been iffy. Running backs.
Somebody said he hasn't scored in a month.
One of them is a tandem, meaning 2 of the running backs on this one team are in the top 10.
Okay.
Damn.
Because there are 2 players tied for 10th place.
Is Dante Freeman on here?
Deontay Foreman is not here.
That Foreman, Freeman. Disrespectful.
Shout out to a GOAT. A tandem, you said? So, I mean, H.N. hasn't played.
I said most.
Pearson.
Singletary? Singletary's probably on there, though.
Singletary's number 7.
Yeah, Singletary had 300 yards in 2 weeks, something stupid like that.
Tandem.
It's not.
So what numbers do we have?
And it's not James Cook or Latavius Murray.
Lower the brightness on your computer.
So
you can see it.
I can.
You
know the answer.
No.
You have number 2, Josh Jacobs, number 3, McCaffrey, number 6, Mostert, number 7, Singletary, number 8, Taylor, number 9, Bijan.
DeAndre Swift
is not on here.
Oh, I'm surprised. Saquon
Barkley's tied for 10th with his other player.
Okay.
So the tandem is not tied for 10th. They're just both within the top 10.
Exactly.
Jameer
Gibbs is number 4.
Nice.
Demont
is not here.
Interesting.
So they're not the 2. They're not the duo.
David Montgomery?
Yeah, he's not.
He's not here.
That's Demont.
Oh, it's not Javonte and.
So right now, all you're missing is number 1, number 5, and the guy that's tied for 10th with Saquon.
Jalen Warren.
Jalen Warren's number
Najee.
Jalen Warren's number 1, and Najee's tied for 10th with Saquon.
Okay. So who we're missing?
Number 9.
You're missing number 5.
5.
He's on one of the worst teams in the NFL.
It's a lot of
Brees?
No.
Not Brees Hall.
One of the worst.
There's a lot of teams that are up. Oh, Ramondre?
Ramondre's number 5.
Coach.
Nice.
Those are the top 10. The top 10 is Jalen Warren, Josh Jacobs, CMC, Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre, Raheem, Singletary, Taylor, Bijan, and Saquon and Najee are tied for 10th. So the Steelers have been having a great rushing offense these last couple of weeks.
For sure.
Shout out to the Steelers, man. Never in doubt.
Going back to the glory days, man.
I saw John's tweet saying that this isn't a fluke. The Steelers are here and it's real. And he tweeted leading rushers. I think they're number 1 in rushing yards and like top 5 in defending against the run.
This week in the NFL, what do you guys got?
My this week in the NFL kind of goes hand in hand with your running back conversation. Got to respect Josh Jacobs. NFL's reigning champ. Of course, we had him be the league's leader in rushing yards last season. Broke 1,000 yards from scrimmage against the Kansas City Chiefs. Also broke a long-ass streak that the Chiefs haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher. He broke that. And he joins Hall of Famer Marcus Allen as the only Raiders to accomplish that in their first 5 seasons. He is also the only player to do that in each year since 2019. I say this to give respect to Josh Jacobs, who is due for some money. He is one of the best running backs in football. He's a dual threat, can do it with his legs, can do it also receiving the ball. He is really one of the cream of the crops, and I want to pay respect to him because he deserves his money.
So Adam Schefter had an interesting tweet this morning. We didn't talk about it, but Frank Reich got fired. His tweet was he's expecting 7 to 10 head coaching changes this offseason. So I have Yeah, I think on average it's about 7. So I have a list of head coaches. You let me know if you think these coaches will get fired at the end of the season.
All right.
First one hurts my heart, but Robert Saleh.
Adios.
Robert Saleh's not getting fired.
I think he stays.
He stays one more year.
He won't get fired because your defense is amazing, and that's his priority.
Mm-hmm. Antonio Pierce.
No, I think
he stays.
He should be the coach for the Raiders.
I don't know.
I can see the Raiders let him go.
He's had them playing really well.
I
think this is like a Rich Bisaccia 2.0 situation. You give Antonio Pierce a chance.
Bisaccia is that exact reason why I can't feel comfortable saying he will be there next season, because I thought Bisaccia did a great job and that he should have kept the job. That for his sake was not the case. Antonio, who would deserve to be the head coach also, I'm just not confident to say that he will be 100%.
Bill Belichick.
I don't think Bill Belichick remains with the Patriots.
Fired.
I don't think he will be fired.
But
move on, part ways mutually, however you want to put it.
I think he will be the Patriots head coach moving forward because they will be put in a position to get Caleb or Drake May.
I just feel like the offensive limitations of that team, regardless of the quarterback, they're not going to have much success. Like Mac Jones is not playing well. He's costing them a bunch of games.
He's terrible.
But they don't have the infrastructure for a young quarterback. But that's good reasoning because they could have a reset with the talented young quarterback.
What do you think, Rick?
Fired.
Brandon Staley.
He's gone.
Fired.
He's
I
gone.
hope he should have been fired.
He should have been gone yesterday.
Don't let the door hit you with a good Lord's
every single week this season.
Head up to college.
Matt Eberflew.
He's
fired.
Gone.
Oh my God.
Get him
the fuck out of here.
Jim Harbaugh's job next year.
Ron Rivera.
He's gone.
Fired.
He is also gone.
So far, that's 3 coaches we got fired: Brandon Staley, Ron Rivera, and
Matt Eberflew. Yeah, he's gone.
Todd Bowles.
Fired, but not because he did a terrible job. But I think he'll want to go somewhere else.
I don't think he gets fired personally.
The Buccaneers are kind of average. He's not doing a bad enough job to get fired, not doing a great enough job to keep his job for multiple years.
I think they mutually part ways.
I think he stays for one more year.
Sean McDermott.
Oh God.
He's
if
done.
they don't make the playoffs, well, he's gone, bro.
Sad. Good person. Not that.
I think he's gone.
I bring up this name because you had an interesting comment a few weeks ago. Is Brian Dable going to be the head coach of the New York Giants next year?
Yes.
He gets traded to the Bills.
Gets traded?
How many first rounds?
Oh God.
Just
They
one
need
first round
they
pick.
need all of them. I'll be honest. I'll say he stays with New York.
He's not moving.
What about Dennis Allen, Arthur Smith?
Dennis Allen is gone. Arthur Smith, because the Falcons, I think, will make the playoffs, he will keep his job.
I think Arthur Smith stays. Dennis Allen's tough because that Saints defense is good.
If Saints make the playoffs, Dennis stays, and then Arthur stays.
Is it Dennis's fault that Derek Carr can't finish drives?
It's his coaching staff. He's keeping the same OC for years now.
Okay. I'm gonna say he stays.
Okay. That's all I got. Those are 11 names, I think.
All right,
So I think
Riff.
we only had 5
Yes.
firings. That would be less than normal.
Yes.
It's your turn.
My turn. I got 2 would you rather's.
Here we go.
So what-
Not one, but two.
Yeah, I got 2 to add some, content for our lovely, lovely, lovely TikTok fans.
We're spamming the would you rather's.
We
Well,
are.
they're ours.
They've been
So,
hitting.
here we go. I got 2
They
names.
have.
First name up.
Brendan's due.
Would you rather Russell Wilson run it back
Let's do it.
one
Let's do
more
it.
time? First name up, Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins when he's healthy.
That's Captain Kirk, baby.
It's really more for his answer today. That's all.
Because of the injury, I'm gonna go with Russ.
I would
He
also
only has one.
I would
leg
also
right
take
now.
Kirk Cousins.
Very close. Would respect what Kirk Cousins was doing before injury.
Same draft class.
So you're taking Kirk?
I would.
Jared Goff.
Russell Wilson.
I'm going with.
This one's tough.
It's not that tough. For
Who are
me.
you going with, Dehls?
Wow. Dropping it up to Dehls is crazy.
I think I would lean Jared Goff.
Idiot.
I think Jared Goff isn't playing better football.
Has he?
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel confident in that.
I don't because I'm not that high on Jared Goff either.
I'd go Russ Wilson. Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy.
I would still go Russell Wilson.
Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Russ.
You fucked me up. Brock. Nuts. Idiot. Geno Smith.
Russell
Russell
Wilson.
Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
That's not even a competition.
I understand. Brock wasn't either, but you picked Russ. Sam Howell.
Russell
Russell
Wilson.
Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Sam Howell's not even a starting level quarterback.
Oh,
Oh my
Jesus.
God.
He's not a high level starting.
Damn,
quarterback.
I don't
bro.
think- he's not. He's a bottom level starting quarterback.
He's a
That's
starting
fair.
level quarterback.
He's not even a middle of the pack starting quarterback.
Tua.
20th.
Tua.
Tua.
Oh, you're going to
Come on.
Jordan Love.
Russell
Russell
I'm
Wilson.
going with Jordan Love. He's a better player than Russell. Yes,
I'm
right
not
now.
surprised in the
I heard
slightest.
everybody that I heard you.
Jordan Love.
Matthew Stafford.
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 Gotta respect Staffy.
And the last name on the list, Justin Fields.
Russell Wilson.
Justin Fields.
Come on
got
down.
that.
Come on down.
It's 12 for 12 is moving. Nah, it's Russ.
Okay.
Give me
I
Russell
thought you were
Wilson.
gonna.
The lows with Fields are still so low.
I know. I thought you were gonna stand tall.
Are you taking Fields?
Duh.
Okay,
I thought we
my
were gonna
bad.
be here like brothers. Oh, actually, I did have one more. Kyler Murray.
K1.
Kyler.
Kyler Murray.
Okay. This second, would you rather? This one a little bit more heater. That was I know your answer of all of these.
Here we go.
Would you rather Jalen Hurts,
Oh wow.
Where are you gonna get my name? Sir?
Trevor Lawrence?
Jalen
Jalen
Hurts.
I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts.
I would also
We saw-
go Jalen
Such
Hurts.
a short list of people I would.
Yes.
CJ Stroud.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
If you're telling me like who I'd rather have going forward,
That's what would you rather have?
what CJ Stroud's doing with that Texans roster,
You had to know that.
I like CJ long term just a little bit more. I think he's a more talented player, but Jalen Hurts has accomplished a lot right now. So I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts.
You did all that.
Long ass answer. Just saying Jalen.
I would
Hurts.
also go with Jalen
CJ
Hurts.
is that good.
He's a
He's
dog.
that good.
Don't guys tell me.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen's been the second best quarterback.
Josh Allen gets the nod.
Justin Herbert.
I'm still going with Justin Herbert.
I'm
Herbert's
going Jalen Hurts.
Herbert's right there. He's in my top 5, but I would have Hurts over him.
This one's pulling at heartstrings.
It is for you for sure. You had him as number 2 not too long ago.
Jalen Hurts has been unbelievable this year, man.
You're
And
not a-
last year was OD.
Talk to me, bro.
Oof. I'm gonna. Can I plead?
Just almost had another interception, but dropped it.
What score?
3-0 Bears.
It's not
Did you
good.
pick the Bears? I don't think you
We
did.
all picked the Vikings.
No, we picked the Vikings. But I'm so comfortable with them winning. I don't care.
All right, I'm gonna go,
We're still waiting on you, by the way.
bro. Jalen Hurts.
Okay. Dak Prescott.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
I'm gonna take Jalen Hurts.
Oh, you have turned the new fucking league.
Jalen Hurts is insane.
Anthony Richardson.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
And the last answer for vibes, that was your fucked. Lamar Jackson.
I'm going with Lamar Jackson.
Played the fifth.
Jalen
man.
Hurts.
No,
is the
no,
fifth
no,
best
no.
quarterback.
There's no
Pulling,
such
pulling
thing.
a Robert Saleh. Pleading the
There's
fifth.
no such thing as pleading the fifth on Would You Rather, buddy.
These last 2 years, Jalen Hurts has been better, so I go with Hurts.
going with Hurts also.
So what's the difference between you taking Hurts over Justin Herbert? Because when you had when you had Justin Herbert at 2,
I gotta be honest. There's no explanation.
when he had
I'm just gonna be transparent with you, Joel. I get it. You can call me Mr. Flip Aside here. I'll
100%.
shake your hand. I'm here to apologize to the masses. Jalen Hurts, what he's been doing over the last 2 seasons, has put himself in top 3 conversation for me. Justin Herbert, who has been, due to bad circumstance, he's been getting really reprimanded in that regard. He is not the reason the Chargers are losing games. I just look at what Jalen Hurts has been doing the last 2 years. The production on top of just winning games. I got to respect Jalen, what he's doing. That's what it comes down to.
I respect that.
I think Justin Herbert is still an amazing quarterback. He is top 5 at worst. At worst, in my opinion. I have to respect Jalen Hurts. And I understand and respect you for calling me out if you want to. I do get it.
Pistons are down 16.
Which is why it was so hard for me.
What's the Pacers and Blazers game?
Blazers are up 102.98.
Yo,
Wait.
Blazers sold to the Bucks.
Wait. What?
Yeah. It's 114.98 Wizards.
Fire everybody.
Kuzma's got 30.
How much
30,
Kate
18, 30, 13, and 8.
How much Kate?
Yo, All-Star got dropped to the floor.
Cade
was
25
clamping,
and 7.
25-7?
25 and 7.
I can easily defend that.
8 for 20 from the field.
I can
One
still defend
turnover.
that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I can still listen. As long as he give me something to defend, we're good.
Jordan Poole, not so great.
We're here. It's life. Wait, Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Herbert. Who's out?
So
you don't
why
have
is-
Burrow in your 5.
No,
Why is Hurts over
Oh, you
Burrow?
don't have Lamar.
Why
in
is
your
Hurts over
5.
Burrow? Again, you have the production on top of winning football games, just the also dual threat ability, the way that he's progressed as a passer this season, just dropping back in the pocket, trusting his arm. That's really what has been the case where you look at him
But
dealing
Joe
with.
Burrow is a better pocket
Okay,
passer.
small
than-
job.
He is, but as a rusher too, he still has double-digit rushing touchdowns. He has
But-
the most unstoppable play of all time in football
Trade
in his
Cade
back
to a
pocket.
contender.
What Jalen Hurts is doing right now
Lost
in
it.
the 1 year and a half stretch that he's on.
2 years.
Beatable.
Well, okay. Well, it's going to be 2
It'd be
years.
Yeah, 2
perfect.
years. That's what
What
Joe
can I
Burrow
give you?
just did.
No, Joe
How's
Burrow's
the friction
amazing.
Picks?
So the only
3.
reason you're taking Hurts over Burrow is because of the injury to Joe
Three's
Burrow. That
fine.
he
I would also accompany it with winning football games and having an amazing Super Bowl game.
winning football games, but Joe Burrow went to Super Bowl and then
Here we go.
went to the AFC Championship the year after.
Again,
Guys, I'm not in this.
I won't
Yeah.
get into the back and forth because we had this
Three out.
exact.
To be fair, they're 2, 3.
They're-
No,
no,
I
I mean,
mean,
for
or
sure.
3, 4.
So you don't have
like,
Lamar in your top 5.
He is number 6.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying
He's
the
number
seven.
logic,
Figure out who it was.
the logic doesn't add up. That's all I'm saying. Because at the
The
time,
logic's
He
there.
did admit that the logic is not.
No, because at the
sound.
time- at the time-
said you caught me.
Yeah, he did say that. He did say that.
I'm here, hands up.
He 100% said that.
I'll put my hands behind my back, take you to jail. You got me.
No, because
You got me.
because at
But
the
here's
time,
I'll explain my logic. Just very easy. At the time, you're right. I was very, very consistent. Justin Herbert's better than both. Here I am, admitting I was wrong.
but there was no argument for that though. Like even at the time,
Yeah, you
there was
wasn't.
no
You wasn't
argument.
Justin
letting
Herbert
nobody
had
give you
the
an
best
argument.
numbers for the first 3 seasons of any quarterback
over-
of all time.
There was no argument for Justin Herbert coming into this year over Joe Burrow. There was no argument. There was no argument.
Just talent wise,
Especially-
I felt like I
especially-
liked Justin a little bit
Especially
more.
especially when a lot of your reasoning for why you would have these quarterbacks placed had to do with like winning, and then like with Justin Herbert, you're like, oh, he's number 2, but doesn't win.
But that's not true. He made it to the playoffs with Keenan Allen
He
and
lost.
Mike Will both missing significant
Not
amount of
just lost.
time.
He blew a lead.
He did blow a lead.
Yeah.
Defense played a part in that. Also, you can't say no. That's the truth. But on top of it, it's not like Justin Herbert played a bad game, just didn't do enough to win the game. That's the matter of fact.
Because I don't feel like me personally,
Yes.
I don't feel like there's anything that has happened this year that has elevated Hurts past the conversation that he was like already in. Like, I don't think like Jalen Hurts to me coming into the year was a top 7, 8-ish quarterback. Justin Herbert has been playing elite football. Like, there's nothing that's happened that's made me drop
He had an
Herbert.
iffy month of October. It was also in due part to that broken finger on his non-throwing
So,
hand.
yeah, but he's still, I think, like top 6 in QBR. So Justin Herbert to me has done nothing to like lose his spot.
I agree.
And
Still top
Hurts
5
has,
quarterback.
has not really done much to like
Not done much.
go
That's kind
over.
of nuts.
No, I think he's still in the same tier.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, I don't know if
Jalen-
you got comeback wins now against the Chiefs and Bills, down double digits.
He does.
Going into
Like, Jalen
halftime.
Jalen
Now
Hurts
the
is playing
10-1
well.
season.
but like he still hasn't, I think, elevated past the tier he was currently in. Like the next tier that he was supposed to elevate
Here's
into.
the thing. There's one tier
was
by
the-
himself. Here's Patrick Mahomes. Then there's that tier with the Josh Allen, the Burrow,
That was
the
my
Hurts, the
tier
Herbert.
preseason where
There's
any
4.
given year this player could be the second best quarterback in the league.
Let's respect Lamar. We'll respect
Lamar's in
Lamar.
that
He needs to be in.
conversation,
So there's the 5 after Mahomes.
Then you got Trev,
There
CJ,
you go.
Tua,
Absolutely.
K1,
Absolutely.
Dak.
Dak Prescott.
Yeah,
Shit, Kirk Cousins. Honestly, let's respect him.
for sure.
Maybe Russell Wilson. Let's respect him.
Here we go.
That's nuts.
Ah,
But hey, listen, like I said, you got me. I just need to acknowledge what I'm seeing out of Hurts. It's not just the winning. The numbers are there. And he just, in the big moments, he steps up and provides what you need.
Well, the winning is the biggest thing.
But the numbers are also there. I mean, double-digit rushing touchdowns in 3 straight seasons. He already hit that mark going into week 13.
I think when it comes to Hurts, the winning is like the largest pillar of the argument for him. That's the largest.
So he's a phenomenal quarterback.
The numbers are
he's a phenomenal quarterback.
silly.
But the same way how with the argument against Herbert is winning, the argument like for Hurts, like a large part of the argument is the winning too.
It's also historical winning, like 27-2 in your last 29 starts. I don't know. I don't have the numbers, but has a quarterback ever done that?
Was Herbert elite last night in your opinion?
Last night versus the Ravens. No,
It
I
was
feel like
rather
it's hard to be.
The Ravens are
It
great.
is hard to be. I agree.
Like it's hard to be not only because you're facing a Ravens defense, and I think any fully loaded offense is going to struggle against that defense. But Herbert has like little to no help. Like
Quinn Johnson got benched for a
Keenan
practice squad
Allen.
guy.
Keenan was getting double teamed the entire game,
And he still was cooking.
yes, but nobody else could do anything. And then Austin Eckler,
He's
just been
banged
a
up.
negative this year.
Yeah, he's
for
been
them.
banged up.
He just can't run efficiently. So,
It's tragic.
and they had fumbles from Eckler and Keenan Allen. They had 2 turnovers.
Yeah.
Lowest yards per
Herbert-
carry of his career. Herbert had a fumble as well.
Yeah, he had a bad fumble as well. In the red zone.
Four total turnovers in the game.
So for them, like I just feel like it was hard to, given that defensive line, given outside of Rashawn Slater, there's a bunch of turnstiles on the Chargers offensive line. It was hard to be good against the Ravens defense.
Just because 13-10, Justin Tucker misses a field goal that never happens almost ever. There's a position to go down the field, at least tie the game. You don't get points on the board. That's tough.
And Quentin Johnson, somebody mentioned in the comments that he got hurt last night. I thought
He got hurt, but then he got benched too.
Quentin Johnson, what Brandon Staley said is that he was on the bench for performance issues, not because he was like hurt or nothing. So he got benched last night, and it doesn't help that the Chargers drafted a bust for Justin Herbert. Yeah, like he's the signs for him becoming any like even solid level player in the NFL are low.
Remember that receiver, Kevin White?
Yeah,
The Bears.
he got injured.
He was supposed to be great.
Supposed to be amazing.
Is that
He
the same
got
draft?
injured.
No. Sammy Watkins was Odell, Mike Evans. Who was Kevin White's draft? Now I'm
Kevin
blanking.
Benjamin?
No,
I don't remember.
It might have been
honestly.
Odell.
it was.
Calvin Benjamin was another one. Couple years beast, fell off.
So Kevin White was the same draft as Odell, Mike Evans.
He was
I think so.
2015 draft class.
I think Kevin White was in that draft class, but he tore his ACL. Injuries really derailed his career. I don't know how he was going to play when he was healthy though, but like Quinn Johnson is winning on like less than 30% of his routes versus man. He's not winning versus zone. He's dropping passes. So you're talking about a player who
Amari
doesn't.
Cooper, they said.
So you're talking about a player who doesn't win versus man, doesn't win versus zone.
Maury got drafted
Has a
high.
problem with catching the ball.
He was amazing.
He
Had a problem with drops too.
Quinn Johnson's like you can argue is the worst receiver in the NFL. Like one of the worst receivers.
He's
in the
better
NFL.
than Randall Cobb.
I don't even
Randall
know.
Cobb's 40. That's not saying much.
Is he better than Xavier Gibson?
Gibson clears.
Gibson clears.
I'm trying to find what draft he was.
Allegedly, it was Amari
26
Cooper's draft.
2016 draft class. Looks like.
Was it the Amari Cooper draft?
Somebody
Tommy-
said
saying that.
yeah, Cameron Stewart said that. It was Amari Cooper's draft.
2015 draft class. Yeah. So who do we have in this?
He said Kevin White was balling for a few games as some.
This was so Amari Cooper. Yeah, he was 4th overall. We had Kevin White 7th, Devontae Parker 14th, Nelson Aguilar went 20th, Brashad Perryman 26th, Philip Dorsett 29th. Not a great receiver class. Devin
Fucking
Smith from the
yuck.
Jets. God damn. he
Devin
was
Smith,
bad.
burner.
He was a burner.
2K legend.
Ohio
2K
State.
Madden legend.
Supposed to be
Dorial
good.
Green Beckham.
Philip Dorsett was supposed to be good too.
Tyler Lockett was in this draft class.
Nice.
Finessed.
Sammy Coates, Ty Montgomery, Jamison Crowder.
Yeah,
Now,
remember,
Stop reading.
do y'all remember Tavon Austin's
Stephon Diggs.
mixtape?
No
That's round pick,
way.
yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Tavon Austin mixtape was one of the greatest
It
things
was.
I've ever
It was
seen
legendary.
in my life.
At West Virginia, right? With him and
Yo,
Geno Smith.
Mike,
Yeah,
was
was
it,
viral.
man?
Darren Waller was also said as a wide receiver. I didn't know that.
My this week in the NFL is pretty easy. The Panthers fired Frank Reich after starting 1-10. Thought it was weird because he gets into Carolina. He decides he wants to call plays. It's not working out, so he now gives the duties off to his offensive coordinator. His offensive coordinator doesn't do a good job. So Frank Reich takes back play calling duties, and Frank Reich starts calling plays. And 4th and 6 screen pass when the game is on the line, you need a first down.
That's Adam Gase shit.
Frank Reich all the credibility and all of the reputation that he built up in his time in Philadelphia, in his time with the Colts when he had a carousel of quarterbacks, that's all lost. This job he did with Bryce Young is one of the worst coaching jobs in NFL history. And I think it is. It's one of the worst coaching jobs in NFL history.
I watched Hackett last year. Wasn't fun.
There are rumors
around. I'm blanking.
Meyer?
No. Urban Meyer for sure.
Urban Meyer is one of the worst.
But the Browns head coach, I'm blanking on his name.
Hugh Jackson.
Is it Hugh Jackson?
Hugh Jackson.
I said Hugh. I'm thinking
Freddie
Hugh
Kitchens.
Jackman. Who am I thinking?
Hugh Jackson.
But
Hugh
who-
Jackman
Freddie
is
Kitchens.
Wolverine.
There it is. Just my mind's all over the
They're
place.
coming out with a game too.
Bro, and the game looks gas.
Five.
Freddie Kitchens. He was
It's
one of the
time,
two for
bro.
the Browns.
It'll be 5. It's time.
I do think Frank Reich's coaching job, what he did, is one of the worst coaching jobs that I've seen in NFL history. And I don't care about the rumor of Josh McCown and Frank Reich. They wanted CJ Stroud instead of Bryce Young, and David Tepper stepped in and he wanted Bryce Young because he had a nice dinner with Bryce Young. That doesn't matter to me, because once you have Bryce Young in the building and once he is the quarterback for the team, you have to build the proper system for him to succeed. The Panthers right now are in a really bad situation because they traded a lot to go get Bryce Young, who I had reservations about still as the top prospect. But nonetheless, you trade a Pro Bowl wide receiver, you trade a first-round pick, you trade a second-round pick, and now you're slated to have the first overall pick again. But this is going to Chicago. The Panthers, I think, have talented pieces on defense. They're going to have to trade some of their best players to even try to build up this offense to give Bryce Young a chance at succeeding. And I just think this is a prime example of an owner stepping in and trying to make decisions over the football personnel people. There is a reason why coaches don't want to go to Carolina. They have fired 2 coaches mid-season the last 2 years. You have Matt Rule last year, who I thought wasn't a good head coach, and now Frank Reich now. For all the head coaching candidates that are going to be available this offseason, they're going to look at that and they're not going to want to come to Carolina. Bryce Young is in a position to fail with the Panthers, and I feel bad because I think had he had a better situation, he would be having a way better rookie season. And it all starts with Frank Reich. I thought he was much better than he showed in Carolina, and I feel like the effort he showed in Carolina felt like it was half-assed, and he put this guy's career on the line because of it.
It's unfortunate. I think collectively said that, or I should say collectively. I forgot. It was me and someone else. I don't know if it was you or Joel.
I thought it was great coaching staff.
Yeah, we all thought that Frank Reich, you had Josh McCown there, you had some former players, and we all felt pretty confident that at least the coaching staff of Carolina compared to Houston, we felt more comfortable about, since you had Niko Ryan's first-time head coach, Bobby Slowick, first-time play caller. And what we've seen from Frank Reich over the years was he was able to win with marginal quarterback play, whether it was Carson Wentz, whether it was Phillip Rivers. He was able to, make the playoffs, be at least respectable in the AFC South. And then he goes, and it did feel a bit premature firing because then they bring in Jeff Saturday. It felt like almost a slap in the face to Frank Reich, who had done a pretty good job. There was coached multiple years, and just get kicked out for Jeff Saturday, who had no coaching experience. So it felt like he had a chip on his shoulder, but then he goes to Carolina, and I was not expecting this, right? I think we all thought the Panthers were going to be a rebuilding team, but we were expecting some flashes, and the flashes from Bryce Young have been few and far between. You see moments here and there, but it's just so hard, especially in the same draft class when you have CJ Stroud and when you had Anthony Richardson for those first few weeks, how special they looked as players. And you see Bryce Young, and while I don't think he's been fantastic,
Good, bro.
I think that the support system around him,
He's
from
lost
the
his
coaching to the lack of separation to the offensive line, there's just so many problems going on in Carolina. And Joel is right. They're going to have to get rid of defensive pieces to give Bryce Young a chance next season.
I had the Panthers making a playoff.
That's tough, though, because you're going to have to either move off of Derek Brown, you're going to have to move off Brian Burns, you're going to have to move off J.C.
They could have got 3 firsts for Brian Burns?
So,
2? I'd have did
At
that
a point in
shit.
time.
I would have done that in a heartbeat last year,
Did that quickly,
especially if you're going to get the number one.
J.C.
Brian
Horn's
Burns was
always
good,
banged
but I
up.
said, listen,
Come on,
2
dog,
first-round
bro.
picks from the Rams? Come on. That's easy.
I think it's still irresponsible for a team to trade up in the draft to the first overall pick
And not know who the player is going to be.
Exactly. The fact that there was even a debate of the player, like when they traded for the pick, they should have known this is the guy we're going to take, and this is why we traded up to go get this guy. The fact that they had no idea, like it was between AR, CJ, and Bryce, and a good dinner with Bryce Young was the reason why David Tepper was like, I want this guy for the franchise. I just think it's
Alabama. Come on.
I just think that it's just poor. It's poor management. It's poor ownership. And I think maybe this isn't all on Frank Reich. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a lot of it is on the ownership. It could be that. But the product they had out on the football field tells me that Frank Reich just didn't have a feel for how modern NFL defenses are playing his offenses. And I thought that was a similar story last year with Matt Ryan. I thought Matt Ryan still has something left in the tank. And
That's never going to die.
And he ruined Matt Ryan. Ruined Matt Ryan.
What could have been, man?
Man, Shane Steichen coming in a year later, he got this team at 6-5. You telling me that's not an indictment on Matt?
Matt Ryan has a Pro Bowl season with Shane Steichen.
Yeah, he's that good. That actually,
Shane Steichen's OD.
He's a great coach.
That actually leads me into this, right? I think a team that we do not talk about. They never get talked about.
We haven't had a topic about them ever.
We've never had a topic about them, but they deserve some recognition.
You stopped talking about him once he went down.
The Colts are the most underrated team in the NFL. I'm not saying they're contenders. I'm not saying they're these locks to make the playoffs, even though they currently are in the playoffs. But they're 6-5. Shane Steichen, the job he's doing with the Colts, one of the best coaching jobs I've seen in recent time. With Gardner Minshew. Minshew's not even playing the best. No. They're 6-3 when he plays.
Are we doing a schedule?
They've beaten some good teams.
If you want to watch the schedule, I mean, yeah, you could give credit where credit's due. They're winning ball games.
I think say an upcoming schedule.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck?
They've beaten the Ravens. They put up how many points on the Browns defense? 39, 38. I mean, listen,
lost.
The job that Shane Steichen is doing with this team, he's doing a hell of a job. This team that I thought lost talent in the offseason, but they've had a ton of players step up. Zaire Franklin has been amazing. He's been one of the better linebackers.
Very good.
Their defensive line has been awesome. Ebukam, who they got in free agency, has been a bright spot. Kwity Paye, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart. They got a really good team going on here, and I think Shane Steichen deserves a lot of credit for turning around the Colts in one offseason, because I know last year nobody kind of had the Colts in mind much. I had high expectations for the Colts last year. I think the coaching is what held them back. But them having a top pick and Shane Steichen having to basically go into a rebuild and the rebuild be ahead of schedule, I think they're the most underrated football team in the NFL. Every week they have a chance to win, and it's because of Shane Steichen, and it's because of how he's been coaching this football team. It reminds me a lot of the Giants of last year, except I think the Colts are more talented, and they got a better quarterback.
Oh, so you have AR there. You straight, Riv? You've been over there touching your nose and shit. I don't really know what's going on.
Nah, my fucking eye. Something got in, and I was measuring my nose because I was looking at this screen, and my nose looked long. So I was just like, "Let me see."
You wanted to go through the schedule, Rick?
Let's go. Yeah, let's because the schedule is light.
The Colts are 6-5.
Really
this is the remaining schedule.
Let's do it.
At Titans, do the Colts win that game?
Yes.
Have they played the Titans this year?
They have, and they beat them.
Everybody beats the Titans.
Yeah. To be fair, though, I'd probably favor the Colts.
They won 23-16.
That's 7-5 at the Bengals.
They could lose this game.
Bengals looked bad. Jake Browning did not look good.
Still not a gimme though.
Jake Browning. Well,
I'll go
really good on
Indianapolis,
first, second down, and terrible on third down.
I'll go Indianapolis.
He had two passes that got tipped by the defender. That Jamar Chase
That's
is just a ball hawk.
Yeah, for sure. I'd probably be the Colts.
Colts probably could win that one.
That's 8-5 versus the Steelers. The Colts are at home for this one.
I think the Steelers win that game.
I do also think Steelers win.
The Colts are now 8-6 at Atlanta.
Atlanta gonna need it.
You can't look at me. I can never pick a correct game with Falcons.
I'm gonna go Colts though. I think Colts steal this one.
That's tough. I feel like they're gonna lose like one of these Tennessee, like one of these games. So I'd lean Atlanta at home.
9-6 for. Or you lean Atlanta?
I'd lean Atlanta.
Okay, you have who?
I have the Colts.
You have the Colts. So you have them currently 8-7. You have them at 9-6 versus the Raiders.
Raiders can sneaky win that game.
And that's why I like that.
Dehls mentioned it. You need one of those. So I'll say Raiders win this one.
I'll take the dub here so we could even out. Get the same record.
So we're at 9-7 right now. Last game of the season versus the Texans.
Oh, L.
Yeah.
Texans lost to them week 2.
They ain't getting swept.
So the Colts finished the season off 9-8,
Which is
but
a beautiful
if they win one of the 2 games that one of you guys had losing,
win
which is
2.
the Raiders or the Falcons, that could be 10-7.
They can win 11 games. Like it may not be 100, like, but those
11 games is crazy.
Is it? But if you
11
really
games-
think about those games, like outside of the Steelers game,
I know, just seeing 11-6 for the Colts with Gardner Minshew.
like outside of the Steelers
give
game,
Shane
they can
Steichen
win
coach of the
every
year.
single one of those games. Even the Steelers game is still we got to wait and see how this offense
Yeah.
continues to progress.
But it feels like those outside of Houston, I feel pretty confident in winning. But
Mhm.
those other 5 games, all of them
Yeah,
are toss-ups. Even
for
the
sure.
Steelers game, we've been playing great. We know
Mhm.
the Steelers, they could look great one week and terrible the next.
They could lose a couple of those though. Like Atlanta, Texans, Steelers, they could lose all 3 of those games.
And that leads us perfectly into our next topic. Which team currently out of the playoffs are you buying to make it? On the outside looking in, we got the Texans, Broncos, Bills, Packers, Rams, Saints, and Bucks. Which team are you buying?
I want to know if Riv's buying into the Buffalo Bills because the talent's there. Josh is playing elite football. The schedule is brutal.
The schedule is tough.
Should we remind people what the schedule is? Should I pull it up real quick?
Actually, yeah. Can you remind me, please? I know they got Dallas.
So
then they got
this
the Chargers.
upcoming week, or excuse me, this is 2 weeks from now. My apologies.
They're 6 and 6.
How
Oh, they're on a bye this week.
How about we have Riv actually make his take on a team he's buying,
Okay.
and then we do the schedule for that team.
It was Buffalo.
Oh, he's Buffalo.
It was
All right,
Buffalo.
perfect.
I'm buying. They're 6 and 6. I'm buying in, but I don't remember the schedule fully. I know they got the Chargers.
So they have a bye this week.
All
right. So then following the bye, they have the Chiefs in Arrowhead.
Okay, keep going.
They're home to the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, keep going.
They're at the Chargers.
Okay, keep going.
They're home to the Patriots.
Right. Okay.
They're at Miami.
They'll finish 10-7. They'll get in.
They're gonna 7 gets you in.
Buffalo's gonna get in as a 7th seed in the playoffs. They're gonna get in and they're gonna give one of these teams fits. And here is why. They have the second best in your eyes, most of our eyes. They have the second or third best quarterback in the league. He's been playing lights out. He's having one of his best completion percentages in his career this year. He has been turning over the ball a lot this year, but at the same time, he is leading the league in total touchdowns by a significant amount. The offense looks better. They have a combination of running the ball, passing the ball. They use a mixture of Cook, Latavius Murray, who has been good. They've now spread out their offense in Shakir. That's how you say his last name. Shakir. And I should know how to say that. That's on me, culture.
Shakir.
Yeah, for sure. And Shakir. Damn, I fucked up again. And Shakir.
Shakir.
And Khalil. And Diggs. And Kincaid. Dawson Knox does come back this week or next week. So that's a beauty to see. I think this defense, we mentioned it. It's not good, but it has its moments where it shows you that it's a bend, don't break. It does make plays. It can have a timely turnover. Von Miller has not been the guy that they thought he would be. But at the same time, you got Terrell Bernard, Tyler Dotson. You got these unsung heroes that's been playing well for this defense. So for me, I think out of all these teams, the Texans, the Colts, why not trust in the best quarterback out of all these 3 guys in Josh Allen? Why not trust in a guy who has shown you time and time again that he can be a superhero? And this offense has shown you past 2 weeks, he doesn't necessarily need to be if they have a balanced attack. They've played things differently. Joe Brady has looked good. Record, it was against the Jets, but that defense still gives everybody hell. And then against the Eagles, they looked, outside of that turnover, they looked pretty fine in the rain. Josh Allen was playing great. So I'm going to go God almighty. Bills finished 10-7. They walk in as a 7th seed, cause some wreck, maybe upset the Ravens, maybe upset the Dolphins. You never know, but they'll get into the playoffs.
You know what team I'm buying. It's the team I'm repping to the day I die.
Sure. Talk your shit.
The who now? That fraudulent ass team that we already handled in our 5-game heater. Listen, man.
You just said Ramley. I respected you for sure.
It's not out of the realm of possibility. It really isn't. They definitely could make the playoffs, but I got bigger fish to fry, and I'm talking about my Denver Broncos. And why I'm so happy and why I'm so optimistic is we're on a 5-game heater, and in that 5-game heater, the Chiefs, the Bills, 2 teams that everyone props up to be the cream of the crop. Where the Chiefs, you can, I guess you got to respect them. Of course, we're talking about reigning Super Bowl champs, but the Bills, who have 6 losses, a team that we already beat, a team that we're going to talk about our power rankings that I might have the Denver Broncos over. And why is that? Since week 8, we're talking about the number 2 defense in the National Football League. If you want to go off EPA, which I know isn't the greatest of stats, but you gotta adapt, you gotta adjust. Number 2 defense in EPA, number 1 in the NFL in total takeaways with 22, just one over the Buffalo Bills. We've been menacing on the defensive side of the ball. Baron Browning, since he's returned from injury, he's been a pest, a presence on the defensive line that we desperately needed. We benched Amari Mathis, Jaquan McMillan. You guys have heard this time and time again. The Broncos offense has been able to do a job, be efficient, just went up against the best statistical defense in the National Football League in the Cleveland Browns, put up 29 points on them. We get into the red zone. We're talking about the best red zone quarterback in the game in Russell Wilson. Number 1 in touchdowns, 0 INTs.
Portland won. Sorry.
Let me ask you a fucking question, Ray.
I'm so sorry.
Do I give a flying fuck about Portland right now?
Joel, because he
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. And you know why that's pretty poetic? Because you constantly disrespect the Denver Broncos, and it all comes back to your disrespect to Denver.
No, he was asking about Portland before.
That was like a 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, but I was just telling him Portland won.
And I'm talking to you about the Denver Broncos and why they clear your bum-ass Cleveland Browns.
They're on the phone.
Them.
They're on the
clear them.
That's your number 1 team, right?
Who?
The Denver Broncos, right?
So they die.
Do they clear the Eagles? Shut your fucking
anything.
mouth then. They're on their phone. I was answering him. Go ahead, bro. I now whispered it.
They didn't speak. You whisper.
I whispered
a
it.
whisper.
That was a
fucking whisper.
That was a whisper.
Do your job.
I speak loud.
Do your fucking job.
That was a whisper. Listen, go ahead and spill. My fault. I did say my fault. I said my fault. I didn't mean that.
Because that quarterback you keep disrespecting, number 2 in touchdown interception ratio, top 5 in touchdowns. Respect him.
How many touchdowns?
Respect. I think 20 flat.
Sweet.
He has been very.
Jordan Love has more.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Jordan Love has 19.
He has more total touchdowns.
Okay, whatever. I guess.
It matters now.
I guess. But again, Russell Wilson's just taking care of the ball. He's doing an amazing job. Javonte Williams has been awesome. Courtland Sutton has truly been one of the biggest surprises for me in this offense because I wasn't anticipating him to get back to 2019 Courtland Sutton. He's been fantastic, super fun to watch, did his thing against this Cleveland Browns team. I'm in. This defense is legit. We turned the ball over. Russell Wilson's been awesome, just doing an excellent job.
Over.
No, we getting turnovers.
Oh, you said we turned the ball over.
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Okay,
well, that's technically correct. You turn the
yeah, exactly. We're getting a ton of takeaways. Understand? I appreciate it. Yeah, number 1 in the league. I'm all in with our remaining schedule. Ironically enough, it's this week because I look at the Texans' schedule, who are just outside 2. If you want to buy in on them, I get it. It comes down to this week with Houston versus the Denver Broncos. If we win this game and we can turn over a CJ Stroud, our defense is really legit because he's been one of the cleanest at keeping the ball safe. Number 1 in touchdown interception ratio. That's the difference between us making the playoffs and us not, because right now they have the tiebreaker over us.
So you got Denver?
I got Denver, man. I feel great. I love what I'm seeing. I don't know about your Buffalo Bills, sir. I say that for the idea of their offense is awesome. Josh Allen's elite. But that defense, I still do worry about.
For sure. I mean, if they rock out and they go win an Arrowhead, you should think they could beat everybody else after that. Mm-hmm. So, you know.
And the unfortunate part with the Broncos is we see the Chargers twice. Just a division game. Mm-hmm. Could we beat them twice with the way that their defense looks? Maybe. But twice against a division opponent, regardless, you got to pay respect. But the Raiders, that game 18, I promise you we're having that one.
I like Denver.
You're in?
Buffalo, maybe.
That's easy.
The team I'm going with, you're right, Drew.
Yeah,
the Houston Texans. And it's going to come down to this matchup. The Texans have won 3 out of their last 4. CJ Stroud's a man on a mission, man. He's just
so cool.
It doesn't matter these tight games, last possession, last drive. He gets them in field goal range. Matt Amendola's not able to come up, but we've seen him get big play after big play, beautiful throw after beautiful throw. Tank Dell having a breakout season, Niko Collins having a breakout season. And I look at this upcoming schedule for the Houston Texans. Their biggest test can be this week against Denver Broncos, but they have this game at home. Subscribe to the Patreon if you want to know our picks. That's all I'll say. But after this Broncos game, you got a gimme win against the New York Jets. Then you got the Titans, the Browns, possibly with PJ Walker now, the Titans again, and the Indianapolis Colts week 18. I'm looking at this Texan schedule. Their offense is so good. CJ Stroud is so good that they're going to be able to beat up on these bad opponents and bad quarterback play on the other side. I know the Browns defense is elite. The Jets defense is elite, but I don't trust those offenses one bit. Not especially the Jets. These guys, if they score more than 10 points, run a fucking victory lap at this point. And the Browns offense, I've been trying to tell you, Riv, week after week.
7-4.
You can keep doing it. Eventually, the ship is going to sail. Eventually, the roller coaster is going to come off the rails.
Wrong a lot, man.
And we've seen this past week against Denver, It did not look good offensively. They have
That's
no
some
passing attack,
context,
and
man.
to rely on Jerome
context
Ford
you
and
want?
Kareem Hunt to be your offense.
No, brother, let him add the context.
I don't know
What's
if
the
that's what I want to be a
context?
part of.
They had a couple turnovers in their own territory. And let you guys score.
Hold on to the ball.
Is
Here's the
DTR
context. Broncos are number 1 in takeaways.
I agree.
What has DTR shown us 2 out
He's
of
not
3
playing.
games he started? What is okay? Even better. What has PJ Walker showed us?
That they can still win even though he plays like shit.
I don't trust the Browns one bit on offense. So I think the Houston Texans are going to win some games down the stretch here. Get that 7
Hey,
seed.
don't sleep on them Browns, babe. You've been sleep too long.
You know,
babe.
Dehls, I'm taking you up on your investment. I'm gonna invest in some money on your take right here because I'm a buying in on the Texans. But you know what disappointed me with all you men up here talking, giving your spiel? I did not hear one mention of an NFC team. I did not hear one mention of one of the hottest teams in the league. The team I'm buying.
Throw up.
Dante,
Not only am I
Dante-
buying this team, the team I'm buying, not only am I buying this team,
Super Bowl.
I'm ending the podcast right now. I'm going upstairs, putting on my business attire and suit. I'm bringing all my private information with me. I'm going to the bank. I'm saying, open myself a checkers account. And that's how much money I'm putting into this team. It's the goddamn Green Bay Packers. You know that they're 3-1 in their last 4 games. You know that in Jordan Love's first 12 starts compared to Aaron Rodgers' first 12 starts, they are nearly identical to the T.
It is.
Jordan Love is the future of the Packers. And isn't it ironic that the year that the Packers traded Aaron Rodgers and failed to make the playoffs with him the year before, they make the playoffs the very next year with the Love, man. Jordan Love is going to lead the Packers to the playoffs. Matt LaFleur is undefeated in December. The Packers games in December are the Chiefs, the Giants, the Buccaneers, the Panthers, and the Vikings. I think that's 4-1. I think if they go 4-1, that puts them at 9-7, or 3-2, that puts them at 8-8. And their week 18, they face the Bears. So the Packers will either finish the season 10-7 or 9-8, and they will buy their ticket into the NFL playoffs, led by first-year starter Jordan Love. And you know what, Drew? I'll let you put some money on my investment as well. With the Sam Howell bet that you're going to lose, you give me that money, and we'll take it to the bank, and we'll flip that for you. Because you know the Packers is taking it.
That's mad disrespectful, I'll be honest with you.
It's not disrespectful. Not
No, it
even
was.
a little
He
bit.
basically said he was going to use your money.
About your analogy. I was just confused with you go to the bank and open a checking account.
Lost me too, bro.
If you open a checking, there's no money until you put money in the
you
checking.
you fucked up there, but we
It's
let
the team I'm buying. I'm putting my money in there.
You're putting the Packers into your checkings account.
Yes, I'm putting the money in there.
That's something. I haven't heard that one.
Terrible.
something new.
Um,
Okay, here we go.
I'm not worried. Again, I've given acknowledgement to Jordan. I've been very consistent.
Yeah, but you shitted on him. That's why you don't get the pass with me. You
I-
shitted on him all year
Here's the
long.
thing.
So I
I want nothing to do with being in the Jordan Love fan club. I'm here for acknowledgement. To use your word, unbiased. I'm trying to do that with Jordan Love. He's been solid going up against the Lions. I was not surprised whatsoever. Subscribe to the Patreon. You hear this opinion. I had a feeling he would have a good game against the Lions. Winning was not in the cards, but I felt he would have a good game. Add a plus bonus. He won the game, and he looked damn good doing it too. I don't have any issues with Jordan Love. If Joel wants to make up this rivalry,
you said Sam Howell was better.
I'm
That's
cool with
wrong.
this.
That's a wrong
Sam
opinion.
Howell's been pretty fucking
Oh,
awesome.
that's a
this
wrong
season.
opinion. No, he has not been awesome.
Who's in a better
He-
situation?
He leads Sam Howell. He
Really?
has way more weapons.
But the offensive line.
Bro, he has way more weapons than what are you talking about?
Terry McLaurin, are we gonna have the conversation similar like a Christian Watson?
Hey Riv, can you answer me a question?
I know, I'm being rude.
That's rude.
I'm being
Can
rude.
you
but I'm
answer me a
just saying.
question?
What up, dog?
What's better if you have more sacks or less sacks? What's better as like a quarterback?
Less sacks?
Okay, Jordan Love has way less sacks than Sam Howell.
I
thought it was a
Sam
trick
Howell-
question.
Bro pulled that one stat.
Sam Howell actually he leads the NFL in sacks.
I'll be
by, like,
honest,
pretty
we
large
also
margin.
but
do need to
we've
have
had
that
the-
conversation about Terry McLaurin, but we'll get
I
to that
know.
later.
Also,
Try to tell me. Yeah,
what's
we really-
worse, having more interceptions or less interceptions?
I'm gonna assume
Sam Howell has way more interceptions.
Way
than-
more. I think it's 4.
turnover worthy
a
play
good amount.
percentage. He has
That's
a
one.
far
He
better.
had one
turnover-worthy
game
play
against the
percentage.
Bills where he had the
Right,
4.
he did have a lot against
Which you have to use.
He had a
What
lot
about
of
versus,
sacks
what about
that
versus
game,
the
too.
Giants? How much interceptions he had versus the
Yeah,
Giants?
2.
Okay. How many fumbles he has this season? Probably a lot.
They're
right?
both
I don't know.
bottom 10.
Yeah,
What are we doing?
Jordan Love's not bottom
We got a
10.
mid
He's not top
No,
15.
No, he's not.
He is bottom
He's not
10,
top
and that's
15,
not a
but
slight.
he's
There's a lot
bottom
of good
10. Yeah,
quarterbacks.
he's
He's put
bottom 10.
himself in like the top 18.
No.
Yeah. I've been ranking the quarterbacks every week this year.
Happens-
I can't take
So where do
you
you have
seriously.
where do you
You're
have
a
Jordan
Love
Love?
fan.
So where do you
Yo,
have
you
Jordan Love?
do it every week. What number?
Jordan Love,
What's he,
off the
jumped
top of my head,
18?
is number 19. 18, 19, yeah.
Where was he?
Show me the list.
Where was he 3-4 weeks ago?
He was like 24.
And he's jumped to 18.
Yeah, because I think that you can argue he's better than Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields had
That's
like
fair.
the 19th spot for me. Derek Carr was around there. I think Jordan Love has played himself over those guys.
Derek Carr
So, yeah.
stinks.
So yeah.
Better than Baker.
Better than Baker. That's definitely a toss up.
AR,
I would
AR
lean Baker.
or Jordan Love.
Hasn't played enough games.
I like AR long term, his potential and his ability long term, but this year, he's played 3 games. I can't just say he's a better player than Jordan Love. Jordan Love has not had the best situation in the NFL, and he's made the most of it.
I think there's Justin Fields.
I mean, to be fair, I'm just looking at just like straight passing yards leader, or excuse me, passing touchdowns, and like 22nd is Mac Jones. So if you're just 3 spots at it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's
How
been a
many
lot
does
of
he have?
injuries to quarterbacks and whatnot.
How many does Mac have? 15?
10.
But I
He's
think
awful.
the fact that Jordan Love, this is his first year starting, the fact that he's shown that he can be a serviceable
That's why
quarterback
you got to
and a
respect
starter,
it. You got to respect it.
that's what you do. And then
Brother,
you
he's been
build
in
off
the
that.
year. He's been in the league 3 years.
But he hasn't played.
Yeah, but like his window he don't get the same time as a rookie.
He don't
Like,
get the same window, but he's also not showing that he's a liability.
No, of course not.
He's not.
He's not.
He's not. And he has a solid arm.
So I think that's the difference, and that's why it's a gift and a curse when you're drafted into that type of situation. You learn, but then you only have one shot to prove yourself.
I mean,
And
if you
this
one
was
of them
his shot,
ones,
and he's playing well. He's proven
What am I
himself.
about to say?
Trey Lance. Well, Purdy came in. Purdy
And
came
when
in
the
for Jordan
Packers,
Love.
and
Jordan
when the
Love wouldn't
Packers
play.
make the playoffs and Jordan Love leads them there, they might be one and done, sure, but there's a lot of
They'll play like
optimism.
Dallas or San Fran.
You listen, the Packers get into the playoffs with the
That's a
start
win.
they had. It's a huge W.
It's a win. Sure. So you have Packers, you have Houston,
Texans.
Denver, Buffalo. I like it. We all have
Listen,
different varieties.
only one of us probably gonna be right out of
I
us
know,
three.
yeah.
And he's got a chance.
I mean,
If I were to bet,
I would rather see Buffalo and Texan end than Pittsburgh and Cleveland.
Agreed. Absolutely.
100%.
Show give me
So,
quarterbacks.
Yeah, give me the fun offense
Yeah.
for sure.
right
So,
now the 3 teams in the playoffs are
Browns,
in the wild card
Steelers.
for the
who was the
AFC
other one?
is the Browns, Colts, and Steelers.
Colts.
Outside looking in is the Broncos, Texans, and Bills.
We got to
I'll
figure out a
flip-
way to
I'll-
get those teams in.
Let's
back.
get us in together
Please.
collectively. Let's do it.
Turn me
Let's
up.
pray. And let's get you into it, man. Let's
hold
have
on.
a 4-way. Just get us all
What's
in
the
the
four-way?
playoffs.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah. What's up,
Brett,
dog?
am I wrong though for saying
Of
that
course you're asking me.
he
So we just
was
get the
shitting
power
on Jordan
rankings
Love?
and
No.
show.
Was he not shitting
I
on
was.
Jordan
I
Love?
was
week
with
by-
him.
I was.
You was
So-
with him. So
so
you
was I.
know.
Who wasn't?
That's okay.
He was ass for
He
like
was
2 months.
he was
I'm
dog
fine.
shit,
He
bro.
was not
You're
good.
mad at us
You want
because
me
we
to
were
be
telling you he was
unbiased?
ass.
You're supposed to be
He
unbiased.
was ass.
Say he wasn't good. He
He
wasn't.
was on bullshit, and then he
He
stepped his
was.
game up. That's all.
Because
Yeah.
I was very active early in the season because we do a fantasy show. Like, he was one of the guys. I was like, yo, fantasy
And
football.
Joe,
He's
I was
good.
with you in the off season, like Green Bay, and then he was playing like shit.
He wasn't bad against the Broncos.
Did I say
No.
he was bad against
No,
the
I didn't
Broncos?
say-
I'm
no,
just
no.
saying.
That's part
I've
of
been
the,
as honest as I could with Jordan.
that's part of the 4-game stretch people look at. He wasn't bad versus the
He
Vikings. He
wasn't.
wasn't
He
bad
wasn't.
versus the Broncos.
He wasn't.
The only game that he was terrible was the Raiders game.
Correct.
The Lions game wasn't good in the first half. In the second half, he bounced back.
He did.
The only terrible game this season was the Raiders game.
It's like,
Everything else he
have
played.
I not
whatever.
said that with you too? I'm kind of the one that helped you with that too. He's a second half quarterback. The stats backed it
You
up.
didn't help me with that. Bro.
You know what I mean. You know what I
But
mean.
listen, all the merrier, because since you think he's a second half quarterback, second half of the season, that's where he turns.
There
up
you
against the Packers
go.
into the
There you
playoffs.
go.
No,
a little optimism.
Hey, listen. All I'm saying is that there's clips of you telling me to my face, Jordan Love's trash. He's this.
I'm
he's
not
that.
disagreeing
Years
with you.
ago- listen,
Here's the thing. I'm
listen.
not running for my truth.
Listen, yeah, that's the thing. That's why I got the gripe. That's why
It's
I got
cool
the gripe.
with me, but I'm being as unbiased as humanly possible. There's been games this season where he's not looked good. There's games where he's got critiqued, and I was with you. He's not as bad as everyone's saying he is. And then this game versus Detroit, I was very confident that he would play well, and he did. The game that you said that fans weren't allowed to hop on after. It's like, hey, I was there. I called it. I said he would have himself a great game. Winning was not something that even you didn't think could happen. So
I thought it for like a couple minutes.
you didn't fall through.
I didn't fall through.
All I'm
I didn't
saying.
fall through, but I definitely made the crack in the floor for somebody else to fall through. But I didn't fall through all the way. Now, Drew, what you're doing is not worse than what this guy did. This guy traded me Jordan Love for Miles Sanders in fantasy.
I was terrible.
Miles
You
Sanders.
saw they fired their running back coach too? Maybe Miles got some upside.
He was on the show, and his hate for Jordan Love
you know
in
what's
that
hilarious?
specific moment was the
Said,
reason why
"Send me nothing."
he traded me Jordan Love for nothing.
Here, okay, I'm gonna add context for the fans. I don't give a fuck about fantasy. I don't touch the app. So when he first of all, And
Why
he's,
can't you have fun?
hold on, Dehls, because this guy's comedy.
He was
feeding.
I know. I was
Dude,
here.
No,
I was begging him
Not
for
only was
Jordan
he-
Love for weeks.
Not
and
only-
you were on your hands
Not
and
only
knees.
was he begging on his hands and knees on the show, he's in my messages texting me, yo, Jordan Love, and I'm just like, bro, here, you can have. I don't like. He's no use to me.
He acts like I did it every day, bro. It was like once every couple weeks. After he said no, I would leave it alone. Then after that,
2 weeks later,
then-
yo,
no,
Jordan Love.
Yeah, because
2 weeks later,
After
Yeah.
Jordan Love stinker, you're
yeah,
back on
because
it.
on the show you was bashing him. I said, if you're
He was
bashing him,
playing
then
like
trade me him.
ass.
Then trade me him. And then you traded me him, and now I got a good fantasy quarterback.
You can have him.
And I don't know if this league is going to go on. I hope this league goes
Oh,
on
yeah.
because I want J Love on my team for the long
Just keep
term.
it going.
I could do without that league.
And
This
I
team is
was
mid.
annoyed
I have Jalen Hurts.
when Riff
and
drafted Jordan Love.
Who?
Jonathan Taylor.
You drafted
drafted-
and
what's-
Brees Hall.
Did I draft Jordan Love?
You drafted. That's
I
why
did
you
draft
drafted him. Yeah.
So there's only one reason you don't want
But
to
my quarterbacks first of all, my quarterbacks were fucked anyways. I had CJ Stroud.
You had Dak and CJ.
Yeah,
Well, I
you're
did cook.
lit.
No, that was at first. Y'all
You need
laughed
a
at
third.
me.
You always need a third.
Yeah, but at first y'all laughed at me for picking
We
CJ
did.
first, and then after it was looking like Riv has pick of the year. So respect me.
That was
Respect.
pick of the year. That was
Respect
pick
me,
of the
man.
year.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm
When I
also-
lock in, I lock in.
I'm also respect Jordan Love. baby.
Hey, 5-7. We're turning things around.
You're there. 5-7. You could get in the playoffs.
Team's
I
good.
want
I
you
got
to respect
Debo,
J-Lo.
Hollywood.
Fucking pay attention.
Bro,
Everyone
I
got
had
41
I said
games.
the
Green
line
Bay
of
team. I was on
You
the
just said
Green
you
Bay
wanna
train,
quit
but
the
I'm always
league.
about
I'm
the
over
team
it.
more than the player. Always.
This guy.
I'm always about the team more
He
than the
said
player.
that he was with me with Green
It's
Bay
not
in the
true.
offseason.
In the offseason, yes, I was.
No, he
No,
was.
you're saying that you're more team than player. That's not true.
What is that not true? Outside of
Josh Allen, Justin
outside
Fields.
of Buffalo.
Brock Purdy.
CJ.
There you go.
Damn, you got me.
Just so DJ Moore.
No, I'm pro Chicago.
He's pro Fields.
Hold
more
on,
than DJ
because I
Moore.
want to
Yeah,
get
you
to
could have
this.
said that. I
He
would
does
have.
fuck with
In the
Fields.
offseason, he did say that the Packers were going to make the playoffs. He had them winning the NFC North
did.
with me.
Undoubtedly.
But then when the Packers were struggling,
should die.
and I was bringing up the fact that you had them making the playoffs with me, you were actively trying to crack jokes on me for having them there when you had them there too.
No.
And now you're trying to claim that you had them.
I cracked jokes on you because your love was beyond my love. You were more Jordan Love pro. I was just like, I think
You
Green
just
Bay's
got
a
to
good
be
team.
fine with the Jordan Love gatekeeping, which is okay because
Oh, no, I don't-
we've acknowledged it
You
is
can have it.
100% your gate
You
to
can
keep.
have it. You can
It's
keep that
fine.
gate. You know, you can
And
love
that's
it.
not
I
a
don't-
slight
you know,
at Jordan.
that gate
It's
closed.
just
I don't
that
want
that's
I
your
don't want that
guy.
gate. Yeah, you got
That is the first.
Put the ring camera out there.
for sure.
This
Like,
is
put-
your guy that has been mid or was mid and now is
better than
playing
What do you
me.
good
mean
ball.
was mid? This is first year as a starter.
well. There's been mid moments, is what I'm saying. And this is Sam Howell's first year as a starter.
that only applies to somebody like Daniel Jones who was mid for like years and then had like one breakout season of 15 touchdowns. And then like you think he's the
22
guy.
total touchdowns.
Okay, still not like very impressive. Like Jordan Love has like 20 total touchdowns.
Word on
right
the
now.
street, Matt.
He ran for over 700 yards as a quarterback. That's insane.
Jordan Love has 21 total touchdowns right now. He's one off of Daniel Jones' career season.
No, well, he had 24 touchdowns passing as his rookie.
But I'm saying
as a
like his
rookie.
best season of his career.
as a
was
rookie, he
22
had
total
24 touchdowns.
okay, and Jordan Love is gonna beat that.
I mean, you hope.
No, he
Wow.
will beat that.
You hope.
Like
Well,
100%.
we got 5 weeks
You hope.
left. He needs one.
If he
100%.
doesn't, it's wildly disappointing.
No, yeah. He would have to be massively ass for the next how many games for
God,
that to
yeah.
happen?
Wouldn't that suck?
He would have to average like 0.3 touchdowns per game.
Good math.
It would not happen.
Okay.
You know, your guy Daniel Jones, my guy J Love. You know, J Love
Hey, once J Love wins a playoff game, we can have a conversation.
can happen this year if they face the Lions. You know, who knows? Maybe a repeat of that ass kick. They smacked them on
They did.
Thanksgiving.
They did smack
They
him.
smacked them on.
No, he's
Thanksgiving.
right.
did.
It was an ass.
Yeah,
kick.
but like
from the first
why?
drive.
No, I
That-
was fine with that. It was
that
fine.
was-
I kind of fuck with it.
No, I was
I know
good.
you did.
It was good.
You're a little weird.
And now Tavian Wicks didn't even play.
They were missing their best
But your
receiver.
guy you've been hating on was the best player
Watch the show the
for
fuck up.
Now he did early though. Like it was
And
early.
Christian Watson needs to get off the field. Dontavian Wicks is better than he is.
First play of the game.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Watson,
bailed
man.
him out because that was an underthrow.
Give his guy a chance, right?
It was just Christian Watson making a good play, but that's the
For
truth.
sure.
It was an
Oh, yeah.
underthrow.
It was. you know.
Yeah. That's
See
it.
For love of God, I could get to power rankings.
I see it.
I can't
Number
take
one
much
in
more
Miami
Jordan
do
Love
that a
talk.
lot.
I can't.
Oh, we're 4 hours.
Have you?
Yes.
See a couple overthrows too. Whatever.
Yeah, maybe like if there's like 10 yards away, you know.
What happened? What happened to Sauce this weekend? What happened to DJ Reed this weekend?
The
Let's
morale
not
of the
one catch.
defense is going to be so down.
Oh,
on the
how many
offensive
catches
No,
did
end.
but
DJ
Jalen
Reed
Waddle over 100.
Shout out to him. He's a great
Tyreek
player.
over 100.
You've been saying Jalen Waddle's a great player for a long time now. You know, you've never
He is a legend.
suspected.
He
No,
is a legend.
it's bound. You know, he was supposed to get this game. You know, happy for him.
But
man.
not
Good
against
for
the
him.
Jets, the best secondary in football.
We're on the field too much, man.
Oh, got
On the
it.
field
Got
too
it.
much.
Interesting.
You're lucky we don't got Aaron
Hmm.
Rodgers though.
Hey, man, Prayers to him. Hopefully
Maybe-
he gets back.
I think the Jets just traded for the wrong Packers.
Reed did
quarterback.
indeed get cooked. He allowed
No,
6
I know.
catches, 87 yards. Sauce only
No,
allowed 1
Reed got
catch.
cooked. Reed got cooked.
Yeah.
1 catch, I'll
And the
take that.
touchdown that Tyreek should have had.
Catch a damn ball.
I
That's what I'm
agree.
gonna
I agree.
What do you
Or-
think, Dehls? Did the Jets trade for the wrong Packers quarterback?
say. Oh, Christ alive. They really got 2 out of the 3
Here
ones
we
there.
go.
They got Rodgers and Boyle.
3 hours and
not-
30 minutes power ranking.
Is it 3:30?
Yeah, yeah.
Holy
Come on,
fuck.
please. I'm
NFL
begging you.
power rankings after week 12. NFL power rankings after week 12. Riv, who are your top 10 teams in the NFL?
All right, here we go. We're gonna start with the number 1 team. Haha, got it. All right. Oh no, I don't got it.
Oh my!
Go
Like you
somebody else.
had to know.
I'm sorry.
Week-
I have to find it. I have to find it. I'm
Honorable
sorry.
mentions. Gonna respect the Browns, the Texans who just miss out, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. At number 10, we have the Detroit Lions. How the mighty have fallen. They are number 10. Number 9, Joel, I'll apologize to you. The Buffalo Bills cracking to the
There
top
we
10.
go. We're still
Number
here.
8, the team that beat the Buffalo Bills, the number 2 defense since week 8, number 1 team in takeaways in the entire National Football League, the Denver Broncos,
Found
hottest team in the league. At number 7, Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 6, Dallas Cowboys, been playing some really fun football. Number 5, Miami Dolphins. Number 4, Kansas City Chiefs with a great bounce back game versus the Raiders. Number 3, Baltimore Ravens. Number 2, San Francisco 49ers. And number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Here we go. Here we go. I found it. Number 10, I got the Buffalo Bills. Number 9, I got to respect Joel's team. Oh my God. Number 9, I have to respect Drew's team with the Denver Broncos.
Boy!
Number 8.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. I was not expecting that at all.
I don't know why I said Joel. I'm so sorry.
I don't know why. either.
Yeah. Number 8, Detroit Lions. Number
He's a
7.
Bronco hater, too. I leave you out of it, but hey, you're definitely on that list, buddy boy.
I was trying to convince you
Eat
that
it.
they'll make the playoffs.
Eat it, ho. Go ahead.
Number 7, Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 6, Dallas Cowboys. Number 5, Miami. Number 4, Baltimore. Number 3, Niners. Number 2, Chiefs. And number 1, Eagles.
I like that
KC2.
list.
Oh, you had KC2 last week, didn't
Yeah,
you?
nothing really changed for me.
I'll go. I did lie to you on the way here. I've changed Broncos. And number 10 is the Houston Texans. Honorable mention to the Denver Broncos, though. At number 9, I have the Buffalo Bills.
You think you know someone.
He's fraudulent. You can't know.
You got it from Riv. You don't need it from both of us. Pause. 8 Detroit
take what I can
Lions.
Huh?
Odds are pretty big.
Okay, we'll start from the top so TikTok will be easier. 10 Houston Texans, 9 Buffalo Bills, 8 Detroit Lions, 7 Miami Dolphins, 6 Jacksonville Jaguars, 5 Dallas Cowboys, 4 Kansas City Chiefs, 3 Baltimore Ravens, 2 49ers, and 1 Jalen
It's always
Hurts
good to get in
MVP.
different flavors.
Eagles.
Miami under Jacksonville.
I thought that was a very good win by Jacksonville over Texans.
Listen, the stat line may not have been.
You're
there.
overthinking it. You're overthinking it. You're
Tua-
overthinking it. You're
Tua had a
overthinking it.
good game
You're
versus
overthinking
the
it.
Jets.
You're overthinking it.
It was fine. Yeah.
You're overthinking it.
Good. That's a stretch. Like it was whatever. You know. Yeah, I guess.
No, he had a good game versus the Jets. He did. The 2 interceptions before half, I could live with.
It was
Wait,
fine.
he had 2 interceptions in that game.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't really paying. The Jets game was so awful that I didn't really pay attention much to it, bro.
How you gonna say he doesn't have a
Okay,
good
this guy
game?
didn't-
This
Because I
didn't
saw
watch
the
it. You didn't
interception.
watch it.
You
Because
caught
you didn't
him.
fucking
Got
watch it.
him.
Because the whole game, there was nothing that stood out to me. Like, oh yeah, the Dolphins are playing well.
So you didn't realize he threw 2 interceptions?
No, I realized he threw 2 interceptions, but the game was really not worth watching. It was one of the worst games of the year
For one reason only, sadly.
because our
Tim
offense
Boyle
is
is
not
the
good.
starting quarterback.
Yes, our
Free
offense
Trevor
is not
Siemian,
good.
man.
You know, Bronco legend. I try to tell y'all.
I've been trying to.
You have too, bro. You have.
It's always good to get in different flavors.
All right. I'm sorry. I feel like I cut you off.
I got
A 77 passer rating is a good game. He was average.
Nah,
bro.
just watching the
It's fine.
game, he had some really solid throws. The 2 interceptions
Oh, for the
kind of
love
just
God, it's the Jets. Just come on.
it is. But
What do you
no,
think?
Jets
Good?
defense.
I thought I wasn't anything special.
He's just mad that DJ Reed got cut.
I think he was just waiting for the
Not
game to
really.
be over.
Sauce was lit.
That was
He's
exactly
just
it.
waiting for the
That's
game to be
exactly
over.
I mean, I was
Broncos.
watching. I wasn't happy
Yeah,
watching,
like,
but I was
he's
watching.
waiting
Nah,
for the game to be
what,
over.
What actually was a gashing was the run game. Nah,
Yeah,
they did whatever they
Raheem,
wanted.
Raheem did his thing.
I did
When
my
is-
power rankings a little
When does
bit
Devin come
different.
back?
Okay.
A-Chain.
He
Next-
should be
next
back
week,
soon. His
possibly.
knees.
He was running away with offensive rookie. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, nice.
I did these power rankings a
Stroud.
little bit different in the past. He's good.
Damn.
I know, man. It's
Shout out to
irresponsible.
my dude though.
Fuck.
He was really on shit. Like he was on
fuck.
bullshit. Hey, what the fuck? Dude, this is
Bro's trying to
racially-
give us power rankings. You're not fucking listening.
He's also talking.
He was beasting to finish the show.
Nah, I'm done. This is racially motivated. I'm sick of this shit.
That's
Dehls
I'll
is
be trying to
also
tell them,
talking.
Riv.
These two fucking guys, man.
You interrupted Drew. You
want
interrupted
John
me.
here?
You're gonna interrupt.
You want John here?
You're gonna interrupt Dehls next.
Dehls was talking with we ever having a conversation.
Shut the fuck up, Dehls.
there's
All right, let
obviously
fucking Joel
motivations
give his
against
power
this,
rankings.
I appreciate
please.
that. Thank you. That's all
Shut
I asked
up.
for. That's all I asked for.
All right, Joel.
I did my power rankings a bit different. I did this off of genuinely who I think are the best teams. So even if you got a great record, you might be lower than anticipated. Number 10, I got the Denver Broncos, 5-game win streak, 6-5. They are a top 10 team in the last 5 games. Number 10 or number 9, I have the Houston Texans. I know they lost to the Jaguars, but it was an honorable loss. CJ had them in a great position to tie the game up, but Matt Amendola missed the field goal. Number 8, the Buffalo Bills. Even though they're 6-6, they've had one of the toughest schedules in the NFL, and I still think against most teams in the top 10, they can give them a run for the money. They just faced the best team in the NFL, number 1 that I have in the Eagles, and that was a close game. Number 7, I got the Miami Dolphins. The defense is playing better. The offense we know can be explosive and can have timely plays, but for me, I just don't trust that all of these things will come together in the biggest moments just yet. I have to see that defense against a better team. Number 6, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The defense is playing well.
I can't live with this.
And the fact that the last 2 weeks, their offense has been playing much better. Calvin Ridley's getting involved. That's why I have them at 6. Number 5, the Dallas Cowboys. Elite defense, elite offense. Dak is playing at an MVP candidate level. They have to be 5. Number 4 is the Kansas City Chiefs. That defense is elite. The offense still figuring things out. And the top 3 are the Niners, Ravens, and Eagles. The team I don't have is the Lions. The Lions, when I look at the Lions versus the Broncos, whose defense is better? Whose defense do I trust more? It's the Broncos defense. When I trust their offense, I think both teams have limited quarterbacks. And I think the Broncos are maybe a little bit better because they have Sean Payne. I'm not going to disrespect Ben Johnson, but the Lions these past couple of weeks, losing to the Packers, almost losing to the Bears, they got blown out by the Ravens. They let up 38 points versus the Chargers. They have not looked like a top 10 team in football.
And the mighty have fallen. They were what, like 4th year at one point?
They were playing great football. And that,
Don't talk about how
the
high they were
Ravens
on my list.
The Ravens game is the downfall of everything. The Ravens game is the downfall of the Seahawks too.
That's true.
The Ravens have caused 2 downfalls.
Oh, Seattle was always kind of fraudulent.
They were.
So to end this show, I want you guys to do this little game. I want you guys to rank these teams currently. There are all teams in the AFC that are either in the wild card playoff right now or in the hunt. Colts, Broncos, Steelers, Browns, Bills, Texans. Rank these teams 1 to 6.
Christ. All right, let me pull up the rankings.
Okay.
I'll go.
No Joker tonight.
That's huge. I understand where you're coming from. Personally, I would go Broncos. I think we're a more well-rounded team than the Texans, personally.
Bills are in this too, by the way.
Okay, I still lean Broncos.
I know. I'd do it. Texans as well.
All right, sure. I will allow myself to be overruled. If you want to have Bills number 1,
I would have Bills number 1.
So if you guys want to, I think let's start from 6. Let's start from the worst team just to make this a little bit easier because I know the top is going to be much more of a debate.
I'm so sorry.
So the 6 teams are the Colts, Broncos, Steelers, Browns, Bills, Texans. So
I think the Colts are the worst team.
Colts, Steelers, or Browns. Who are the worst team amongst those?
Let's go Colts last.
Steelers,
let's go
then Browns.
I'm going Browns and then Steelers.
Agreed.
I gotta vote.
So 6 is the Colts.
The Dickey must stop at some point.
5
don't have an offense,
and we still, you know what?
You got fucking clapped by the
Steelers,
Broncos.
How many points did they score
against who?
The Browns, the Bengals.
16
points. That high flying historical day was 16 motherfucking points. How many points did the Browns score against the Broncos?
13.
Okay, you know what? I don't care. I got outvoted. I'm not gonna argue. So we go Colts, Browns, Steelers, right?
Yes.
Okay. Colts, Browns, Steelers. So the top 3: Texans, Bills, and Broncos. What's that?
Ain't gonna stop one day. I'll tell you that.
I would have the Broncos 3rd, Texans 2nd, Bills 1st.
I understand where you're coming from. That's basically your power rankings.
Yeah.
I would go Texans 3rd, Bills 2nd, Broncos 1st.
I actually like Broncos' two-way ability. And it's hard. That's weird to say in football,
I know what
but
I'm saying. Both sides of the
defensively,
ball.
yeah.
Well-rounded.
So I would go Bills, Broncos. I think Bills have the highest potential peak, all these teams. So I'll go Bills, Broncos, Texans.
Okay. That sells it.
So essentially,
Bills
what
won.
I have, but backwards, Bills and Broncos.
Yeah, but I think Broncos should be confirmed too, for sure.
That's good.
What do you have?
Well, I would have the
Guys, trust to skate.
I would have the Broncos, Texans, Bills. I'm with Dehls. It's the Joel brotherhood, baby. Jordan Love right here.
So we got outvoted.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Well, let's not go that far.
He's just as much of a Jordan Love hitter as me, but you only mentioned me.
Because he's silent. He's a silent killer.
He is
he's
a
a
silent
clown face.
No, why doesn't he get bashed more?
Because he sits in the corner. This is what he does. He sits over there in the corner.
Expose
He
this guy.
he sits like this. And he sits in silence when we're arguing. And then when then something comes over, it's not wrong. He'll be like,
in that TikTok you showed, it was, I don't think Jordan Love will ever be a top 10 quarterback.
But you whispered it. You whispered it. It was like very low.
True. That's true.
You don't say nothing.
Because you know what he does? He's not going to talk during the debate, but
he'll talk at the end.
2 weeks from now on Twitter, he's going to be like, imagine never thinking Jordan Love was better than Sam Powell. That's what he's going to say.
He's a front runner, bro.
That's what he's doing with Brock Purdy now.
Exactly.
I caught on to the game.
I've been here with Brock Purdy. You laughed at me when I say he's elite processor.
You did.
I've been here with Brock Purdy
Has he been here with Brock Purdy?
for weeks and weeks and
He's
weeks.
had him in fantasy for sure.
He just lets me fight the battles by myself. That's what it is.
I'm here. I've been here with you with Brock Purdy.
Yes.
I took him over Will Levis.
Yeah, but you wasn't in there yelling with me.
No,
bro.
because that's your guy.
I know what it is now. You're a QB school merchant. I know
How's
what it
that?
is. You're a QB school merchant.
I've been
You're a
hunting
Didn't you
Brock
bring up
Purdy for a
QB school for
minute.
Trey
You're a
Lance?
JT O'Sullivan merchant, baby.
I've been here for Brock Purdy for a minute, man.
No. You're thinking of two different things, Riv.
Oh, okay.
QB school is
JT O'Sullivan.
a training. No,
He just
he's
put out a Kenny Pickett video. I need to lock in.
QB school is JT O'Sullivan, but quarterback school is the
Okay.
the training camp that Mike McCarthy puts his quarterbacks through.
yeah.
So
Yes,
okay,
yes.
got it.
Yeah, I'm a JT O'Sullivan merchant.
That was actually that was a fraudulent guy, man. I don't know. We got
bro, I'm
You're
here.
a Kurt Benkirk merchant.
we need
I
to start.
haven't tapped
We
into
need to
him.
start coming together, us three, collectively, to get on Dehls.
And pick a damn side. I'll be here. Pick my sides. Every
you
once
know,
in a while, I don't want to pick a side. That's why I'm just like,
yeah, I understand. Fraudulent fuck.
this
I
could
like
go
that.
that like the Stroud, Trevor Lawrence. I wanted to go. Oh, I don't know.
And
But
that's
I
going to
think
do it for episode 330 of the Pick a Side podcast. You guys can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Pick a Side Podcast, on Twitter at Pick a Side Pod. Next episode is Wednesday, NFL Pick'em. You have to join the Patreon to get access to that episode, or if you are listening on Spotify currently, you can join our Spotify subscriptions, and you can get the episode exclusive access on Spotify as well. So before we go, Valport's one last super chat. Talawa Tagovailoa is all-time Big Ten passing yards leader with 11,256 yards over guys like Curtis Painter and Drew Brees.
It's in the blood.
Curtis Painter.
It's in the blood.
Why were that was the two names?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess Curtis Painter was an all-time college quarterback.
He was a
Drew-
Colts quarterback.
Drew Brees is a
for some
legend.
time, yeah.
Drew Brees,
Yes,
understand.
Drew
he is.
legend.
Curtis Painter. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.